never in doubt. You join us here on Racing Post Live on this Friday of Royal Ascot. At least we think it's Friday. It's been a long wait this morning, isn't it? It could be into Saturday and Sunday. But despite a planned inspection that went ahead after what, they had about 30 mil of rain overnight, it didn't materialise yesterday. What a difference 24-hour makes. Racing goes ahead. Thank goodness for that. Staring down the barrel otherwise, weren't we? And unprecedented. Would have been the first and only time since 1964 that it's been off. Some wildly varying comments and quotes that we're getting from our men on track, from the jockeys and trainers. Ryan Moore, it's okay. I rode on a lot worse. Jamie Spencer, not so sure about that. It continues to rain at Ascot, but not here in the studio. The party atmosphere continues. Still 2 full days to go. Send us in your thoughts about the day ahead and tomorrow. Myself, Dave Orton, delighted to be here with the Betfair Exchange, our sponsors. Let's go down the panel then. Who've we got with us? James Millman, all the way up from Devon this morning. We were fearing for you at one point. You must have thought to yourself, this is going to be an easy few quid this afternoon. Not a bit of it, Mr. Millman.
Not a bit at all. To be fair, it was sunny when I was riding out in Devon this morning. And look at the old BHA website. Soft at Ascot. So we had one as a Goodwood. That sadly disappeared as well. Yeah, I did think I'd be getting the train straight back again. But fair play. Ascot got it on. That rain there was poured even since they announced the inspection passed. It hasn't actually stopped. So very interesting to see how it is after race one.
You're known as being quite a dour character, Mr. Millman.
Nah, never.
I raise a smile there, but I found out it was on through James, and it was a BHA tweet basically, and you had and you literally went to me, it's on. No emotion whatsoever. But I'm delighted we're going to get that out of you. Great to have James back for his second stint during the week. A newbie, a Royal Ascot 2021 newbie, joins us. The bear is back. You can poke him if you want. It's Graeme Rodway.
Yeah, back. Yeah, good to be here, isn't it? And great to be racing, Dave.
Yes. In doubt?
I was a little bit worried, I must admit. I obviously was riding out this morning myself, just like James, and it was so wet where I was. It was absolutely pouring down. There was floods, you know, just trying to get my car through the floods was an absolute nightmare. And I thought, well, should I really make my way into the office? But I'm so glad I did. Absolutely,
and we are thrilled to have you. You're back tomorrow as well. We're going to have loads of fun with G. What was your alternative this afternoon if it was off?
Well, it's been a long week, Dave, and obviously there's a rather big football game going on later.
Never.
And I just thought, well, maybe we could make an early start, you know, on the celebrations for the end of the week and the England game coming up. But they'll have to be put on hold till later, Dave. But I must admit, I'm very happy to do so.
The bear would have been stinking tomorrow if that had been off, so that's another massive plus, isn't it? He's been with us all week. I'm delighted to say he's back. We weren't sure about earlier Barry, but Barry Orr joins us back from Dublin.
Yeah, thankfully. Glad to be here. All those other alternatives weren't looking too attractive. It breaks with the tradition. To have to do something like that, 10 races on a Saturday would have been difficult to get through. But not delighted that the meeting got passed. Well, it's passed for one race anyway. They might reassess off the back of that. Like James says, it hasn't stopped raining there. It's actually torrential now as the horses are in the parade ring for the opener.
They are, Barry, absolutely okay. And it's the Albany that we kick off with over the 6 furlongs. What is it going to be like out there? Soft, heavy in places then. Always when Royal Ascot week, you get to the second half, once the half-time whistle blows in the Gold Cup, you always think back and you go, that was like it was a month ago. But perhaps this week even more. Who remembers Palace Pier getting over the line in glorious Technicolor? But listen, we're with you this afternoon. This is the place to be for real-time reaction and analysis. Barry, you're showcasing the functionality of the exchange, as we always say, for absolute beginners. They're going to learn something, maybe enjoy the trades as well, which we're doing for charity each race.
Yes, we're doing it in aid of Charlie Post is doing a charity cycle along with several other people in the racing industry for racing welfare. So that's anything that we win while we're showcasing the functionality of the Betfair Exchange, really. That's what it's all about. Just how we're different to traditional bookmakers, how you can set your own odds. You can be a backer, or alternatively, you can choose to be a layer. So that's betting against the selection winning. And like I said, just showcasing the functionality. If we can nick a few quid for the charity along the way, well, then we're happy. So looking forward to trying to add to the 725 quid that we've already banked.
Beautiful. Barry has been absolutely on fire this week, pretty much. And listen, I don't know about you guys. Let us know what you think. But we've had some wet Royal Ascots over the years, haven't we? Certainly in recent years. I mean, maybe not chop and change like this, unprecedented stuff. I still find that the form works out, though, James. The fancied horse is absolutely fine. I often find we can get a bit too worried about these things.
Yeah, a good horse will go on any ground. The issue is when it's extremes, and we've gone from Tard on the quick side. I thought Palace Pier wasn't as impressive because the ground was so quick. Obviously, Lord North didn't actually run. Now we've gone right to the other end where it's looking at them counting down to start. They are splashing through. It's pretty heavy for sure. I'd say soft will be disappearing by the end of this race. That's where you kind of get your issues, but we're going to have a lot of non-runners through the card. But yeah, best horse will handle a variety of ground. And we saw Love. She came back in great form. She's won 7 to a mile and a half, and that just shows you the true class it generally sees them through.
We've got a host of non-runners, of course, throughout the card. Not in the Albany, however. 15 go to post. And Barry, there has been a hot pot since she won at Goodwood on soft ground. That's the Simon and Ed Quistwood trained, Frankie Dettori ridden Flotus.
Yeah, First Lady. Yeah, she's been really popular. She's 130 now, 4.3 on the Betfair Exchange, Dave, since she won that race in Goodwood on good to soft. So it's a little bit of form in the ground. She really did a good piece in the last furlong in particular, where she took off the win by over 3 lengths. Eve Lodge is 8.2. 8.6 Prettiest has come in from support from 10. 7.8 Hello You. And I fancy a horse that form ties in with Hello You. The horse I like in it is Sunstrike, number 15 for the Gosdens. Oisin Murphy rides for his retained Qatar Racing. First time up in Wolverhampton, finished 4th. Absolutely walked out of the boxes and was beaten 9 lengths by Hello You. But I think she'll be considerably closer to Hello You this time round. They took her to Kempton for an all-weather maiden after that. And she did really well to get up and win, Dave, if you look at that race. She only won a nose from Blast. The form of the race probably not working out great, but I think you can definitely mark her up for that run where she had to come from behind. There wasn't many coming from behind that day, and she came from behind to get up, win, going away, well, win a nose, and probably further with another couple of 100 yards to race. So I was just really impressed with her. She's by Dark Angel. I think she'll go on the ground as well. It's all a guessing game with these fillies. Will they go on the ground? Something could take a massive step forward for encountering heavy ground. But just on her breeding alone, I think she could handle it better than most. She's Oisin Murphy. She's drawn under the rail. She's drawn 14 of 15. He's used that strip of ground to great effect so far this meeting.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen tactically whether they're going to come up the far side, the stand side, or maybe they'll up for the middle this time round. But wherever Oisin goes, wherever they go, I think Oisin will be sticking to the stand side. And so big price here. Well, it was 34 before I start talking. I must have been talking for a while because she's into 27 now. So just going to have 25 quid win, please, G-Rod on Sunstrike. Happy to be a price taker. She's 28 there. And then in the 5-place market, I'm looking to back her as well. 5 places. So if you scroll over, select 5-place market, down to her there where she's currently trading at 3.9, which is around the 3 to 1 mark. Have 25 quid on her there as well. And yeah, like I said, I think she'll go well with their favorite First Lady, named after Melania Trump. I'm reliably informed. Yeah. It's an anagram for the First Lady of the United States. She's very popular at the head of the market.
Yes, absolutely. You're quite right, Barry. It is very much so. Now departed, of course, but you've got POTUS and Flotus, haven't you? I wonder if POTUS is in the Quistwood stable as well. One thing about it, she was really impressive, James, wasn't she? She's my idea of the winner, I have to say that. She's drawn in 5, which probably isn't ideal. Barry alluded to the stand side being the place to be. The one time this was run on generally soft ground in the last 10 years, Newfangled one. Do you remember the late Newfangled? She looked a right star for the Gosdens. And that was still a high draw as well. But you'd be amazed if they didn't come at least a couple off the rail in the first. We've been having a pop for them not wanting to go down the centre or at least stick into the centre. We're going to find out now. I'd be amazed if we don't come up the centre quite a bit this afternoon. Who do you think would win the Albany?
I agree with you. Flotus was the one for me. Slight negative if you are thinking about opposing her. Star Spangled Banner hasn't got the best stats on very soft ground, but she did win at Goodwood impressively on soft. Not what she's facing today, but it was still
wet ground, wasn't it?
Yes. But I think there's more question marks against the rivals. Hello You in particular. Rafe Beckett ran her at Wolverhampton. It's not where he normally starts his juveniles off because he didn't want to run soft ground. So that's got to be a negative for Hello You. One that likes the ground, Eve Lodge, if you're looking real for a soft ground performer, because she was actually taken out on Tuesday because the ground was too quick. So that's kind of your options, but I think Flotus is a real solid favourite for our opener, and I think she'd be quite hard to beat.
I do as well. If she gets a nice toe into the race, Sylvester de Souza rode her first time out. Frankie Dettori takes the ride this time, and I think she'll be ridden with confidence as well and pounce. G-Rod.
I thought that the Epsom winner might win this, Dave. Oscilla.
Oscilla.
Yeah, I thought did it very well at Epsom. Now, I know that race hasn't always been a great guide to Royal Ascot 2-year-old races, but did win it by 3 lengths doing handsprings
on
night.
Wet ground again.
Yeah, well, officially described as good, but the time suggested it was a good bit softer than good that day. And of course, it was very, very soft, wasn't it, for the big races that weekend, the Oaks and the like. So I think that Oscar will have no problem with the ground. Of course, we've got Mark Crean riding. Now, he would usually claim, wouldn't he? But isn't able to claim here, but he did ride at Epsom.
He did, and it showed him in great light that day.
Knows the filly very well, and Nick Bradley obviously has had a lot of high-profile runners this week. Nick Bradley Racing.
Yeah, he's at the track today, and I saw him tweet earlier a video of him walking a little bit of the track, and he said, I still think it's firm enough under. That was a couple of hours ago. Obviously, we've had lots of races. Well, look, we don't know what we're going to get, but you will straight away here on Racing Post Live after the first race. We will be giving the race time. We'll be, looking at the jockeys coming back, splattered in mud. We'll be giving you dissection of form, everything going forward. One thing we are going to see today, Barry, surely, is markets toppled if this racing continues. Lots of people changing their mind, etc.
Yeah, very much so. Just Prettiest has been well supported here, Dave. Just the flag into 7.4 from 10 for Aidan O'Brien. Flotus going the other direction now. Was 130, is out to nearly 5-1 now. Hello You, strong and challenging Flotus at the head of the market, would you believe, is into 5 point now. Hello You, favourite now on the Betfair Exchange, just about, yeah. So Prettiest and Hello You, the two for money here.
If you've been watching this show over the last couple of weeks, Ross Brierley, who's been sitting in the studio, he's floating around still this week. This was one of his most anticipated horses running anywhere. I said to him, what do you reckon about the ground, Ross? Because the form has worked out well. It was a really, really good time at Wolverhampton. She's out of a pivotal mare, basically, which gives you the hope. She's Invincible Spirit as well. Look, there's every chance she'll get it on pedigree, I think.
Pedigree-wise, yeah, it's just interesting that Rafe Beckett deliberately didn't want to start her off on soft ground, which, like I say, that's a little bit of a negative, but all 15 fillies are taking a chance. One that loves the ground, 5 places, I think she's 6.6 on exchanges. Lady Ayrsom, she won at Beverley on pretty soft ground, stiff finish, so I think she might sneak a bit of place to Cody Bear filly.
We've only had one 20-1 shot in the last 10 years. That was different league. A horse that came over from France. God, what was the horse that she beat that year? Remind me. It was, painful memories. Alpha Centauri. Somehow she managed to beat her. But this tends to go to one of the more fancied runners.
What do you think of Prettiest on the ground here, Dave? Because Debarwi and then Alice Springs. Of course, Alice Springs was a really, really good filly, but she did need fast ground.
She did, and she's the first foal, isn't she? I think so. We'll find out. She was, she did what she had to, didn't she? On debut basis, it wasn't overly fancy. Yes, this is a race that reminds me how Ballydoyle have done. Yeah, 11 runners in the last 10 years. Brave Anna in 2016, the only one that's got over the line. Only 2 places as well. So not the most obvious races for the Ballydoyle guys to have a look at. Like a hot pot running in the Chesham tomorrow, haven't they? Let us know your Saturday selections, naps for today. Keep them coming in. Plenty of time to digress in between the races. We'll be having lots and lots of fun. Lots of non-runners today, not in this first race. I'll be taking most of the calls. We'll be giving you the reactions through the race. You'll be seeing the market come back up live in front of your faces as well. But for now, it's the first race. We're on. We're singing in the rain in the Albany. They're away. 2:30 then. Off we go. Fairly level break. Perhaps Sunstrike. Perhaps a tidge slow away. On the near side then, Gypsy Lady under Holly Doyle and Gay Calloway. One making a break for the rail. Is that Oscilla?
Yes, Mark Crean on Oscilla. This
is George Bowie, the man that does his homework.
Yeah, that'd be Nick
Yes,
Bradley.
the other Bradley horse. Hello, my darling. Danny Tudhope then. George Bowie. Don't worry about the stand side, lads, he said to his 2 jockeys. All the other jockeys going far side. Looking for Flotus. Lovely sit from Frank in around about 4th. James Millman, early thoughts.
Flotus travelling nicely. Hello You, very, very forward. Oscula, couple lengths behind at this point.
OK, G, what's going on?
I'm hoping Oscula's in front, but it looks maybe slightly behind. There's one absolutely cruising in the noseband. There is What's that, Dave?
I'm not sure. Looking down, I'm just looking at Flotus. That's why. I mean, it's got to get every
Andorra
job.
is
Oscar
travelling
on the stand
nicely.
side has got it at the moment. Looking down for Flotus, she's struggling to get home. Hello, you is the big danger, but at the moment it's stand side, isn't it? It looks like this is the way. Oscar, then what's coming near side? Cachet, and it's another George Bowie horse. This is a Bowie 1-2 at the moment. Flotus definitely has not got home, fallen in a hole. Down the stand side, what's this up the middle? Absolutely right. Is that Sandrine? Wow, down the middle hold sway. David Probert. Tony Ennis will be absolutely laughing to the bank. He must have backed this. Sandrine, Kirsty Rousing Silks, came out of absolutely nowhere, drawn in stall 2. Wow, there we go. Don't worry about the low numbers today. Not how I saw it going. Hello You was definitely in second. Looking for the third. Bold move by Mark Creon, wasn't it, on Oscular? Has he just held on, or has Prettiest got him? You said it. Cachet's fourth, Elliptic in fifth.
That's got third.
Looks like Oscular has got that place if you went that way with G. My goodness gracious me. A weird race to watch. It's been a weird day, Barry. Was it a weird in-running market?
Yeah, 2.32, the runner-up Flotus traded that in running. Obviously a big difference of opinion, but Nick Bradley and George Bowie had drilled their two jockeys to say, you're definitely coming up the sand side. Would you believe Osculla traded at a low at 2.32? The winner hit a high at 34 in running at a Betfair SP of 19.6. But yeah, the Osculla traded short and running, and Flotus short and running as well. But
I think it's a pretty fair track, really.
Flotus hasn't got home. Let's deal with that one. Barry says it went short. My eyes were drawn to her, I have to say. She was one of the last off the bridle, but big run from Oscular. We'll get G's thoughts on that in a sec. Sandrine then, now 2 from 2. Andrew Balding, yet another 2-year-old success for the Balding team. Of course, Tactical won the Windsor Forest last year, didn't it? Sandrine then, stall 2. Kirsty Rousing, Bobby's Kitten out of a pivotal mare. Not the pivotal mare myself and James thought. Bobby's Kitten known for his progeny on synthetics. I'll tell you what, this has really appreciated a bit of a test, James, hasn't it?
Possibly, but beat Oscular on debut. Oscular was only third on debut. She has not run since. Obviously, we've seen Oscular win the Woodcott. Actually, pound for pound, she beat that one a length and 3/4 on their respective debuts, and she's done exactly the same again this time around. So that form's actually worked out pretty well at Kempton.
You said what was absolutely closing in the noseband. It was Kevin Ryan's Andorra, I think.
Yeah, didn't quite get home in the centre. Going okay. Cachet, who was another Bowie horse, that's run well. I think Oscular, that rail has helped her come straight, and like I say, I think he's very keen on his tactics. He tells his jockeys what to do. And obviously both his horses have gone over. Unfortunately, Hello My Darling was already too far behind to make an impact. But yeah, he's very much the Moneyball man, Nick Bradley. He goes for his stats. He doesn't really listen to
the Moneyball man,
else.
like that.
I think, yeah, no, he was in an article the other day, and I say he's very strong on his opinions, and it does
Got
work
some
out
shrewd cookies in that operation, like Hugh Taylor, etc. And Hello You there's one a big race, G, considering she attacked. What do you make of the form without looking at the times and everything? And was it a messy race for you? One to tick off has been a pinch of salt, or have we seen some decent fillies in action?
Yeah, I thought that the winner did it well, Dave. Travelled like the best horse through the race and didn't get the cleanest of runs either. Was trying to come through and just got blocked off and still went and won. And that's just something on the ground, just from pure visual. Didn't look that bad to me. I thought they got through it quite well there, Dave. It certainly weren't absolutely...
that's a relief to hear.
Yeah, they weren't walking home, were they? Which is good to see. And I think it was great to see, obviously, the two Bowie horses make their way up this stand side rail, because I do like to see people try something different.
Yeah.
You know, and rather than stick with a pack. We saw that earlier in the week when Indie Angel won. Indie Angel, Frankie Dettori, the only one really.
That was amazing. No one, the rest
side.
of them come over. That was the shocking thing. It was
they all stayed in the middle, didn't they? Which was amazing, really, because everything had won up the stand side rail. So, I mean, I'm not saying that there's a definite advantage now on that stand side rail. It looked, like James said, I think it looks pretty even across the track, but there's certainly no disadvantage on being on the stand side rail.
And when they're getting tired as well, a 2-year-old having that rail to run against has got to help you. And you tend to see it. They look like they're flying. It's just because they're running straight. Whereas in the big wide space at Ascot, you see 2-year-olds, the one in the yellow there, Gay Kellaways, they just start wondering when they get tired. It does help a jockey immensely having that rail to run against.
Very much so. Let's concentrate back on the winner then. Bobby's Kitten out of a 6-furlong mare that was trained by Sir Mark Prescott. Certainly hit the line strong, didn't she? You have to say 7 will be absolutely fine. We're not looking at guineas, Finney, here, or are we?
Well, that's 2 winners from the Andrew Bolden team.
Coventry, of course.
Berkshire Shadow. The first one, Cedar Shells with Cedar Stars mare. the sister, mile and a quarter's her trip. So yeah, I think she'll keep on improving. And 2 from 2, she's done nothing wrong.
I think this is a big pointer for their runner tomorrow in the Chesham, Masekela.
Yes, you were talking to me about that earlier. This is Masekela that goes under Oisin Murphy tomorrow in the first race on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought it was particularly interesting the other day on ITV Racing when Oisin Murphy was interviewed after one of his winners, and he said, I hope this kicks off a good end of the week for me. And he mentioned 2 or 3 really strong chances, and he mentioned Masekela alongside some of his better rides, and I thought that was a tip in itself, really. And obviously Baldwin has already won 2 juvenile races this week already, so that would suggest that Masekela is right up amongst his best.
He was blowing the trumpet for it, was he?
He was blowing his own trumpet.
Do you know who Masekela was?
No, was he a trumpeter?
Hugh Masekela.
I'm afraid
I actually did.
No, you Googled it.
I actually did know
I don't know if I believe you.
No one listens to more Jazz FM than me, trust me. But I must admit, a little keyboard did help me out the memory there. But I knew you weren't going to get the blowing the horn reference whatsoever. Yeah, I think it's formed to be positive about. As soon as we got the time, we'll be giving it to you. That is what literally the racing world is now waiting for, the first time of the Albany. Yesterday we had Keith Melrose in for his second stint. That's great to see, isn't it? You can see there just punching
118.36 is the time.
I'm sorry, James?
18.36.
So it's about 6 seconds slow, is it?
Well, that's a proper soft to heavy ground time, isn't it? Let's face it. In this top grade.
And you're going to kind of expect that when they're umming and ahhing whether to go racing. So it's probably not really a shock as such.
Talk about umming and ahhing going racing. Imagine if this was your one day. You've been locked down for a year and you thought, I've got the Friday of Royal Ascot, the flowers will be in full bloom, standing to attention. And then this happens, 30 mil of rain, and it was unbelievable rain, wasn't it? You'd be absolutely gutted, but delighted that it's on. And OK, we've had something of a turn up in the first, you might say, but she was totally unexposed. She was from the yard that won the Coventry as well. Sandrine takes out the opener. 6 races coming your way today. We go off before the 6:10. After, got to get this right, the Coronation Stakes. I'm tempted to say the Coronation Cup and the Commonwealth Stakes. It's a.
You put it into my head now.
I have put it into your head. I know I have.
About that, and I'm going to get it wrong.
But after the Coronation Stakes, we're sticking to the round course. Thank goodness. In the one, I think we could call it the feature race of the day. Can we still? It's Coronation Day, this, isn't it? Or is the Commonwealth Cup that good these days that it's vying?
We had this debate at our planning meeting for this week. What is the big race on Friday? Is it the Coronation Stakes or is it the
It's like the Stayers Hurdle Day on Thursday. Is it the Ryanair Day? People are calling it now.
Yeah, very much so. We came down on the Coronation. The vote was unanimous almost.
Right. OK, fair enough. As you can see, the market coming up for the next. So listen, get involved. Let us know. Download the free Racing Post app. That's imperative. Free premium content here this week. If you want to join the members section, if you're not a member, all the content, you've been missing it all. Never been so important to be reading what the experts on the Racing Post are saying today, looking at those video replays and all the analysis, the times and everything. You can do so with a referral code. It is Ascot21. 50% off this week. You can do that. OK, Barry, let's move on, shall we? I think quickly from the Albany. Back on the round course. Now, the round course is always worse, Barry, on this. It's the King Edward VII Stakes, the Ascot Derby, they call it. William Haggis had his hot pot going yesterday. Mahafeth, this horse, Alan Kerr, beat the Derby winner.
He certainly did in the Ascot, in the Sandown Derby trial, wasn't it? The classic trial in Sandown, yeah. I thought that the runner-up was going to wear him down with another couple of strides to go. So I thought he was opposable, this horse, especially on the ground, although he finished second to Fancy Man, who's beaten 3.5 lengths in a maiden in Haydock as a 2-year-old. He traded short and running that day as well. It looked like he was going to win, but just didn't get home on the soft ground. Now, Haydock soft, I'm sure, is very similar to the conditions that we have today. Thought that was a good run. He was 25-1 that day in Sandown, though. He was an unconsidered 25-1 chance the day he beat the Derby winner. And I just thought at the price at 7-4, there were other horses in here that had chances. I liked the chance of Gear Up, a Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old on heavy ground. I thought he didn't run too bad. His first run back in York in that day, and then he disappointed a bit in the Derby, all right, but he was a 50-1 chance there. And I thought he had a chance. The Mediterranean definitely has a chance. Title, not mad about. He traded 100 to 1 on, and he carried his head a bit awkwardly in Newbury. That's the basement price on Betfair. That's always a bad sign for when you're trading at 100 to 1 on and you're getting chinned. So yeah, Alan Kerr, I'm going to take him on in the just lay him for 50 quid, please, G-Rod. And we're going to be a price maker here. He's 276 and we wanted to lay him straight away, but we'll take it down to 274. And I think someone will come in and back that with us. So we're looking to take 50 quid of the backer stake and just select 50 quid. And that will go over into the blue box because we're setting our own odds and we want someone to come in and back that with us, which I'm confident they will do at 274.
Thank you very much, Barry. Oh, that's the second trade then. And Gloucestershire and Ibea are two nons from this. So, okay, that basically, what does it go down to now then? Just the 6 runners, and it is now heavy all over at Ascot. I think the straight track's just about to get changed as well. It was already heavy on the round course. So this is going to take some proper getting, isn't it? We know that Barry's going after the favourite. I have to say, I like titled Barry. One thing that this shows really advertises well, Barry, is when you tell us when a horse goes very low in running and it doesn't manage to get its head in front. But this chap did come out and again still looked a little bit at Yarmouth and beat a decent horse called Sea Carrots of William Haggis's. He's proven he can do it, this chap, and I think he'll like the ground.
Yeah, he traded at 5.6, so nearly double his Betfair SP that day as well. So he did show a decent enough resolution, but I just harken back, and I've watched it back a couple of times as well when he got beat in Newbury. The first time he ran in Newbury, when he got beat, he traded at 2s on. He was a 12 to 1 chance that day, and then he traded at the basement price of 100 to 1 on following that. So, that's twice now he's been beaten. 2s on is short enough, 100 to 1 on the basement price. So twice beaten in running after trading short.
Oh, he's one that Barry likes to get after.
Red flag for me.
Red flag for Barry. Do you know what? I was with him at Yarmouth last time. I took on the Haggis filly and I was really pleased with him. He travelled beautifully into it. Then the head carriage came up. The funky head carriage, as Natalie Green called it on Derby Day, which we're coining that phrase. And you know what? I think if this was on fast ground, I wouldn't be that bothered. But we know he goes on heavy ground. He just touched off at Newbury. I like him. He's a unit of a horse. And Roger Varian could do with a change of luck. I think this is it.
Well, 92 is his handicap mark, which gives him a fair bit to find. But you can also look at it, 92, if he'd gone for the handicap, he would have had a better chance, arguably, if they think he's a group
You can't
horse.
get a figure in these maidens, though, can you? 94 was the same racing post rating that Kamari got when he went into the Queen's Vase, and we saw what he did. Now, this would be, perhaps law of averages tells you that the second division winner won't go and serve up a performance in another. Well, this is a Group 2 race. Is this a strong Group 2, G-Rod, and what's the tip?
It doesn't look a very strong Group 2 now with the non-runners, obviously, Dave. But having said that, the favourite did beat the Derby winner last time out. I think the Derby winner shaped like the best horse in that race, Addy. I did miss the break a bit, and then it's very hard to make up a lot of ground in the straight at Sandown. Stiff uphill finish, and Addy made up a lot of ground to come and get to Alan.
He was then beaten at Lingfield, wasn't it? Addy was just a monster performance in the Derby out of real surprise, wasn't it? I know he was back, but it was a surprise.
Well, I just don't know what happened at Lingfield. Maybe he got stuck in the ground there. It's a funny place, isn't it, Lingfield? Really testing ground. I don't know, but Alan Kerr. In a way, I hope he wins because then it advertises a Derby for him, it advertises ADR, and he is the most interesting, exciting horse in the race, I think. But he is too short in the market for me, particularly on really testing ground. I know he's won on soft, hasn't he? But he's also been beaten on soft at Haydock, which would have been very testing. I keep wanting to call this horse Pinocchio, but it's not. Is it Bellocchio? Bellocchio, yeah.
Not Bellocchio, that's for sure. I mean, come on.
If I was commentating on the race, I'd definitely call it Pinocchio the whole way around.
You can have a go if you like, G. That would be amusing.
David Menezes, obviously. Now, this horse ran in the Dante, finished 8th behind one of these, didn't it? There was another one in the Dante who was 5th gear up.
He was also 5th behind Alan Kerr on his return when he got the ground.
So he's got a bit to find with those, but he's been remarkably strong in the market, hasn't he? And David Menezes does bring his horses along very slowly, and he's not the sort of horse who would throw. He's not the sort of trainer who would throw a horse into this sort of race without any reason. However, judged purely on the ground, I'm going to tip gear up.
Yes, who did a lot of the donkey work, didn't he, James, in the Derby?
He left that nice gap for Adam Kirby as well, up the rail. He's had a hard race. That would be the slight concern.
This
from the
has
Derby.
been a graveyard, for want of another expression, for Derby runners. Going from the Epsom to the Ascot Derby, it's something that that Ballydoyle worked out not that long ago. It's just so hard to do, I think, especially when the ground is testing. The ground was drying in the Derby. I can see it. I can definitely see Gear Up, but I wonder what a hard race he had. And I know he's Braveheart. They can bounce back, but it wasn't enough to tempt me in.
He also has the highest Racing Post rating in the race on heavy ground. So we know that he loves these conditions. Of course, the only downside being that he does have to give £3 to the rest of the field because of that.
Yeah.
But testing ground is his bag, Dave.
He had Bolshoi Ballet just behind, didn't he, when he won his Group 1 in France on the slop. Let's get some viewer interaction. Come on then, let's ramp up on this soggy Friday. Coronation Day is what I'm going to call it. And Thomas Irish HD comes back and says, Gear Up for me. Down in grade, has win on heavy as well. Absolutely. So, geez, with you all the way. Mr. Millman, what wins the Ascot Derby?
I'm sticking with the favourite, to be honest. I know we got beat on soft ground at Haydock, but Elderflug Sai actually won the heavy ground German Derby, and it's a proper German pedigree, and they tend to act on pretty soft ground. So that would be kind of, yes, he got beat at Haydock, but I'll give him another chance on the ground. Adayar, I agree with Graeme. I think he would have beaten him in the Sandown Classic trial, but Ascot Adayar is slow and more of a St Edger type, despite winning the Derby. He was actually going to go for the Queen's Vase until Sheikh Mohammed said, no, I want him to run in the Derby. So I do think that Alan Kerr, he's got a great chance here. Short enough, but I think he's the one to beat.
And Carl Wilkes, welcome along, Carl, to the party, agrees. Surely Alan Carr bolts up in the 3:05. Mahafeth would give you a lot of hope on that, I suppose. Pressure off Mr. Haggis a little bit, isn't it, this week now? He's got Illarab in the Hardwick tomorrow, isn't it? That looks like a sensational Hardwick, if they all turn up, of course.
The thing that I was almost preempting the results this week for a column that I might write at some point in the future.
One of your theories already?
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. This is the thing. I'm basing a column theory on something that hasn't happened yet.
A wise move, I would imagine.
But I'm just assuming that there's going to be a lot of German winners, or there's going to be a German winner either today, November, in the Coronation, or tomorrow. They've got the outsider in the Diamond Jubilee. Dominic Moser trains it.
They've had a Rip Van Lips as running the Gold Cup. He was quite a topical horse because he fell into the lap and Stradivarius.
When these rain
The
comes,
Germans are getting in the way.
when the rain comes, right, these German horses just seem to be in a different league to anything else. Now, why?
What do you mean, why?
Well,
What
why?
on the ground?
Yeah, why?
Well, their stallions are quite sturdy, middle distance horses, and not the speed influence we have in GB and Ireland. So I think that's probably why they can cope with
Because
hard
basically,
work.
I just have general.
You're suggesting they're the best swimmers.
Germans are good at a lot of things, Dave, but
They've got the beach towel out, in fairness, haven't they?
Oh,
They're the
dear.
first to the pool.
Dodgy ground. we're
once
heading.
these Germans start winning this week, I'm then going to write a column next week about why the Germans are so good on testing ground, and I've already got the start to it because James has just said that
Sturdy.
the size are more sturdy, which to me, I don't know.
It is a thing, isn't it, out there? If you see a German suffix next to the breeding, you assume they will go with some cut. A lot of their races, of course, are run on softer ground, aren't
Does
they?
it always rain in Germany then?
I don't know where the racetracks are. They've always got clouds over them and stuff. I don't know, but Alderflug is a great name of a sire, isn't it? And you would think it's soft ground influence. And of course, this chap has one on his debut on soft ground as well. One more social coming in. That's it. Keep them steaming in, guys, today. We need your help. But, JBM comes out. Bellocchio.
How
What
have
does
you got
Bellocchio mean?
Pinocchio
Someone
from
tell
there
us.
Anyway,
Pinocchio.
don't even give him a P.
I knew what Massacala was. I've got no idea what Bellocchio is. But it would be great to see David Menuzier turn up to the party, wouldn't it? SDS on, who rides a lot of his big winners. He's got Wonderful tonight coming out, of course, in Hardwick. Really cannot wait to see her back. The dual Group 1 winner. Really exciting year ahead for David now. I think whenever it rains, it's almost like he's a German sire, David Menuzier, isn't it? You just think his horses are going to improve a length or two.
But why? Why? It's just nonsense.
You're the man that tells us why,
know,
sometimes.
It was something like David. I was talking to David Jennings once, and he said, "Oh, well, when it gets up really, really heavy, William Mullin's horses will just win everything because he's got such a deep
Sand gallop.
gallop that it's almost impossible, for anyone else to replicate those sort of conditions, whereas he can. But then it doesn't seem to matter because Mullins just wins everything on good ground anyway. So what? I don't get it. Like, there's no difference between the two, is there?
Sir Mark Todd's got a trainer in a ride in this, isn't he? David Probert going for a quick double. And this chap chased home John Leaper the last time we saw him. That was at Newmarket. It was fairly easy ground that day. And he's got a rating of 102, so we can't kick him out of bed, can we, James?
No, definitely not, because he was a good run behind Hurricane Lane at Newbury as well on his second start this season, one at Newcastle. I think he's probably got a little bit to find, but it's not a great Group 2. There's not much strength in depth, and certainly wouldn't rule him out. Bellocchio, it doesn't really apply to you, Dave. It means fairly good looking, according to
There
we
we
Google.
are. I suppose you're putting yourself in that category, Mr.
I wouldn't go that far, to be fair.
Bellocchio means
That's what Google says. Google Translate anyway.
So he obviously looked a picture as a foal, this chap, and that was the name he got. And we went to France, didn't he, Bellocchio, and won a listed race and they've just been waiting for the rain with him. They're rolling the dice. Barry, one more we must talk about. Three things actually, Barry. A, the Mediterranean. What's your take on the Aidan O'Brien runner? B, how is Alan Carr in the market? Is he hardening up? And C, Barry, something I've been interested in. Certainly on our race 2, you might be getting an idea. What's the liquidity been like today? Has it been down?
No, not in the first race. Well, down in comparison to what? It's been quite punchy in the first race, to tell you the truth. And
That's good.
already in this, there's 630 grand matched, and we've still about 10 minutes till the off. So I'll let you know closer to time. In terms of the Mediterranean, won a decent maiden in Leopardstown, 1.5 miles, stepped up then behind his stable companion Fernando de Vici, but was 7-4 favourite that day, and you'd have to say he was disappointed. He was off it early there. He could improve a bit for the ground, though. That's the only thing. I thought he could go well. What was the third question?
The third question
I've
was,
answered two of them.
how's Alan Kerr doing in the market?
Alan Kerr, 278 now. We laid it at 274. Was into 268. So taking a little bit of a walk back out. Bellocchio is 5.9, 6.6. The Mediterranean 6.4 title, 9.6 gear up, which I think is a big price, but considering he'll go on the ground. Quick question for James. Bellocchio, his colour is roan. Is on the race card. Colt roan. It's unusual to see that now in a card, isn't it? They usually just call them grey, don't they?
It's kind of like a grey with a bit of brown spots kind of thing. But you normally, it kind of be, we've never had one called roan in our passport, to be fair. But maybe that's why it's Bellocchio. He's just standing out. And seeing him in the paddock, he's more grey, really, with a few little brown spots.
Yeah, it's not often you see them called roan now anymore.
You can hear Mr. Rodway chuckling away, because when it comes to greys, there's no greater expert of grey horses. When you did are greys the best jumpers?
Grey or roan?
He was convinced, wasn't he, Barry? Do you remember that greys were the best jumpers? He's thinking of Desi and all these.
There's no jumps. There's no jumps in this race, though.
One man, all that sort of thing. It turned out he was totally wrong. It was chestnuts that were the best, or something like that.
Chestnuts.
Did you do Rowans in there as well? Did you consider Rowans?
I did.
Maybe that would have bolstered your strike rate up a bit.
Maybe that's where I went wrong. Maybe I should have included Rowan and Gray. There's always a way you can fiddle these stats to make them sing the way you want, Dave.
Yeah,
And
you're
you gotta
turning
carry
into
the carry
Gandalf
the
by the
horse.
looks of you over there, aren't you? As they get older, they get a bit whiter, these horses. Certainly the way for the great white bear over there.
Well, we saw the old pass to get into the building, and it definitely does not look
The
like
lanyard. He's the
Rodway.
only one in the building. Let me just tell you, Barry. He's the only one in the building that wears his pass around his neck on a lanyard. He got told off once by the security guards. Ever since, it's been like a tattoo on him. And the producers had to remind him just before he went on air it was on. We all know who you are,
I should
mate.
have just worn it. It would have been better. Everyone would have known who I was.
Can I give you a word on the Mediterranean? The worst named horse running today, topically, the Mediterranean. He was an eye catcher last time. A lot of people
that out in the office.
I did. A lot of people weren't over the moon with the finishing ride on him. I wouldn't blame Shane Effingham for it. Some punters contacted me that I know and said, watch that back. He's not that vigorous on it. He didn't give him a hard time. It's a bit of a theme we've seen this year. Punters not been very happy about jockeys riding out, not just when the winner's flown and it's gone, but accepting your fate and horses idle, and we've seen the horses nearly
Funny
caught.
you should say that.
Stradivarius.
Funny you should say that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but Stradivarius yesterday, a lot of people were giving out about Frankie not riding out for third spot.
They were. Paul Keeley said this morning, I think Frankie wasn't mad on the play spot, basically. So, Frankie is... Barry, the first thing that springs to mind on that question is Frankie is known, isn't he? He has had a bit of stick over the years for once the bird has flown, shall we say, looking after a horse in a finish? I don't know. But a lot of punters who back Frankie each way and he finished fourth, he's easy to bash.
Yeah. I suppose probably not many actually backed Stradivarius each way.
He would have been in the place spot.
I think he should have been.
No, be place spot in the World Pool, I think.
Yeah.
Because they do all sorts of trifectas and that sort of thing. That it could have cost a lot of people money there.
He got some stick though, Barry, didn't he, on Twitter and etc. It was rough to see. We highlighted that on the show. Bruce Millington, who was on yesterday, said, I did what I told myself I wasn't going to do. I put in Frankie Dettori into Twitter straight afterwards, and look, you're going to get the unacceptable bile, aren't you, basically, from people that are just pocket talking and just wanting to be nasty, basically. But listen, the guy's ridden an incredible amount of Royal Ascot winners, and who are we to judge? He has, Stradivarius has got him out of trouble many, many times before, and horses seemingly did literally throw themselves backwards.
I think the thing that maybe rankles with punters is that it maybe Frankie doesn't get called out in the same way that some other riders would do when they do that. So other riders might get
untouchable,
criticised.
you mean? Yeah, okay, all right. Well, yeah, it is an interesting one. The Mediterranean...
some jockeys, when they're coming towards their end of career, are like that. I remember Christy Roach, when he was coming towards the end of his career, he was just kind of, if the race was gone, it was, it was just,
Richard Hughes had that reputation, Barry, as well, towards the end. Wasn't it great? Let's be more positive. Joe Fanning.
Oh, the jockeys came out. That shows you the esteem that Joe's held in, because you wouldn't be a nicer guy.
Would you have been out there in the days? Would you have gone running out? And...
Definitely. We've seen it twice. Adam Kirby as well in the Derby. You don't often see anyone, Jamie Moore, jump wides coming out, which that just shows you how big an esteem. Because Joe will always say hello, help anybody out. The smaller trainers, you put horses through the stalls. There's no all the Group 1s and the big races that Joe's won for Mark Johnson. He doesn't ever show that.
You really sense an etiquette between the guys as well, don't you?
Definitely.
It's a safety sort of thing, and I know that Richard Johnson, towards the latter stages, we've got Matty Batch back in the studio tomorrow, by the way. He told us a story that Dickie was like, now's a good time to be getting out. Some of the manoeuvres, these young guys are crazy. So did you find that?
To be fair, we didn't last long enough, but me and Fergus Sweeney once went to the start in my last year. He was the most experienced and I was the second most experienced, and there was 17 of us around Bath, and he did say, this isn't going to be much fun riding in this, because, £7 claimers when they start, like everyone, you're going to make mistakes, and a few of them do make a few manoeuvres that they probably shouldn't.
But it's an experienced game, isn't it? I've said on this show before, plenty. Franny Norton, Joe Fanning in particular Franny about 2 or 3 years ago. There's no one riding better than Franny Norton one time, because those split decisions, he's so fit now. The decisions, he could make them, and it was...
The experience. Kevin Manning, what a great ride that was on the first day of the meeting. Exactly the right place on Poetic Flair, kicked on at the right time, all that experience.
He rides the bends so well, Kevin Manning.
Whereas some other jockeys that are just starting out, you ride for your claim really quickly because you're riding horses that were handicapped. You're not really teaching or educating them because they know their job. Takes you 2-3 years just to master those basics. And like I say, experience counts for a lot, especially in these big races. 5
minutes till the Ascot Derby, then the King Edward VII Stakes. Have a look back at the Mediterranean. Let me know what you thought of it. This guy was penciled in straight afterwards by a lot of people for the Queen's Vase. Obviously, we know they have Wordsworth in that. Kyprios, who well gambled, didn't go in. So is this kind of where he fits in the pack? I'm not 100% sure. Let's have a look at Aidan O'Brien's record in this. In fact, let's give you the roll call and see what sort of horses do indeed win this. Pile Driver. Last year, do you remember that? Japan, the time before. Japan hopefully turns up in the Hardwick tomorrow. Old Persian, looking down, Eagle Top. Nathaniel, of course, probably the best winner of this 2011 in the last decade. And you'll notice only one Aidan O'Brien winner from 16 runners. So that suggests this is not high up the priority list.
What's surprising, only one Derby runner. You would have thought you had quite a few spares as such to wait for this, and this is the only representative he's got to the Mediterranean. It's just it does look a little bit on the weak side, the strength in depth wise. Gear up, like I say, he's got that heavy ground form.
He's going to lead.
You'd imagine he will do. Interesting, James Dora rides, not Ben Curtis on this occasion.
Tasman Bay's a horse that likes to get on with G as well, isn't he? So hopefully we'll get a nice solid pace here, won't we?
Yeah, hopefully. There's only 6 in it. Being a bit biased and having Tip Gear up, I do hope he gets a bit of an easy.
Bit of a solo.
But,
here's a question for you, G. Soft ground. Do you prefer horses? I mean, it's difficult to make all at Royal Ascot, isn't it? No matter what race you're in. Love was the obvious exception to that this week. Was she headed, Love?
No,
Was it made virtually. It was made all, was it?
Yeah.
We're going to say it's a made all. And on soft ground, do you get a bit more confident of something making all?
I prefer to be on the front end on soft ground, that's for sure.
I'm nodding in agreement.
Yeah, I think it's hard to make up a lot of ground from off the pace when it's very, very testing. Particularly sometimes as well, I think the jockeys go a little bit slower, which can suit those on the front end. So, yeah, I'm not a massive ground fan, as you know, Dave. I'm not one of these who lives and dies and punts on ground horses particularly, but obviously when it gets this extreme, you have to be giving it serious consideration, don't you?
Yeah, I'm delighted to hear that the liquidity, Barry, after the will they, won't they. You know, people probably making alternative plans. Let's just get down to the pub early before the England game or whatever they're doing on this Friday, haven't taken a day off. Now they can enjoy a splendour of Royal Ascot. Looks like the liquidity is getting strong now on this race, the second here on RP Live.
Yeah, over nearly 1.2 million matched in this so far. The will they, won't they liquidity. There was 100 grand matched in that Will Racing Go Ahead market that we put up this morning when we saw the rain. Would you believe? No was matched at a low of 1 to 8, 1.12, and yes for the meeting to go ahead was matched at a high of 11 to 2.
I think that was Lee Mottershead.
Well, I was about to say we'll be hearing from Lee. We will be hearing from Lee after after the Commonwealth Cup. Get that right, Dave. We'll be hearing from Lee, and it's going to be an interesting call. We've been lucky enough to have the front running Chris Cook the next 2 days. Lee's going to be bringing us all the colour, and someone. I can't remember who it was. Lee Mottershead's moving the market. You know, he's the only man that seemingly knew at the time. You know, he's always the first one in the press room.
Yeah, it was that tweet where he said heavily against racing going on.
And no more positive mood, he said, and it started sliding all over the place, didn't it? Absolutely. But listen, it looks like the rain has stopped a little bit at Ascot now, doesn't it, from what we can see? They are down at the start before the 3:05. A very good luck wherever you're going. How's your week been going? Are you approaching this behind the sofa? Have you had any bets, say, for example, yesterday, thinking, well, it's not that bad, the rain is not going to have that much rain? Let us know. Thank goodness we didn't have a 10. Listen, a 10-race card would have been fun tomorrow, wouldn't it? Let's face it, but it would have taken some
Stuff
going.
just gets lost, doesn't it?
It does.
There's 10 races, quality races. You don't have time to reflect, and you don't have time to give it proper attention to the races that are coming up. I just sent you something there, Dave. The rail movements, Ascot have just sent out the how they've realigned the rails off the back of the going. So I'm sure James has it there as well if you want to let your viewers know.
Okay, I'll pick it up. You got it, James?
I haven't.
You sent it to me. I bet he sent it to me on WhatsApp. I'm not supposed to be going onto my phone, Barry.
Did, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the running rails on the round course have been realigned before racing on Friday. The rail is about 7 yards out around Swinley Bottom and around 7 yards out around the bend, turning into the straight where it finishes in the cutaway. The stalls for the Old Mile will be brought forward approximately 40 yards. So the following distances are affected. The 3:05, which is this race, is a plus 22 yards. The 4:20 is plus 33 yards, and the 5:35 is plus 22 yards.
Thank you, Barry Orr. So it's going to be more of a test, basically, as they go out in search at a better ground. Off then, they are running for the 3:05, the Ascot Derby. We know you're all out there. We'll get your socials after this race. Do not worry about that. Hopefully, you'll be 2 from 2. Let us know. Who's going to lead then? We said Tasman Bay might be up there. Bellocchio, the fine.
Pinocchio's there.
Pinocchio is going forward. Tasman Bay takes the lead. The Mediterranean, Ryan Moore, widest of all. Isn't that interesting? Gear Up, electing to take a nice lead at the moment on the inside. Title, there's that head garage. Is it inexperienced? I'm hoping so. Perhaps a tad fresh, and definitely the keenest of all, under restraint, is Alan Carr. James Millman, after a couple of furlongs. How are we thinking this will play out?
Well, G-Rod's probably disappointed. Gear Up has been slotted in behind and not going particularly quick. Alencar's keen. You mentioned the head carriage. It's a bit high on Old Title, and Ryan's now come back in again on the Mediterranean.
Okay, you can see the market developing in front of your eyes there. So, Barry, let's go to you. Bellocchio, he's looking good.
Yeah, he's currently 6.2. It's not far off his SP. The favourite, though, is out to over 2 to 1 now, 3.05. 6.8 Title, 5.7 the Mediterranean, and Gear Up is out to 12.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't look like that. He's that happy to me. Gear up. Is this winner getting? Is this leader getting a freebie out in
Looks
front?
that way, doesn't he? And he's getting a little bit clear as well here, Dave, isn't he? One's going the Bari route over on the far side, Tasman Bay.
Probert. He's won the first. He thinks he can do anything. He's going
confidence.
under. He's not quite the
They're all
Carson
going
route,
that
is
route.
it? Yeah. Okay. So just Bellocchio, SDS sticking to the inside. In
Yeah,
fact,
he's leading them
now
all
he
across.
moves over as well. Don't want to know that rail then. Basically, going for the quicker ground. That'll be something. Don't worry about high numbers then this afternoon on the round course. Even more so. G, how do you think the favourite's going?
Well, just looking at the sectionals, it's slow the whole way, which is suggests there's going to be a real fast finish here. Kicking off the front, Sylvester on Bellocchio. Is he
Yes,
here?
he is, absolutely. So
Trying to steal
Title
it.
now drops to the back. This gear up, he's going to have to find something, isn't he? Mediterranean, outpaced, he looks in trouble. Alan Carr, okay,
Seeing a
going
little bit
well,
from
going to need to
Carr.
make up the ground. Title out the back. Where are they going out the home straight? SDS
Oh,
once again goes far side. He's looked like he's in trouble now. Tasman Bay takes his measure. Okay,
Here
what we
comes
got?
the
Here
Fav.
comes Alan Carr. Gear up in there. Oh, he's tough gear up, isn't he? What's Title going to find? Absolutely loves the ground, but has he left it too late? The Mediterranean sunk today. Bellocchio coming back for a bit more. Gee, what do you reckon?
I think the Fav's got it. Alan Kerr's quickening up well. He's going clear, I think, Dave.
This is gear up, trying his best to do it. Title, he's not good enough today. Tasman Bay's won another cracker, but he's found one too good. Go collect. He beat the Derby winner. Is he special? Alan Carr makes it second race doubles and 2 days running for Mr. William Haggis. Tom Marquand off the mark for the week. You can't keep Aussie Tom down. Fair play, Mr. Millman. Kept it simple. You knew.
Yeah, heavy ground, not a problem. And I think he is a decent horse. He just kept on galloping. He's come from a fair way behind because I think Tom wanted to track gear up, and gear up, for whatever reason, didn't make the running. And it just meant he was a bit further behind than he anticipated.
Yes. I mean, it was a funny race to watch, G, wasn't it?
It was. Just wonder. Well, they went slow. And then the winner came from last, having pulled.
Yeah.
Now, either the winner's very, very good, or maybe they're just a little bit slower because of the ground.
I'm going to suggest the form up. What do you think, Barry? And how high did he go in running? Was anyone worried at any stage?
Yeah, I don't think he pulled that hard. Did he really? That Tasman Bay hit a low at 2.2 in running. But
I think he got a great ride the second.
Low at 2.5, would you believe? And the winner hit a high of only 4.1. 4.1, he'd a Betfair SP at 2.73, so near double his SP he's traded. But yeah, it was a messy sort of race, wasn't it? They didn't know where they wanted to be, really.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the next race on the round course, how much the feedback those jockeys that have ridden in the Ascot Derby, the King Edward VII, the 305, as we're calling it, are feeding back. Tell you what, Probert must have been making some high-pitched noises there, but not as much as Enzo. Enzo would have been a disaster. You know, he's his biggest fan out there. He must have gone, I'm going to go 2 from 2, he must have been thinking, but not to be. Tasman Bay bumped into John Leaper last time. John Leaper completely blew out in the Derby. This is the fun of this flat racing game, isn't it? You definitely got to give him another chance when you're back in a less buzzy affair.
He got awful ride in the Derby, ignored John Leaper's run.
Frankie giving something an awful ride.
It was an absolute shocker. It was not great, but never mind. Yeah, Tasman Bay, I thought David Probert had him in the best place, to be fair. He got first run, just not good enough to beat our winner, who has seen out that distance pretty well. You'd imagine he would be a St Ledger type as well, perhaps going forward. Alan Kerr, who certainly won that nicely.
Interesting. An older flug. You were wondering how you were going to base your article about why German horses seem to handle the stamina sapping conditions best. He's surely a template now.
Yeah, there's the first instalment, the first paragraph of that new piece, Dave, isn't it? Already written.
You wonder how he does it.
Alan Kerr won the King Edward, the sire Alder Flug, by a German mare, Wild Blossom out of a German mare, so a real German pedigree.
Deutsch through and through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good thing if you're back November later on. Obviously, the German horses love testing ground, but we don't know why, Dave. Well, maybe we do.
Well, we're getting to know why, as you'd like to think you'd hope for here on Racing Post Live, wouldn't you? 2 races down, thrilled to be telling you on this will they, won't they day. He's in the King George, he's in the Arc as well, this chap. And I don't know, you could use Tasman Bay as a decent yardstick there, couldn't you? And he's come from last to first in a messy race. He was a bit keen early, but I think Barry's right. He settled nicely going onto the far side anyway. Let us know who was with it. I'm sure plenty of you were out there.
At Ascot, Dave, that 1.5 miles, they go downhill, don't they, early on in the race and down into Swindley Bottom, and I think it can light a lot of horses up. You know, it's not just Alan Kerr, the one that
SDS had a bit of a shocker there.
You keep on about this, don't you?
At Ascot.
This is one of your bugbears, isn't it, Dave?
Well, well, I'm not quite like the bear that can be poked with this, but has he had a winner this week? He got very close, didn't he? I'd much prefer him on the straight track, SDS, let's put it that way.
When you're the leader, you've got no judgment to follow as such. And I think sticking to the inside, that wasn't the best move because the rails are pretty wide anyway, so it's kind of chucking you out into the middle.
Horse has actually run well. He did his best to come back, didn't he?
Yeah, and just down the back straight, he's gone over slightly later than the others to the far side. I don't think he was good enough, to be honest. Barry is well behind
Barry was
the
annoyingly right about Title, who of course I backed each way down to 6.
The Mediterranean absolutely flew in the last half furlong.
Just like it did last time.
Did he?
It got outpaced at the vital stage and it
He's
just got going too late.
Forever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You see
maybe
why people thought Queen's Vase over mile 6 for him, can't you?
Maybe
after
the
that last one?
Ledger, maybe not good enough for the Ledger, but he's certainly going to be better over further the Mediterranean.
Yes, maybe we'll see him at Glorious Goodwood then, or York or something like that for a Ledger trial. Okay, that was the 3:05. We must move on. It's Group 1 time here. Let's the cream rise here on RP Live. Myself, Dave Orton, James Millman, Graeme, Rodway, and of course Barry Orr, my sparring partner all week. It's been a long week, Barry, but we're still loving it, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a great week, isn't it? Takes a bit of getting the trip all right, but once you get into your rhythm, Dave, it'll see us over the line.
Have you got a juicy one today, Barry? You must have looked at the cards tomorrow as well.
Yeah, no, I fancy one today, and it's coming up here, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, for Aldo McGuinness. Yeah, A Case of You. This is the one. I've backed this myself now today as well. I've a few quid on it, and I think he'll run really, really well. It's all about horses that are going to go on the ground here, Dave, and he's one of them. He's a horse that I really, really like. He got it from John McConnell's. Ado McGuinness did. He's only one bad run for him, and that was behind Poetic Claire when they stepped him up to 7 furlongs. He seemed to hang that day. It was good ground as well, which was a little bit against him. But the form of his win before that in Dundalk, when he beat Logo Hunter, who's basically the best sprinter in Ireland, and when he gets to test his mettle against the best in the UK, he might be far off them. Logo Hunter. So A Case of You put him in his place in Dundalk. Had that bad run behind Poetic Flare. And when I say a bad run, he's only beaten 9 lengths behind Poetic Flare. They made him 7-4 favourite that day, would you believe, in Leopardstown with the Guineas winner. And he went to Nace's last time out in the Lac in a really good run. He stayed on best of everything. It was on soft ground, which he's shown a preference for, actually, even when he was with John McConnell. I think he's a horse really going in the right direction. He's drawn 15 here, which I really like as well. It's going to be, they're going to come up the centre, aren't they? And he'll be just on the wing. He'll get a bit of cover. And the trip is ideal for him as well. So A Case of You for me, please, G-Rod. We're going to back at winning place. He's currently 11, so we're going to have 25 quid on the win, and we're going to have 25 quid in the 4 places. Happy to be a price taker here. So blue to back. 25 quid at 11, which is 10-1, so he'll win us 250 quid there. And then we're going to look in the 4-place market as well, where he's currently trading at 248, which is 6-4, so we'll have 25 quid in them there as well to win about, 27.50, to win about 30 quid, yeah.
Oh, now we're cooking with gas here on Racing Post Live. Thank you, Graeme Rodway. Thank you, Barry Orr, an expert case made for A Case of You. Paul Keeley, top tips at Racing Post. Having a great week, Paul, as he really fancies this as well. Yeah, let's just talk to you about 2 things with this, Barry, of the questions. We did a great piece with Ado last week. He was confident. He wanted the rain, didn't he? And stall 15, you're still thinking after that first race in that Albany, probably a good place to be, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place to be in that they're going to come up the centre of the track, aren't they? But not too. He's perfectly positioned for that. Horses on his inside, there's 3 of them non-runners. Supremacy was drawn 19. Sacred, that was drawn 20. And Method, that was drawn 17. So there's 3 horses that potentially were going to be on his inside that aren't going to be there now. There are 3 non-runners. There's 6 non-runners, it must be mentioned here. Leaves us with a field of 15. So, yeah, I think he's going to get a nice clean run in this race. And Ronan Whelan's a jockey who I highly rate as well. And I think he's going to announce himself on the Royal Ascot stage today.
Lovely, because a few people would have been wondering about that. Not a problem. The pilot on top. So there you go. A case made of you for Barry Orr. Okay, coming out of 15. That's the 1 horse in this. I've got one of my anti-post plays coming in this, and it is Swayzer. And I was delighted when I heard that the rain was coming. I must say, this is a filly from France. We always usually get a couple of international winners, don't we? it's usually the Coronation Stakes, which follows this, that throws up a French winner or two. However, I think this will be it. I must be honest, if you'd have told me this was going to go off around about the 5-2 mark a week ago, I would have thought you were pretty much potty. Yes, we've got some non-runners, but the ground, it's a great leveller, isn't it? And that would have to be a slight worry for Campanelle, of course, last year's Queen Mary winner, and Dragon Symbol as well. Although he went close on heavy ground last time, we thought that might have got him beat at Haydock. So, look, she's the headline tip. I think she's a bit of a bonkers prize. But from stall 8, William Buick on, loving that. I'm really impressed by William Buick this season so far. And we know she'll go on it. She is the best sprinter in the France. So she will do for me. Vive la France, Mr. Millman.
I echo the Orton sentiments.
But this is something this is...
A few things we have
The more
agreed
you
on.
come on, the more so you see
I
sense,
don't know,
man.
whether just like osmosis. Maybe my thoughts, we'll see what happens. But I just thought that 4 wins. Heavy ground wins at Chantilly as a 2-year-old, which has got to be an advantage for today's ground conditions. And she's done absolutely nothing wrong. And Luana, who she beat last time by 3 lengths, went on to win a listed race subsequently. And there's huge ground question marks against her rivals, and that's what I was key. Although, a case of you, Barry's put on a real good point, actually, because Loga Hunter at Dundalk, he beat that horse 3 lengths, and Loga Hunter's very highly regarded over in Ireland in the sprint division and was favourite against Poetic Flair. So I think a case of you is overpriced, but I think Suesa's still going to be our winner, if that makes sense.
Do you know what? It is osmosis.
It's just
We are
flowing.
in tandem. The nearer we sit, thank goodness you're not sitting there, because if I had osmosis with you, I'd be in all sorts of trouble. Well, come on, who's going to end the hoodoo? If you've not been, you've had a little break, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've had a little break.
Refreshed.
And we have a hoodoo going on at the moment. Now, G, if you've been following in the paper or on the app or anything like that, or in the Pricewise Extra and stuff like that, which he does, he's been absolutely on fire. However, on this show, we're enduring a little bit of a cold spell, aren't we, G? What's going to get you back off the moon? What's going to end the voodoo hoodoo in the...
Well, I'm not sure it's going to be this race, but the horse that I fancy is Isabella Giles.
No.
Now, I've been on this show for the last...
Last time I worked with you, you put out this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Slavish devotion was something Paul Keeley said that is a punter's problem to me this morning. And this is a fine case of slavish devotion.
I love Isabella Giles. I just think she's got loads of ability. And for some reason, she's not really shown it this year. Now, James last time out, when I tipped it on the thing, said maybe she's not trained on. But I know that I don't always believe in that. I just believe that horses essentially can always run to a certain level. I mean, let's be honest, this horse ran to 109, right, at an RPR for as a 2-year-old, right?
Is that the Rockfell?
When she won, at Newmarket. Yeah, now, she cannot have got any worse, surely. Now, when you're talking about horse not trained on, you're talking about horses who have basically, the others have caught her up and gone past her, right? But she must still be capable of at least reproducing that 109
I
performance.
counter that with 2 names off the top of my head. Thunder Moon. What's happened to him? And Wembley.
Hold on, he's only run twice. They've only run a couple
Wembley.
of times.
Come on, man. Wembley's not. He has gone.
Well, you don't give him much chance, do you, Dave? They've only run a couple of times. They might come back and win 3 Group 1s.
I'm
You've
definitely
seen
not.
Aidan do it
I'm not as
before.
forgiving as you are. Let's see if you're forgiving out there. When we go back to this. So G is sticking with the project of Isabella Giles to get him off the cold list. Can we say that? Off the cold list. Let's see who's coming on. Who have we got? Frizzy Red joins us back. Oh, okay. You're all with the bear.
Yes, Frizzy.
Isabella Giles.
Like it.
Next each way. There would be some irony here for Clive Cox. He's not having the greatest of weeks. He's pulled out what he thought was his best horse for a long time in Supremacy.
Well, and Diligent Harry as well.
And Diligent Harry has come out. He's got a big player tomorrow, by the way, but I'll get to that.
And what about Hector Crouch
Hector
as well?
Crouch, surefire, who we screamed over Bruce Millington in the last race here on RP Live yesterday. So Frizzy Red, don't tell me I'm coming around to Isabella Giles. She's certainly got her ground. Hugh Masson comes back on. Been with us all week, Hugh, and you say, got a double rolling onto Sueza, but I like Jumbie in the 5-place market. Where is Jumbie, Barry, in the 5-place market?
5 place. We've as many as 6 places here, actually, Dave. But Jumbie in the 5-place market is 2.30, so around the 11 to 8 mark.
104 rated now, Jumbie. Is that sort of no man's land for Jumbie coming out of handicap?
I really liked him on the back of that Newmarket win. I think he's better on quicker ground.
Worked out well, that form, isn't it?
Very, very strong form. The creative force form previously when he was finished third at the Guineas meeting, that's worked out well. He's a very, very nice horse, and going into the race, I thought he could make that step up into a group horse at least. I just am concerned about the ground with Jumbie, but I think 5 places, I wouldn't put you off there, Hugh.
For a team that have hit the board already this week, Charles Bishop and Eve Johnson-Houghton. Chipotle. We had to listen to the phonetic saying of that. Chipotle, lots of people call it. Chipotle. It's chipotle. It's a sizzling chili. Did you know that, G?
I did know it was a sizzling chili, but I thought it was a chipotle.
Well, you're one of the people out there that's been wrong all your life.
You're not the first person who's told me
Makes
that.
me surprised to hear this.
Dave.
Dragon Symbol, G. Let's go back to that, of course, because ahead, obviously, of Isabella Giles, and he covered a lot of ground in the Sandy Lane Stakes, which is a strong trial for this. Rohan, of course, the winner, who picked him just on the post, goes for the Wokingham tomorrow. He's a gelding. He can't run in this. Dragon Symbol. Surely they'd have wanted the ground to stay more. They know he acts on it, but it's not ideal for him, is it?
Don't know.
Yes, Paul Keeley was erring on this side.
Because, yes, he was very good on fast ground at Hamilton, but on Racing Post ratings, his best performance of his career.
But that's
was on
because he
heavy
went into the
ground.
strong company, isn't it? Ratings can be a bit of a red
You
herring
must
on
think
that.
he's very good then, Dave.
I think he's very good. And I
You
think
must think on good to firm ground, he's capable of running how much better than 112, which he got on heavy ground.
I think he's a serious horse.
Connections.
I think he's
a
Diamond
serious
Jubilee
horse.
horse next year for sure. I think after Haydock they'd have gone, we get some slightly better ground. If you remember at Haydock, in what probably was worse ground than this, I'm hearing, I think Tom Segal was making that case, wasn't he, for Dragon Symbol. Whether that's quite the case now, I'm not sure. But he handled it fine, but he came out and jinxed slightly, and he explored. Who was on that day?
Adam McNamara.
Adam McNamara, of course, because it's the one meeting rule, wasn't it? Holly was in Ireland.
O'Sheen had to ride the Learjet.
Okay, yes.
And he's got off the
O'Sheen
Learjet
has
today.
won on this before. He's back on. He's chasing what's he on now? 2 winners, isn't he, O'Sheen Murphy?
Yep.
For the week.
Leading Japanese owner as well, this one.
Will it be this chap? That's the question. He explored a Stansrail run, and then he changed his mind and joined him back. And remember we argued
Yes.
about whether it had cost him the win by going zigzaggy. I said it definitely did. Would you think it cost him that?
Nose. What's that? Absolutely
And he's gone that way and that way. It must have cost him, right?
yeah.
He wasn't so sure. He thought, I think he's had every. You thought he had every chance, didn't you, basically?
I thought he had every chance to win, and he didn't. But
When it's that finer margin, it's got to add up. Just travelling that extra bit of distance, if he kept in a straight line, he would have won, I think. But the ground, O'Sheen's been saying all week, he didn't win any rain.
I suppose it's that thing of saying if Dave and I were in a race, for example, and Dave runs straight and I run zigzag, I wouldn't.
You're
beat
still
him.
going to win. I don't know. Well, maybe. All right, let's go down a couple of more. So, Dragon Symbol. Who's keeping the faith? Serious animal, isn't he? Lovely looking animal. What's he? He's a grey, isn't he? I think, isn't he? Is he a grey or a roan? Yeah, he's a grey. We
on
can
a
call
Cable
him
Bay.
grey. He's a Graeme Rodway. From stall 18, and he won't be too far away. Could he give a lead to a Case of You, Barry Orr's strong pick in this race? There are some others that are interesting. Measure of Magic, Barry, for Johnny Murtagh, who Dave Jennings, our Irish Supreme, I spoke to him this morning, and he thinks Murtagh's going to have a strong end to the meeting.
Yeah, I think he brought 8 horses over or something, Johnny. Obviously, it was the mare that ran earlier on in the week was one of his primary chances. But yeah, again, Measure of Magic's form ties in with Logo Hunter beating Navan by 3/4 of a length, and then won in Cork, won a listed fillies race in Cork when it was well fancied to do so. Won that quite easily as well. But the ground, I'd say, could be the concern for her. Last time, yeah, she got a couple of bad runs on soft ground, Dave. One particular one when she was relatively short behind Chief Little Hawk in the Ballyhane Stakes in Nace. She was fancy that day. She was around 11-2 chance, and she could only finish 5th. So Manista finished in front of her again that day as well.
This is a bit of a Princess Zoe then, Barry. Just not ideal ground, but rolling the dice. Didn't she run an absolute stormer again, Barry? She's back, isn't she? A word for the second in the Gold Cup yesterday. All roads lead back to the Cadran, or will they come and have a crack at Goodwood now, maybe?
You wouldn't know with them. The owner, he's he's definitely a glass half full sort of guy, Paddy Keogh. And last year he said, geez, he felt he would have won the Arc if she had been allowed to take her chance instead of the Cardan. So it came up soft in October in Longchamp. The way they are, they could run her in the Arc, you know. But it's hard to see her winning an Arc, obviously. But they are very, very positive people. So I'd say maybe Goodwood next with her, yeah. And ultimately, back to Paris. What race she contests in Paris remains to be seen.
Yeah, Arc weekend then for the wonderful Princess Zoe. Johnny Martel's got great belief, isn't he, in the Sandringham at 5 o'clock, and the fancied Miran as well in our last race, and the Duke of Edinburgh handicap, the older horse, back over the mile 4. Okay, 5,000 to 1. Sylvester de Souza back on the straight course. SDS in the colours. They've got so many colours. They took out, of course, sprint races last year at the meeting. 5,000 to 1. First time out. Balding's having a great week.
I think they were worried he might need it. But that 7th in the GS was a pretty solid run. He didn't seem to quite get home. He just tired in that last 110 yards. I think dropping back to 6 would suit. A shame we haven't seen him out this season already. But I thought he was another one that's overpriced. He's around about 19s there, 5,000 to 1. But I do think he might just have missed a bit of work, and it might be a run short going into this.
He was a well-built 2-year-old, from my memory as well. I remember when he won at Newcastle, he looked like a bit of a lengthy old chap. But this is the kind of horse, G, isn't it, that has succeeded in this race in the past. They tried to stretch him out as a 2-year-old, as a Guineas horse. Maybe would he have come back in something like, I don't know, at a Craven or something like that, and then they can drop back for this race. That's why it's such a great invention.
Yeah, it's a great race. I remember I did a bit of Saturday jury service with Sylvester de Souza. We ran a feature in the Racing Post, the Racing Saturday jury, and Sylvester was on it the weekend when 5,000 to 1 was second behind Alchemate in Newbury. Yeah. He was very confident of a big run that day. He seemed to hold 5,000 to 1 in extremely high regard. Alchemate eventually just brushed him aside, but I remember the front two came well clear of the third, and like you say, he only ran once more, and that was when he was 7th in the Dewhurst. They've evidently looked after him, Dave. I think they think quite a bit of him.
That was the Mill Reef, of course, at Newbury, wasn't it? And Alchemate was a proper 2-year-old, that's for sure. Marcus Tregonning, of course, who won on the show yesterday as well. Okay, let's get some social interaction up. Which viewer comes on? And Tom Barras comes back to the show and says, I can't believe everyone... Oh, yes, here we go. I can't believe everyone is ignoring Lipizzaner. I struggle to say that word because it's been a painful project for me and many others out there. For Aidan, in first-time blinkers, got good form on heavy ground. Dave Jennings put this up to me this morning. He said it's a crazy, crazy price. Lipizzaner. Oh, my goodness. Heavy ground winner at Doncaster. He was beaten at this meeting last year from memory, wasn't he? Yeah, he was 4th in the Norfolk. Well fancy for that. If you remember, he got beaten by Poetic Flair, first time up in the maiden that was then a catalyst for lockdown, basically. He came back and was beaten by Lucky Vega on fast ground. He's a nutcase, Barry Lipizzaner, isn't he? First time blinkers, though, and Ryan Moore.
Yeah, he's to turn it around on that Lacken run with the horse that I fancy in it, a Case of You. He's 6 lengths to find with him. Went off 5-2 favoured in Nace, but was very disappointing on the soft ground. Just looking at what Ryan Moore says about him, he's ground versatile, he reckons. He thought he had an each way chance, and hopefully the first time blinkers will sharpen him up. But that seems a little bit of a cry for help to me, so I'd look elsewhere of the Irish contingent.
It's a scream for help, I think, absolutely. But if there's one horse that might just respond to the first-time blinkers, I backed him when he was beaten behind Measure of Magic on his return. I was certain this. All right, Lipizzaner, big 2-year-old, 3-year-old. This is his time. He definitely shirked the issue.
Blinkers first time, though, because I have a bit of an obsession with when O'Brien puts different headgears on, because he has massively varying success, like with different types of headgear. Like first time cheek pieces is not great. Second time cheek pieces isn't bad. It's when he takes cheek pieces off after they've been on the first time, it's quite good. But first time cheek pieces is bad. First time blinkers, 14%. 13 winners from 92, 14% since 2016. It's not bad.
The way that you were getting passionate through that, I would suggest it's an unhealthy obsession that you've got.
Well, he's got so many horses, And there's so many different types of headgear. Do you want me to run you through them, Dave?
Not really.
Blinkers, hood, blinkers first time, blinkers tongue
Ruler of the
tie.
World was the big fashionable cheap pieces became all of a sudden, didn't they? The Derby winner.
It's generally they're not quite good enough, so he's trying to try something to make him Group 1 horses.
This one is definitely a thinker though, Lipizzaner. Thomas, I'll tell you what, Tom, I'm fearing Lipizzaner. This would be a massive cliff for me if Lipizzaner went and did it. Let's talk about Campanella a bit more. Probably the highlight, I've said this plenty, but the highlight of last year, I think on the flat season, one of the absolute highlights was not just Wes Ward coming over in such trying circumstances, but that he managed to get one on the board. I thought it was so important. She also went to Derville and won, didn't she, of course, in France. She beat Hernando Prado, the commentary winner. Soft ground, not a problem for her. This is the one horse that Wes has not been worried about the rain for, obviously. Is she a solid price now because of all the weight of support G for Sueza?
Campanelle, a good price. Yeah, I suppose you could argue she won on soft ground at Deauville, and that looked a really strong race, didn't it? That was it the Pre-Morney she won against the Colts.
She was going to be favourite for this, wasn't she, basically? For a
Yeah.
long time anti-post favourite.
So it's fair to say she probably handled the ground, given she ran well in that race on soft ground in France, which would have been fairly testing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they tried her over a mile, didn't they?
That's
in
her
the Breeders'
sole
Cup.
defeat.
That's
Yeah, sole
ridiculous.
defeat. She had no chance of
What do you think?
staying.
That was two Wes to do that, two
That
Wes
was just
Ward.
stupid because like we've actually trained a few of the relatives and they were out and out 5 furlong sprinters. Gladiatrix, who's a half sister to the dam Janina, she actually is a dam of a Warrior Brave who runs in the 5 at the end of the card, and she wouldn't get a mile in a horse box. I have no idea why they were running it, but she actually ran well. She finished 4th. I just worry stretching her out to a mile.
We've not seen her since, either.
How much damage that did, because she would have had to go through the pain barrier and that stamina.
No
ran
winners
out.
this week yet.
No winners yet.
The interesting
Wesley.
thing, though, for Dave, is that everyone associates Wes Ward with winning with juveniles at Royal Ascot, which of course he does have plenty of winners with Royal Ascot, but it's actually been more profitable to back his older horses at the meeting.
2 of which should have won.
I think 3.
Have they? Okay.
You had Jamie Spencer and the Sandringham.
Yeah, that's why
That was
probably,
a
isn't it?
huge
Conte
profit
to
price.
Pitaro.
Yeah,
I
but-
didn't know that
But
name.
you would have lost a huge amount on backing his juveniles blind, but for Strike the Tiger. who
Twi-
was 33 to
Twilight Gleaming ran very well, didn't she?
Unlucky a little
Queen
bit.
Mary?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think so? And Lucci, although he was 5th, he was only beaten a length yesterday in the
Yeah,
North.
she's probably a bit unlucky, that Twilight, because Quick Susie was very impressive, but she did come up that rail, didn't she? And it did look a bit of a highway. I know.
Drawn in stall 1 last year when she won the Queen Mary. Do you remember what he called a brilliant ride from Frankie Dettori, who is back on? She's in 14 here, so lots of options with Campanelle. She came from behind that day as well. Frankie said, I'm not going to lead from stall 1. Wise move.
It's funny that, obviously he has his horses ponied down to the start, Wesley Ward, like they do in the US. And one of the horses that was ponying down was, of course, Strike the Tiger
the very
himself. The
I
one
think
who
that's him
that
on
might
our
well be
screens
him
now.
on screen now, ponying down Campanelle. So it's great to see Strike the Tiger still around. Obviously, an absolute breakout horse for Wes Ward, wasn't he? The first winner for him at Royal
Yeah, he's
Ascot.
jealous again and strike it.
That was when they literally
2009, wasn't it?
5 lengths from the gates and they
And we were all like, oh. I think I actually
Has
chanced one.
has the Rag of the Field any chance? Happy Romance, currently trading at 90. Remember the purple patch?
I think the
that had
ground.
as a 2-year-old.
Yeah. All the rags are interesting, Barry, for one reason or another. In fact, we've got to talk about them. Happy Romance, such a likeable filly, James, but the ground would be of some concern. They tried to stretch her out, didn't they? But she's got great attitude. She's in 7. No, absolutely not, Barry. It's that sort of race.
But she has been an on-runner a couple of times now due to soft and heavy ground. She was taken out.
Yeah.
But they're taking their chance here with her, which is, like, for a horse that doesn't owe them anything, she's won nearly $250,000 in prize money already.
It's kind
In a
of
big
the
sales race in York. It's a bit strange.
owners are already there. Have a day out kind of thing, I suppose. I'm not sure. Just for that was the worry for me because actually she won the sales race at York on good to soft, but like I say, she's been taken out a couple of times because of the ground.
She's drawn in 7, and right next to her is the Mighty Gurkha. I love the Mighty Gurkha. He's done me so many favours. He's such a trier. And,
He is a proper fast horse, isn't he? Mighty Gurkha?
you know what? He was unlucky as well on All Weather Champions Day not to beat Diligent Harry.
No.
He was.
No.
James,
No,
this is
no,
why
no,
you didn't ride
no,
Renfield very well. I'm telling
No,
you.
no.
If you
No.
when you make your Spencer-like comeback, come to me and I will tell you how
Tell
to
me how to
ride
ride it.
All Weather.
I will be
tracks,
I will
right?
be all ears, but no way was that unlucky.
It was unlucky, James.
No.
She had to. Do you remember it? I backed it. I'm telling you, it was unlucky. She had to fire it from the gates, and then she stuck to that far rail. That costed at least a length. Kirby was brilliant that day.
2 lengths. Diligent Harry was a different class. Different class.
All right, match
Can't be
race,
having
please.
that.
Who's
Can't be
going to
having
win? We know. Okay, Marty Gurka, very interesting. Did run at the meeting last year. Didn't come
Lost
up.
the plot a bit last year, I think.
He's a definite pace angle, isn't he, Mighty Gurka?
Go on.
And right next to Happy Romance, so she'll appreciate that. We've got the Learjet in there as well, and Dandala. Okay, so we're talking about proper course specialists there.
Whether she's trained on, like the Isabella Giles, and they blame the heavy ground when she was last at 6 at Haydock. She went off a bit hard early, but that wasn't great. I'll ask Barry, actually, because the Irish one, Law of Indices, has been consistent.
Yeah, real interesting runners. He'd 2 in the race. He'd Miss Amulet as well, who wanted like the road, so they took her out. But Law of Indices won the Railway Stakes in the Curragh last year as a 2-year-old at 66-1. And he's a horse that has gears. I'm just as scared that, like, that was unyielding ground in the Curragh. I'm just scared that the heavy ground, the real heavy ground, will find him out. But what a great trainer. Massive time for the trainer, Ken Condon.
Yeah,
He's
lovely bloke, isn't he?
Lovely bloke, but top trainer. When he gets the right materials, he
Classic
really knows how to
winning
make them
trainer,
shine.
Barry. Yeah, of course,
Classic winning
Romanised.
trainer. Yeah, that's right. Not without a chance, James. Definitely not without a chance. Just the massive concern for the ground.
Muniesta, rated £5 below that one, Barry.
Yeah, that's the lacking form as well there. So I'm kind of betting that the horse that I've backed can, a case of you, can go on and confirm the lacking with Muniesta as well.
Okay, and the Learjet is quite interesting because he ran really well on his return, I thought. I had him down as a certainty not to train on. And he gave Chindit a right fright, didn't he, of course, in the Greenham. And then they messed him, I don't want to say they messed him around, but they were going to go to France, weren't they? Do you remember? And then they came to heavy ground here. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise. Don't forget he came good at the meeting last year.
He did. He looked a little bit of a live wire when he won.
Golden Pal, who Wes Ward says is going to be the greatest horse I've ever trained.
Yeah, Rohan, he ran a shocker, didn't he, in the Sandy Lane.
Beaten favourite that day he was.
And O'Sheen's actually got off him.
Well, Kieran Fallon's back on, isn't he? He was due to ride him in France. That was the quarantine issue. Remember that story there? Look, this is a seriously deep race, isn't it? Hope you've enjoyed the preview so far. I think we've talked now about every single one, so that hoodoo will not be happening.
I think we're going to see a star here, Dave.
If there is one today, I think it will be Sueza, but I've got to be honest. I wouldn't be touching it at that price.
You think you'd see a star on this ground?
I think, well, that was the thing that they were hoping, that she'd improve for the better ground. But she is...
I'm just saying, yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean, Barry. Are we going to see like a Lady Aurelia type performance where she just goes absolutely miles clear? Yeah, not in this race. But I think, are there star sprinters in here? Yes.
Yeah. Agree.
You've got quite a few that they could go on and be better. Campanile only got beat once because she stretched over a mile too far. Dragon Symbol lost his record, apparently due to the heavy ground, which is what we're going to get again today.
You're excited, Millman.
This is a good. I think I prefer this to the Coronation, to be honest. The new race, it works well.
For you, it's Commonwealth Day.
Yeah,
it's got a better ring to it.
I would,
doesn't it?
Because it's a race now. People are planning in the winter.
Both associated with Liz, of course. So no problems.
She's happy.
HRH, we're all good there.
Yeah, and you can get a true champion. And I think Suesa, like I said, interestingly, thought she wanted quicker ground, but she's got that form already on the surface, a little bit like Dragon Symbol. So fascinating racing prospects.
I'm a bit old-fashioned, Dave, when it comes to Ascot. I tend to prefer the races on the round track than the straight track. I find sometimes they can end up all over the shop on the straight track. Don't always get the right result.
Well, I guess in the group,
I suppose you can argue.
Both messy for different reasons, aren't they?
Handicaps are.
You could argue on the round course that a lot of horses get stuck, and like Stradivarius yesterday, you end up with maybe the wrong result because they get in trouble.
We've got the Coronation Stakes following this at 4:20. We'll be hearing.
Do you think that was the wrong result, Dave? Stradivarius? Did you think he was unlucky?
No. I thought he was. He was unlucky the way the race unfolded.
You think he would have won?
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
He flattened out, didn't he?
Well, the Princess Zoe was upsides in most of the contest, and she swept by him pretty
Frankie
easily.
rode for luck and didn't get any. That's how I saw it. And should he have been more prominent?
Yes.
With the benefit of hindsight, absolutely.
But he wouldn't have won.
Do you know what he was doing? He was following Naif Road. I watched it again. I said that on the show yesterday. That's his old rival. That's what he did last year. Naif Road is not the Naif Road that he beat in the Cigaro even. So, I don't know. I think that was definitely something, wasn't it? And Naif Road basically fell in a hole and Frankie was like, uh-oh. Listen, the bones will be picked out of that for the rest of the year and probably beyond that for sure. But it's done and dusted. We're moving on. Group 1 action, 2 coming your way here on RP Live. Like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook Live. Welcome along to the party. Great to have you if you've been watching since the start. We are here Don't worry about the rain, and it's looked good so far. No problems about the spectacle. Good luck wherever you're playing in the 340. This is exciting stuff. Off we go. Will we see a star? What's that has missed it on the far side? Was that the Learjet? A little bit slow away. Certainly not Campanelle, however.
Frankie's going quick.
Normal service resumed. Frankie Dettori takes the lead. Mighty Gurkha, though. He's only got one way of running. Great to see him putting it up to Campanelle. Just off them slightly. What's that in the grey colours? A case of you for Barry Orr out there. Dragon Symbol on the near side. Looking for Swayzer, the French hot pot. Just off William Buick. Nothing wants to get too far back here. The Learjet's behind. Laura of Indices is behind. Dan Dalla. Will she return? Isabella Giles G. She's scrubbing along already.
She can't go this pace, Isabella. They're absolutely running her off her feet.
Absolutely they are. What's this on the far side, James? It's coming up on the bridle. That's Muniesta. All right, who's got it? Who's on last off the bridle? Swayzer now finding the pinch. This isn't looking good at all. Campanelle, the last of it. Here comes the Dragon Symbol. Okay, the Dragon Symbol is quickening. Oh, Oshie Murphy, could he do it again? What's this coming through? A measure of magic on the near side. Dan Dalla. Swayzer is sunk. That we can say. Oh, they're up and down on the spot. Campanelle is filling her lungs. Dragon Symbol in the middle.
It's a great battle, Dave. It's a great battle.
Measure of magic. It's a right tussle on the far side. Dragon Symbol looks like he's going to get it. Frankie's doing his best though. Has Frankie got up? Whoa! That's a close one. My Lord, what a tussle that was. The cameraman thinks it's Dragon Symbol. Barry Orr, what are they saying on the exchange?
No, I Campanelli, I think's up. He's 5-2 on the exchange as well. 6-4 on the exchange. Dragon Symbol's odds against 6-4.
Dragon has won, surely, isn't it?
I think the Dragon's roared here, Barry.
No, I think Campanelli's
I think there might be a stewards if Dragon Symbol wins anyway, because he's carried Frankie a fair way across the track.
Dragon Symbol looks like he's definitely won.
Miles clear, the two. Miles clear. Who's that in third? Who's that? Is that Measure of Magic, I think, that's got up for third? Dan Dalla's definitely returned to form nearest to Stan's side. Another Nick Bradley horse exploring that run.
Dragon Symbol's definitely finished first.
I think first past the post, but I reckon we're going to get stewards. We can see now Oisin has carried Frankie a fair way across. He's not...
This is a serious animal, the Dragon Symbol. He's taken flight, hasn't he? Campanelle, what a run that was.
Oh, Janie, that's tight.
Yeah, there you go. So
Have they called it?
Well, it looked to me, Barry, I mean, she's just nosed ahead again, and it's Bob and Bob edging it out all the way. They've come across, haven't they? But we'll get to, I'm really glad Mr. Millman's here for this, because the letter of law, he knows it better than the rest of us here, that's for sure. They've absolutely come miles clear, haven't they? Swayzer sunk on the ground. Tiny, didn't she, in the pack? Really disappointing there. But Dragon Symbol, beaten by heavy ground, we thought. Or was it the route he took in the sandy lane?
Number 3's won.
He's called it. Dragon Symbol. Archie Watson gets his Group 1 at Royal Ascot. Archie Watson, a third winner of the week for Oshie Murphy. Campanelle Wes Ward. This is Golden Pal Mark 2, isn't it? Just touched off again. She's back. What a race she's running. Tell you what, you can see why they tried her over a little bit further, can't you?
Not particularly.
What do you mean, not particularly?
She's an out-and-out sprinter. But
not particularly. She's coming back at the finish, man. That's a proper seven-furlong horse.
She's got in front and then just got headed again. But I do think Stewards' inquiry, it's going to be very, very tight because Oisin undoubtedly has carried Frankie across the track and it's got very, very tight.
It's a big win this for Oisin because we know about his, his East
I don't
Asian...
even think they'll call an inquiry.
No.
After not calling an inquiry in the second last race yesterday, which is baffling to me how they never called an inquiry. Do you know that, Dave?
Yeah, we were waiting for the ding-dongs, weren't we, Barry? And we came off there.
They never called it. I don't think they'll call it here either.
There'll definitely be an inquiry here, definitely. He's taken him halfway across the track.
And has taken Frankie
Have they bumped each other? Oisin's got his stick in the right hand, that we can say.
Bit of contact there.
Frankie's...
Never a bit of contact.
Is it 6-1?
Doesn't matter. Irrelevant if you switch your whip or not.
James, will there be a stewards and will he lose it?
There should be a stewards, and if it's a nose, I'd be back in Campanelle on the exchanges.
Controversial. Keep it brief, Millman. Not this time. He's just giving us War and Peace. Listen, I'm really glad you're here because you love all this, don't you?
Zod's on anyway now. He's 2's on, Campanelle.
That's what I'd have.
Wow.
I can't see... If it's a stewards inquiry, the distance that they've carried him across, there's been a couple of bumps. Oisin hasn't actually stopped and gone left to try and straighten Dragon Symbol up. And if it's a nose, that's the kind of key point. If it's a nose in the photo, then the result can
I don't know. I think Dragon Symbol might keep it.
I've got a funny feeling you might keep it as well. But listen, we've got the lawyer
2 to 1
with us
against
here.
to keep it. Dragon
all the
2 to 1 against.
all the way up that inside that final furlong, Oshin had his stick in his right hand, trying to keep him away.
But the rules don't care what's like. Every time you hear them go for an insurance inquiry, they say, "Oh, jockey's had his whip in the wrong hand." Yes, he has, or he hasn't, but that doesn't matter. Jockey's got to make every effort to stay straight. Using your stick in the hand is not every effort. You're supposed to put both hands on the reins and pull them off.
You've got to love this.
This will be the
greatest game in the world.
This will be a really interesting
stewards. Now?
Oh, absolutely, Barry.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He couldn't run in this because he's a gelding, but Jane, he's off 112 in the Wokingham, isn't he?
And he's an Ascot winner. Let's get to that. And have we just seen the Wokingham winner advertised in the Commonwealth Cup? That would be a massive story, Barry. Could have come to this. He's a 3-year-old going in the Wokingham. Rohan, Dave Evans, had a 2-year-old catch the eye earlier in the week. They'll be getting very excited now. Will this be unaltered, or will the placings indeed
I think
get
the market's
altered?
right.
Will Wes Ward get his winner in the stewards' room? Just when you think this day, this week, this year could not get any weirder.
Can you imagine being a steward there, right? And you've got Frankie on one side and Oisin Murphy on the other. There'll be a lot of chat going on.
Did you think about becoming a steward, like a Steve Drown thing? Did you think about it? Was it sort of like, you would have been made for it?
Well, I went to law school, so I wanted to be
That's what I mean.
a proper lawyer.
That's what I call you. Keep it brief, for goodness sake. Keep it brief, Millman.
Yeah, BHA wouldn't let me when my dad's training, to be fair.
So it's still on there. It's out there.
That's possible. We never know. But yeah, I think the exchanges have got it spot on. I think Campanella.
I disagree.
If he says it, I am worried. Are you worried out there?
Very
First past the post, obviously, Barry, isn't it? That's one thing. But which way do you see this going, Barry? Come on.
I actually haven't seen the head on yet.
It's on the screens now, Barry. Well, it's not actually.
As long as the finishing distance is a nose, if it is a nose.
How far out did they go out it, Barry? For about 2 furlong pole, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, about 1.5 out. Yeah, they started to pull clear in the last furlong. Then the pair of them, I think they pulled clear on Minista. It was that third at the finish. But yeah, the betting on the exchange now, it's 10 to 9, 5 to 6. Campanella for her to get it, and Dragon Symbol is 6 to 5. So 5 to 6, 6 to 5. It's a lot tighter than
you can see on our screens now. There's contact, and Oisin really hasn't done enough to get Dragon Symbol off. He's going to get days.
Is it contact? Yeah, he'd get a ban maybe, but is it enough contact?
There's a bit of contact, a bit of intimidation.
It's the distance, Barry, isn't it? Who did we see? It was we saw Mahatha, didn't we? Of course, and we thought our distance is far too great. We thought Surefire. We're seeing Wes. He's being interviewed now, and I don't know. I say he's quite hopeful. Here's a question for you, Millman.
Yeah, listening.
Oisin Murphy, Frankie Dettori in the stewards.
Oisin's the best talker.
Is he? Not according to Ryan Moore.
He'll argue his case, but it's, I don't know.
Oisin's a better talker in the stewards room.
In the stewards room, it would be articulating his point as to why he shouldn't lose it.
Suggesting Frankie wouldn't even bother to turn up. He'd be like, I'm Frankie, I don't need to turn up.
But I'd say, yeah.
This is the place to be, isn't it? Racing Post Live, and there's a stewards on. You can see the market is up in front of your eyes. How many of these have we seen? Such interesting markets.
I don't know. I think if you're a steward, you've got to ask yourself the question: would Campanella definitely have won the race without the interference? And I don't think you can be certain of that.
Oof.
And you got the interference and the carrying across the track, the extra track distance that she's had to travel.
It's a really tough one. It is a tough one. We can see Archie Watson there. He's not celebrating yet, Archie. I'll tell you what, he looks like someone out of a Dickens movie, doesn't he?
Very tall, isn't he?
Doesn't he?
He doesn't say a lot, does he, to the press? Archie.
He's a monocle, doesn't he, old Archie Watson there? But this is, I'll tell you what else this is big for, Barry. This is big for Top Jockey, isn't it, as well?
Sorry, say again, Dave.
This is big. This is big for the Top Jockey as well, isn't it? This will be Oisin's third, and this, of course, would be Frankie, who we think is, short price in that exchange market, isn't he?
Yeah, last time I looked, let me check it here for you. Specials, Top Jock, 2.2 Frankie. No, it's not very liquid at the moment at all, Dave. Although there's been 20 grand matching it, but just at the moment there's nothing in it worth talking about. But you can bet Frankie at 5 to 4. There's no offer there for Oisin.
Well,
in terms of this, did Oisin not pull his whip through to his right hand quick enough and try to correct? I've just seen the head on there.
With the stewards, you've actually, although it's going to stop you winning the race, you're supposed to put the whip down and make every effort to keep the horse straight. That's regarding the ban, but the actual deciding whether the horse should be disqualified, it's whether there's contact, which I think there was a limited bit of contact, intimidation, which there definitely was, which took Campanella across the track. Do you think Campanella would have won without the contact and intimidation? I think she would have done. And if it's a nose, you've got to give the loser the benefit of doubt.
I think the best horse has won, James. I think the best horse has won the race, and I want to see the best horse keep the race.
But you've got to keep these horses straight. You can't just keep letting them drift across.
Here we go. Here's the head on again. So let's see
There's
how
what,
they go.
2 lengths between them at the
It's
moment.
not actually a great head-on at Ascot, is it? Because they can't. It's very difficult to get the camera straight on at Ascot because of course, go on bed is basically a massive gap there.
Bushin's not overly concerned. He's after coming into the winner's
don't seem
enclosure,
concerned at
stood
all,
up in his
but-
saddle and raised his arms.
I would be. It's the second kind of bit of contact here where he's actually moving Campanella across the track. That's the key bit. And again, there's another second little bit of intimidation. I do want to know what that winning distance is, because if it's a nose, it's got to be chucked out.
Well, we were hoping
It's
to
only a
speak to-
nose or a short head, isn't it?
It's a short head, I think. Yeah, I'd bet. Ooh,
it's in the-
maybe a
You
nose,
think it's a
actually.
difference if it's a nose or a short
Yeah,
head?
in the guidelines,
The closer it is, the
a
more
nose
likely it
has
would be
to be reversed. If it's a short head, then it's kind of a bit of a steward's discretion.
Nose has to be.
In the guidelines, if you think there's any kind of doubt, which I think there's doubt,
Yeah.
you have to
6
give
to
the
4
horse
on,
the
6 to 4
benefit.
against.
They've
And
got to be
having
fine.
spoken to some people from the stewardings recently, let me tell you, I've done that. This will be a fascinating place to be. This will, and all they do is they sit in the stewards room, and as we're watching for our horse and things like that, they are constantly talking to each other. They're watching for someone. They know it's all they're looking for. That's obviously what they're there to do. But this will be.
So come on, Dave. Pretend that we're the stewards here, and we're sitting at Ascot. James says that he would have won. I say he doesn't. You've got the deciding vote.
I am going to say, I'm so torn. I think Campanella will get it, but I would be very much hard.
Oh, come on, Dave. That's not a proper answer. What do you think, Barry?
Oh, jeez. It's a hard call, isn't it?
See, I'm the same as
Yeah.
Barry, man. You're trying to put
I
words
think he'd
into our
probably
mouth.
get it. Just looking at the head on
So do
there,
I,
think he'll
Barry.
probably get it. I think
Yeah.
she'll probably get it. Sorry, Campanella.
Yeah, I
think
do
she'll
as
probably
well.
get it.
But that's why as soon as they crossed the line, you were saying Campanella's a shorter price. It wasn't because they felt the photo was going to go her way.
Yeah.
It was the fact that there's going to be a stewards
That there was
inquiry.
going to be the
and
stewards.
I can
and
tell
that's
you for
what's gonna
sure.
be
We
the
were
reason.
hoping to speak to Lee Mottershead around about 4 p.m, but this is Lee. This is what Lee gets up in the morning for. He's going, but this is the pencil. Whatever he's written has just been torn up, and this is what he wants. Wes Ward is Wes his-
Interestingly, Frankie just rode hands and heels for the last couple of 100 yards, whereas the winner, Oisin Murphy, kept pumping his horse, kept whipping his horse.
That is something that I've seen Frankie do before, Barry. Though is I've noticed in recent years when
It's just to get him balanced.
Yeah, when it gets close, he tends to put his stick down in the last few strides and almost try and concentrate on getting his horse down.
It's
at the right
perfect,
point.
Frankie, isn't it? You're absolutely right. Have we got any prices for the July Cup while we wait, Barry? I'm sure they must be forthcoming, mustn't they? For the pair of them.
July Cup. Jenny Mac.
She'll
July
stay for it,
Cup.
I think. She will stay for it, Campanella.
7 from 10, Campanella, and 7 from 14, Dragon Symbol.
So both 7-1. Okay, we've seen Oxted, of course, rocket near the top of that market, haven't we?
He's got it. Has it been announced?
It looks. Oh, they're hugging each other. Oh
I
no, I
don't
think
know.
that was a social hug.
yeah.
Oh,
Gee.
he looks disappointed here. Archie Watson looks disappointed.
Oh dear. Okay.
Has it been called? I don't know.
So I've just got the questions that the stewards will ask after they're talking to the jockeys. The question is, was there interference? If the answer is no, no inquiry. Yes, who caused it? If it cannot be established who caused it, the inquiry should be closed. So we've got Oisin caused the interference. It should be established whether the interference was serious enough. They shouldn't in such place serious jeopardy to any safety of the horse or rider. That was a no.
He loves this. Look at him.
Where are we going?
Absolutely. This was worth a journey.
Determining the results. Where did the incident take place in relation to the winning post? How were the horses involved in interference going at the time of the incident? How serious was the interference? If the sufferer had an uninterrupted run to the line, might it have finished in front of the inferior? Might it? So it's not would have won.
So you don't have to.
Might it
You
have
don't
won.
have to be absolutely certain.
Yeah.
You can say
Okay.
maybe it would have done, and then
Let's-
give it the race.
Let's give you an example. If this happens on a smaller track, on a Tuesday, what happens?
It gets chucked out.
It's a certainty.
Certainty.
Right. So, and this is
probably the key point.
William Buick got an 11-day ban. Wes is those teeth, the best teeth in racing, are on show at the moment in the parade. He's walking around. The tooth difference in camps, we should say at the moment, is startling. I am literally chatting to Lee Mottershead at the moment. Lee says nothing announced yet, mate. We're going to speak to Lee after the coronation, by the way.
Wesley Ward looks completely relaxed and happy about
it. He's hugging.
Archie Watson looks very nervous, doesn't he? But
I'd say he looks disappointed.
Well, in America, Wesley gets it. He knows over there, a lot less contact than that to be reversed. But this is the key point.
America would be all over, wouldn't it?
All over. So I think we're talking ourselves into a reversal here, G.
Wes was so relaxed that he's wandering around and it's absolutely pouring with rain. The rain is dripping off of his top hat.
He's not bothered one iota,
doesn't
is
care,
he?
yeah.
No, it's probably like an umbrella on his head, isn't he? He's not used to wearing it, apart from 1 week a year. So he's absolutely fine. And he will hopefully be singing in the rain. What do you think? Keep your socials coming in. Let us know. How dramatic was that? The Commonwealth Cup. Just when you thought this week couldn't get any more dramatic, any better, we've heated it up. Let's concentrate on the two horses as we see the jockeys in. I tell you what, you're right about Oisin Murphy. He's gesticulating with his hands and stuff. He's like Dave Orton.
He'll give a good account. But like I say, the key point for me, the panel should have in mind that interference is likely to have impeded the sufferer to some degree, definitely some degree of interference. Therefore, a reversal of placings is more likely to follow when there's only a nose between the horses. And if that was a nose, it has to be gone.
You love, I can really see you are loving this. You are this is the letter of the law. This is right up your street. You'd do this for free, wouldn't you, man?
Well, not for free. I'd be charging.
All right. Well, it was worth a try. It was worth a try.
I tell you, Oisin is really pleading his case here, isn't he? He looks like a school teacher.
An opera singer when it's quiet. Obviously, we've got it muted here in the screen. Okay, let's just talk about the horses quickly. Measure of Magic, they come well clear of that. Who's run really well. Johnny Mert's got third in the Group 1. They'll be very, very happy with that. And she's a filly that can definitely go forward. Sway's up, very disappointing.
Never really travelled, did she?
It's never really travelled. You could tell, couldn't you, James, at halfway there was going to be nothing under the bonnet.
Yeah, she was tracking the pace.
Travelling might be the issue. You'd think
they did say they were a little bit concerned about the ground, even though the French form had come on the surface.
She's beating poor sprinters in France on bad ground.
Yeah. Dan Dallas, she ran much better.
She ran much better, didn't she? Good to see her on her way back.
Yeah, that was a good effort. And the third was up Johnny Murta horse.
It was, yeah, Measure of Magic. There weren't too many other eye catchers, actually. I was looking. Isabella
Love
Giles.
Indices ran well. The horse you gave a shout to, James, finished fifth.
Actually, would have got you 5 places in the
doing
market.
his best work late, wasn't he? Isabella Giles looks like she's caught between... Actually, she's sort of coming back a little bit towards the finish.
Yeah.
Can we now say she's not as good as she was?
She doesn't look as good as she was, but that was a 6 furlong race. She was running on at the end, and there will be another reason for me to back her and tip her.
You can't. You've just got to cross.
Tell you what, Barry's right about Law of Indices.
I will have
to
stick with her.
That's a good run. I'm just looking at that. He was one of the last of the riders. Jumbie was disappointing, wasn't he? Even allowing for the... No? I mean, he's stuffed out of sight, man.
The ground for me, I was a bit wary coming into it.
So you're not disappointed with him because he hated the ground?
I'd give him another go.
Now let's talk about the two up front. I'm tempted to say that Dragon Symbol is a monster of a horse in the making, as I still don't really think he wants this ground.
Yeah, I would agree, concur with that.
Is that why he's rolled around, do you think? Or is he still immature? I mean, he's never been in a battle like that, has he?
A little bit like he was at Haydock. He rolled around in the sandy lane.
Pacing the track.
They're pacing. They look nervous. Even Wes is starting to look a bit nervous now.
I'll tell you what, sometimes you're filling in between races, even at Royal Ascot, but not a bit of it. We're going to be at the 420 in a minute, aren't we? We've got another Group 1 coming up, the Coronation Stakes. Unmissable action here on Racing Post Live. And I'm just looking at the market, Barry. What are they doing now then in the stewards on the exchange?
Yeah, 6-4, 4-6. Hasn't made. It's pretty steady away at that day. Campanelle 4-6 to get it. Dragon Symbol 6-4 against to keep it.
Have you changed your mind yet?
It's a head.
You want the best horse to win. So you're like me, heart, but head. And do you know what? Having interviewed Wes Ward last week and worked with him, sort of like I would be really happy for Wes, obviously, but.
This is a big moment for Archie, though, isn't it?
No one wants to lose anything in the stewards room, especially not a Royal.
This would be Archie Watson's biggest winner.
This is his Group 1, isn't it?
His
domestic Group 1.
So a huge moment for him, and that's it would be cruel for it to be
stallion race, isn't it, and all that sort of thing. She's so much riding on this. Japanese owners and, Oisin Murphy, huge following down there. As soon as it comes in, you will know here on Racing Post Live.
The only thing it was ahead at winning distance.
It was ahead in the end.
I thought it was much, much closer than that, but that might just give a little bit more to Oisin in his favour.
You're fighting back, G. You're boy-owed to hear that.
I am, yeah. Maybe you'll keep it now.
If it's a nose, it's definitely gone. But ahead, it does provide questions for the stewards to answer. I think he should be chucked out.
A question for you, Barry. What price is Rohan now on the sports book? Have you got time to look for that in the Wokingham tomorrow, Barry?
4 from 6.
Does that make him favourite?
Lynn's your favourite there. Kings Lynn and him are kind of vying for favouritism.
Kings Lynn's an interesting runner, isn't he? I wouldn't be totally sure about the ground, but he'd be £7 well in after something of a luckless run in the King's Stand on Tuesday.
Quick back up, isn't it?
Lovely to see horses backing up a lot they used to do. They used to run in the King's Stand and Diamond Jubilee. This would be an odd one, wouldn't it? King's Stand to Wokingham.
Yeah, certainly would. But
wow.
I thought he was unlucky in the King's Stand. I think he would have given the winner a serious race with a clean run, Kings Lynn.
Do you?
Yeah.
A punter I know phoned me up in absolute, because you can sort of tease people that are on the Kings Lynn project in that. Wow, okay, got to break in. Breaking news. Absolute unbelievable scenes at Ascot and here on RP Live. Wes Ward has his winner. Mr. Millman, you are absolutely right. Barry Hurd on the side of probably going to get it. I did too. You can see Rafe Beckett talking to Archie Watson. Do you think Rafe Beckett's saying to Archie, you've got to appeal this?
Well, a simple verse scenario, isn't it?
Oh, my Lord, the St. Ledger. Rafe, come on, have a day off, man. Listen, it just is what it is, isn't it? But Wes Ward, absolutely thrilled. The history books will say Campanelle has won the Commonwealth Cup. G-Rod.
Wrong decision for me. I thought that the best horse won the race and has had it taken off of him. But
will you be appealing?
If it was me, I would appeal.
Barry, what do you reckon? Do you reckon this saga will drag on? That was an interesting heated chat there between Intense and Mr. Rafe Beckett, who, of course, let's face it, he's a serious bigwig, isn't he, over there at the minute? And Archie Watson listening to him. Maybe we'll go and have a go at Shaftesbury Avenue.
I think you just got to take your medicine now at this stage, don't you? It's just one of those things. Just one of those things. They've obviously the stewards have applied the letter of the law and they felt they've come out in the right decision. It's a winning distance ahead. They felt that obviously the interference had negated Campanelle, that she would have won the race had she not been interfered with by the runner-up. So take your medicine and move on.
The exchange knew, didn't it, Barry? Quite quickly.
Yeah, that there was going to be an inquiry. Yeah, it looked like it. It wasn't a photo at all. Obviously, the exchange stays open and it's rules of racing, so you're settling on the outcome. Whereas with the fixed odds bookmakers, a lot of them are betting double results. So if you back both Campanelle and Dragon Symbol, you'll get paid.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Barry. That was the Commonwealth Cup. Let us know then. I'm expecting raging social action out there. Viewer interaction. Let us know. Right, wrong decision. Were you on Campanelle? Are you absolutely whooping? Dragon Symbol first past the post. I guess you've got that in the bag, haven't you? And two very, very promising sprinters. We can say that. Absolute scenes here on Racing Post Live for the first time this afternoon. I'm just so delighted to be with you. Who thought we could have drama like that? Will we have anything like that in the Fillies Coronation Stakes? Second of two Group 1s, double header coming up. We will be speaking to Lee Mottershead at the track after this. Oh, he'll be filling his lungs to talk to us. Don't you worry about that. We'll be getting all the reaction. Lee will be hovering around Archie Watson for a word. Let's see if he can get one.
I don't think you're going to get much.
He's not.
You don't get much when he has a winner.
You know with Archie, you're not really sure. So, OK, we've got to move on, Barry. Pretty Gorgeous. We thought she'd go off favourite when the rain was coming. Looks like that's going to play out.
Yeah, she's 5.6, so 9-2 ahead of Mother Earth, who's 6.0, 7-2 alcohol-free. November is 8.4, been plenty of cash for that. 8-2 Empress Josephine, Snow Lantern 12.5, 14.5 bar. It's a really, really competitive race, isn't it? Just Pretty Gorgeous for me, I think still has to... I was very disappointed with her. Not very disappointed. She led them down nearly... She was there till the furlong marker in the Irish 1,000 guineas, and maybe the lack of the run just showed, and she should come on a ton. Joseph O'Brien says she'll improve significantly. I don't think they're that concerned about heavy ground, Joseph says in his blog, which you can read exclusively on betting.betfair. But I just thought the Empress Josephine, I thought she outstayed them in the Curragh on the bad ground. It really was atrocious ground in the Curragh for the Irish 1,000 guineas. and it's ground that she's encountering again today. And I thought she was a knockout win in each way bet. I can't see her out of the first three, to be perfectly honest with you, G-Rod. So we're going to go 8.2. We're going to have 25 quid win at 8.2. Again, happy to be a price taker here. So blue to back. And then if you navigate over to the bar on the left-hand side, the market's there. We're just going to place in the standard market. So you're highlighting something there. Yeah, the place market, which is 3, which is the standard place market. And we're going to have 25 quid on her in the place market as well. She's currently trading at around 7 to 4. If we don't get fully matched there, because liquidity might be a bit short at the moment, it'll just go in for someone to come in and lay us. So it'll go over to the pink right-hand side into the pink column. But yeah, happy with Empress Josephine. I think it's only going to be her 5th run. She's won 2 races. She finished 2nd on the other occasion, and the only bad run was on really good ground in Leopardstown one day. That was almost bordering on firm ground. So I think she's got her ground. If it's a really good test, which it will be, she'll be thereabouts.
Yeah, she's a sister to Minding, isn't she, Barry, who one run at Ascot, saw her winning, of course, on Champions Day, albeit up the straight track when she beat Ribchester in the QE2. Absolutely loved Minding. She wasn't unbacked, was she, when she won the Irish Guineas. This is what we want to see in this race, guys, isn't it? Guineas form all over the place. We've got the English, we've got the Irish, we've got the French Guineas form. It's all advertised here. We've got some up-and-comers. We've got last year's 2-year-olds. And this is a race where I'll be throwing a couple of darts, and I'm definitely having a little bit on Empress Josephine along with Barry as well. But it's pretty gorgeous on top for me. I can see she's sliding out a little bit now. Joseph O'Brien is nearing a winner. Frankie Dettori's on a quick double. Who knew? Who knew?
You didn't know when he handed that saddle out.
I'll tell you what, even Frankie can get him in the stewards at Royal Ascot. But I thought it was a pretty good run in the Irish Guineas, and I think she's going to give Empress Josephine a lot more to think about here. She was the top 2-year-old, wasn't she? Philly was, especially when it was cutting the ground last year. And Joseph O'Brien was absolutely singing her praise. I think she'll come a lot for that. The draw's a lot kinder. She'll love the ground. Absolutely loads to like.
So why has she trained on?
What do you mean? Oh, we're not going down this
Well,
route.
earlier
You're not bitter about Isabella.
I
I have poked the bear.
Earlier,
The bear has been poked.
You listed Wembley and someone else. Who else was it?
She
Ran
needed
much
to
better
run
than
in the
Wembley.
Irish Guineas, man.
Well, she had form of 140.
You know, he's been doing this job. He's assistant betting at the race. He's been doing this job for years. And every day's a new day.
She had form of 114 last year, right?
Yeah.
And I put it to you that she has run £15 below that form on her only start at 3. So
In a classic.
So why is she trained on? And when the others that you just bashed reportedly haven't?
Well, I bashed one in particular with examples.
Wembley.
Wembley, definitely. You're telling me Wembley's trained on? Come on, man. This is.
Tell you, I've seen Aidan do
Wembley's
this before.
turned into, I don't know. Let Luton play again. He definitely is not a stadium ticket now, is he? That's for sure. And Thunder Moon, they've just all gone past him, haven't they? And sadly, pretty spotlight in the pretty gorgeous camp as well. Chris Dimms, where are you going? November for me. Very impressive last time in the German Guineas. Should love the ground. Yep, you would think so, wouldn't you? Which G will be bearing out. Okay, M1, MI. M1, stuck on the M1. Snow Lantern to back up the Hannon's belief in the horse. Yes, Dan won this, didn't she? Snow Lantern. If she settles, we're going to see a bigger performance. Absolutely, mate, you're right there. And Thomas Irish HD comes back on and says, like Fev Rover each way. Didn't too well at the Curragh, but did run well heavy in October. Definitely needs to bounce back. It was a really disappointing run, all considered from Fev Rover there, but she is tough. I'll give you that one. Okay, lovely social interaction there. Keep them coming in. I want to hear about the stewards' inquiry, guys. What do you think about that? I know it's all going on in the chat, so it'll be going on Twitter and that. Let us know. We want a word so we can digress a little bit later on. Was it the right decision? Campanelle wins the first Group 1 of the day over the luckless Dragon Symbol. Whew, what a horse he's going to be if he keeps maturing, that chap. Definitely the one to take out of the race. I think we can all agree on that. Okay, let's get some tips. I have gone for Pretty Gorgeous, who I think will have trained on. G-Rod.
I think that the German horse will win this to bolster my claims for a column next week.
This column is writing itself.
About German horses. Obviously, we've said already, even though we don't know why, German trained horses love heavy ground, and this horse has got the absolute ideal conditions. But not only that, last time out, She recorded a racing post rating of 110 when winning the German Guineas by 7.5 lengths, right? Now that is the best piece of last time out form on offer in the race. So if they all ran to the same race that they did last time, then she should win. And I think she's going to be even better here because the conditions will suit her even better than they did.
This could be the end of the hoodoo.
Time suggesting that German Guineas win that the ground wasn't really that bad at all.
A few people have been saying that.
It doesn't matter, it's trained in Germany.
But it's not by a German sire, though.
What is the German
Gerard.
sire?
It's not by a German sire.
Oh, no.
It's by Glen Eagles.
Well, Glen Eagles had a winner yesterday of the Ribblesdale, of course, on rattling fast ground.
Yeah, and the other... but
he didn't want slow ground at all either, did he?
It's
You had a shocker, man.
It's trained in Germany. It lacked on heavy ground, Dave. Just it will happen.
Keith Melrose and
Yeah.
Paul Keeley got stuck in to a couple of beers overnight. Was it Wednesday night? And they came down on the fact they had found a certainty, and it was November. They were looking it up, they were doing it YouTube, all that sort of stuff, and they were really matching each other, stride for stride, a little bit like Campanelle and Dragon Symbol. Ross Briley apparently was more like Sueza. But
the one thing I would say, Dave, is that just going purely on trainers in this race, right? Then surely the horse trained by Henry de Bromhead cannot be 66 or 50 or 40 odd to 1, right?
Yeah.
Because this guy, as we've said already on this show, trained the winner of the Champion Hurdle, the Champion Chase, the first 2 home in the Gold Cup, the first 2 home in the Grand National, and the other day at Sandown, he trained the winner of the Henry de whatever it is race by a million.
Roman numeral race.
Yeah, by a million miles, Lismore, at a huge price, that appeared to have absolutely no chance in similar circumstances to what we've got Flirting Bridge here. Now, obviously, she's got absolutely bundles to find, right? But why is Henry de Bromhead willing to put his owner's money, £30,000 I think it costs to supplement Flirting Bridge, who appears to have absolutely no chance on form in this race? There is nobody in Britain or Ireland training better than Henry de Bromhead under any code all season, yet he is here with a huge priced outsider, and she has to be backed each way.
Let's bat this off to Barry then. Barry, because Flirting Bridge, if you look at the horse she was beaten by last time, you can see why they're supplementing, can't you? Joan of Arc.
Yeah, you can. I suppose it wouldn't be Henry's so. He's the complete opposite to Wes Ward. He's glass half empty. So I don't think it would have been his decision to stump up the fee to supplement this filly. But yeah, it was a good run last day. Obviously, she's just beaten by Joan of Arc in the Guineas Trial in Leopardstown. Thinking the View was back in third. I suppose it's all about black tie for these fillies, isn't it? Oh. And that's the key. And I think the guy that owns it, obviously, they want to have runners over there as well. Should go on the ground. Camelot out of it, Danehill Dancer. I don't know. I don't know what piece of work it would have done even at home that would suggest that she could achieve black type at the best. But I'm sure that's the hope for this race.
Well, Joan of Arc, the horse that she was beaten by last time, would have been a short head by Empress Josephine, of course, and is the favourite for the French Oaks, which is run on Sunday, the Prix de Diane, back at Longchamp on Sunday. Definite highlight of Sunday, that's for sure. And I don't know, yeah, I think, do you know
she
what?
won quite well that day, Joan of Arc.
Well, she did. She did, but it's not a 50 to 1 poke on the book if you're taking that strictly, Barry, is it?
No, probably not. Is it 50?
Yeah. Yeah.
Check. Yeah, 90 on the exchange in the win market.
That's ridiculous. That's worth a slight throwaway, I think. Do you know what? For the first time today, unbelievable scenes. I'm going to agree with you.
You agree. Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely. No worries, mate.
What are you doing, G-Rod? Are you backing this?
Yeah, I'm definitely backing it.
He was animated over there off camera.
I'm backing Flirting Bridge, yeah. All the places I can get. I think she's going to run a stormer.
I love it. So it's November. So definitely this is not going back to a domestic horse. Do we think this?
I'm really hopeful, Dave, that I'm going to end the hoodoo here. I'm really hopeful. If I don't get November...
There's definitely a lot of voodoo going on, as I keep saying.
There could be Flirting Bridge.
It might be November. I might be looking at November.
I hope it's not November by the time that ends.
Might be looking at November.
Cheltenham Trials meeting.
It ends. Absolutely. James Millman. It will one of the domestic horses. Alcohol-free, Potapova, Snow Lantern. What do you reckon?
I think alcohol-free, there's a reason why she wasn't quite at her best in the Guineas. I think the race came a little bit too soon to the Fred Darling, and I think she was not quite 100% after the race. So I think connections were hopeful that she would improve. Ground-wise would be a concern of alcohol-free. All her forms on a sound surface. She won a good to softer to Newbury and a novice, but hard to know exactly how she's going to perform in this surface. I quite like Pretty Gorgeous to bounce back. Yes, she's talked about the training on point. I I think she missed the 1,000 guineas over here from a setback, so I think she probably just needed a little bit over in Ireland. So I certainly wouldn't rule out Pretty Gorgeous. That was kind of me where I was edging towards the selection. It's a very tight race.
Again, our osmosis needs to come good as well, doesn't it? We're aligned, but not along the right tracks at the minute. Just to give you a word on alcohol-free cider, No Nay Never. I was just looking it up as you were saying that, James. Something in the back of my mind said that No Nay Never, but of course Wes Ward's Sprinter that won the Norfolk and the Morney, and then placed in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Something tells me that there's soft ground progeny, like 90% on soft ground. So
Yeah, I think you're right, Dave. No, they never seem to love a bit of cut.
strange. I don't know what that is, but there you go. Okay, so the Cornwall.
There's one later on that I fancy used by No Nay Never called, I think, Quickthorn.
Yes. Oh, is that a No Nay Never, is it?
I think
Not
so.
Nathaniel.
Maybe I got that wrong. There is one I fancy later.
Damn Plying Light's soft as well. So
Sorry, that's Nathaniel. There's the one later that I like that is by No Nay Never. I will fill you in when it eventually comes back.
hopefully not in November.
It's not
What about Potapova? Any love for this? Because there was an interesting Sunday read, wasn't there, with Sir Michael Stout. Did you read that, G? Peter Thomas's piece.
No, I didn't.
It was excellent, and considering I said this, on Tuesday, I think, James and I, considering the tough year that Sir Michael has had, 82nd winner he's going for. He was talking about Queen Power. He said it's useful filly. He said this was a very smart filly, I think were the words.
It's not
Peter Thomas got out.
a Sir Michael thing to do, is it? Step up a dual novice winner into a Group 1
No, she got a Racing Post rating of 102 in a novice race.
at Red Cup.
Unbeaten. Richard Kingscote. This is a huge ride for Richard Kingscote. Of course, the go-to man for Stout now. When Ryan's obviously not available, etc. Drawn 7 would be a slight worry for me. We don't know about the ground, do we? But it's a pivotal mare, as a lot of the Shivleys are. Invincible Spirit. There was a kink like that yesterday. I can't remember who that was. And we said, will it go on the ground? Oh, that might have been Hello You, wasn't it? Invincible Spirit versus who was second in the Albany.
Albany, yeah, and she went on it perfectly
It's the
fine.
same.
Dave, there's one worth mentioning here that we haven't mentioned yet. Shale, who butted heads with Pretty Gorgeous all through their 2-year-old campaign last year. I think she beat her twice, and she was beaten twice by her as well. And it wasn't a bad run first time back in April. Now, they've obviously been held up with her. But she's won on soft to heavy, and she could cut them on considerably for that run in Leopardstown in the Guineas Straw. So she's worth a mention, definitely.
What do you know about this rider, Barry? Because I've seen Gavin Ryan on a few this week.
Yeah, he's had a couple of rounds for Donegal. Yeah, he rides down there. He's a very capable rider. Like he wouldn't be involved with that yard or those people if he wasn't capable. And he's good weight and he's going places.
Yeah, made the frame
right yard.
in the Queen Mary, didn't he? And in the Coventry, and also third in the Ribblesdale yesterday.
Yeah.
I reckon she'll be ridden cold from Saw 13, and Saw 13 not the disadvantage it sometimes can be over a mile because of the soft ground. We're back on the round course. It's heavy everywhere. Look for the swimmers, basically. Shale is interesting. And you're right, Barry. A lot of people, because it was 2-2 with her and Pretty Gorgeous, they had that head-to-head. It was when the ground was riding easy that Pretty Gorgeous came out on top. And the flip side for Shale. But that maiden win that she had, it was pretty testing that day. Mother of Earth, we must talk about her. The English Guineas winner. Round a bend would be my question mark. She looks so suited to the straight track test that was the rolling mile. I thought she handled it better than any other filly. And then she went to France, didn't she? Ran well below form that day. Around the bend, she came there sort of flattened out. Did it come quick enough?
Possibly, but I'd argue she beat Campanile over in Keeneland. She was second to Mount Pearl around the 2 bends. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think the race came too quick to 2 weeks later. And it was just a bit of a messy race, wasn't it? Not strong form, the French 1,000 guineas, but she had 33 days to recover and bounce back. It is tight. I think a lot of these fillies you can give it a good chance to. November, just going back, I just think that the ground's actually not that soft when she won at Dusseldorf last time. And despite the German influence of the heavy ground horses, I think that might be a worry for her at the ground.
Okay, one horse that will absolutely love the ground, well behind Mother Earth in France, with Lullaby Moon for Ralph Beckett and James Dorff. Ammo Racing, who really are announcing themselves on the scene as a new powerhouse owner. Great investment they've made, paying off this year. And she'll love the ground. Whether she's good enough, not sure. Probably not. James, they are going in. You're pointing to the fact
she's very small and she's the last one in.
Oh, she's tiny, is she? They're in then. Okay, good luck in the Coronation Stakes. Second to 2 Group 1s off and running here on RP Live. Let's have a look. Oh, there's something weird going on here.
They're straight to the far.
Wow.
Oh, it's-
Okay. Here comes November then. David Egan taking over.
I've got the two front runners here, Dave. My two.
You're happy with that, G, are
Yeah,
you?
I'm happy with these positions. I hope we're not going too fast, but look to be doing all right.
Pretty gorgeous, full of herself in third. Looking for Empress Josephine, the other one I've backed. That's in fourth. Bit keen, Empress Josephine, as is Snow Lantern.
Very keen.
Wanted
the
some
Frankel
cover. She was
again.
drawn on the inside, wasn't she? And they've all gone wide. Not what you'd be hoping for there. Fevrova ridden cold, as is Shale. Lullaby Moon out the back. Mother Earth looking for her at the minute with the purple cup out the back. Ryan Moore being very patient. Shale's actually moved up a bit. Where's Potapova, James?
At the back of the field, but travelling quite nicely. Richard King's got to be nice and patient. Fevrova, she's not travelling at the back at the moment.
Alcohol Free's got a lovely sit. Will she get home? Barry, what's the market saying as they approach the home turn?
Yeah, at the moment, 5.4, pretty gorgeous. 6.4 to word, 6-1 in front. November, 7-8 Empress Josephine, 7-4 Mother Earth.
And they make a dart. Thank you, Barry, for the beeline.
Go on, November.
It's November then. Will anything
Go on,
get to the
November.
German filly? It's winter scenes here at Royal Ascot, and she's absolutely powering. Pretty gorgeous, outpaced, but is coming now. Here comes Mother Earth, the English Guineas winner. Probably the big danger. Henry de Bromhead's horse not out of this. Here comes Alcohol Free. Pretty gorgeous on the inside.
Come on, November.
paddling a little bit. Snow Lantern, considering she was keen, running a massive race. Here comes Alcohol Free. Is this going to be yet another Frosty Murphy and Andrew Balding? It looks that way. There's the 101 on the screen. Gamble landed. The drinks are on O'Sheen. Murphy. Oh my goodness gracious me. Justice for Dragon Symbol. And he's absolutely delighted. Look at the steely determination in his face. Will she stay? Won't she stay? Not a bit of it.
She stayed well. Known in another soft ground statistic, she pulled out the bag because that was what she was improving on. Snow Lantern, she has run a stormer, bearing in mind how keen she was back in second. And the German filly, considering the pace has collapsed a bit, I think she's done well from the front.
Yeah, a bit disappointed, Dave, that we didn't make the frame there. I actually thought that she had them in all sorts of trouble turning for home, but didn't get home as well as I was hoping, Dave.
Fourth is actually technically making the frame, believe it or not. You're not placing, but you did make the frame there. But has she gone just a little bit too hard, do you think, G?
Maybe. We'll see, won't we, in time.
The closers have come to the fore.
Yeah, they have come from the back, but I must admit, I didn't fancy that winner too much at all, Dave. I thought that she was beaten fair and square behind Mother Earth at Newmarket, but let's give her credit. I mean, she did win the Fred Darling first time out, obviously, and was an absolute top-class two-year-old, wasn't she? Won the Group 1 at Newmarket at Cheveley Park, was it?
Yeah, and again, Ed Walker will probably be looking at this week and thinking it's not my week so far with the ground, because Primo Baccio would have been very interesting this on fast ground. Mother Earth is our benchmarks for an absolute stormer in third. Snow Lantern, you called it out, James. The moment she got a bit of cover when they came across, she really picked.
I think she'll emerge as the best of the trio in the first three, because she's running her races all wrong at the moment, but she's hit that line pretty strong. So if they can just get her to relax a little bit better in the early stages. She was a huge drifter today. She went out to about 14-1. She's run a stormer. But O'Sheen, there won't be many smiles, but he'd be relieved to get a great one back in the bag again after losing that earlier race.
Okay, Barry, let's get the story of the market, please, from the Coronation Stakes.
Yeah, Mother Earth hit a low of 212 for 950 quid. November 1.50, which is 2-1 on for 185 quid. Pretty gorgeous 1.70 for 1.70 for 158 quid. And your winner, Alcohol Free, traded at a high of 33.0 for a fiver.
Wow. Pretty gorgeous in fifth. I'm going to say absolutely crying out for a step up in trip. Has trained on.
Step up in trip?
Step up in trip, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, got outpaced.
I love you just automatically assume that she trained on.
She has trained on. This is a trained on. This is a definite trained on. You've got to be bullish in this game, G, you know that.
Unless it's Wembley.
Unless, of course, Wembley just definitely. I mean,
O'Sheen's off.
Murphy gets decked
okay.
by Alcohol
He looks
Free.
okay.
Well, the celebrations will be flowing tonight. Who's popping the corks then? Alcohol Free. Not so good in the Guineas, was she? It's freshened up. Andrew Balding, third winner of the week. Andrew Balding?
Yeah.
Yep, first three.
Third winner of the week. O'Sheen Murphy back in the jockey's title. What a remarkable 45 minutes for O'Sheen Murphy.
Yeah, after being deflated.
How are you feeling now?
Just that will still be sore, that Commonwealth Cup. I think just be happy to get back on track, but he's going to be more reserved than what he would have been.
I think the man that Oshin is thinking, I should have had 2 in the bag, not just I'm delighted to be back.
Sign of a good jockey, though, isn't it? You know, he must have been absolutely gutted to lose that race and come back with a Group 1 win.
He got the tactics absolutely spot on. You have, since you came onto this show, James, said that Oshin Murphy would be one of the top tactical jockeys that you've ever been around.
Yeah, most definitely. He's very astute. He's alert to what's going on. He's always got a plan, and he can shift quite easily to change tactics quite easily. Some jockeys, you give them plan A, they have no idea what to do when you need to go to plan B, C, D. Oshin is very, very astute in that respect. He's given us one a cracking ride. He was at fault in the Commonwealth Cup. He let his horse drift, and that's why he lost the race. But that was a cracking ride there. And for me, was he 2-time champion? I think he'll be free again this year.
Do you think he could have prevented that from happening, James, or is that just something that happens in race riding?
On Dragon Symbol?
Yeah.
Yeah. He could have done more. I think he wanted to be having Campanelle to race against. I think they were quite spread apart, but he could have done more. And I think he'll watch that video back and wish that he just tried a bit more. Because I think the best horse was Dragon Symbol, but I do think Oshin could have done more. He's going to get days, but there was more that he could have done.
At the moment, we've not got a star filly, have we? They're all sort of after you. We've not got a dual Group 1 winner yet. Gee, who do you think will emerge the best? Do you think it will be Snow Lantern? We'll get one in the bag.
Maybe. I mean, Richard Hannon loves her, doesn't he?
You're looking at Falmouth. That's the plan. That'll be the plot, wouldn't it? Nassau potentially for some of them. Pretty gorgeous. Oh my goodness, that's the race for her. I've just seen it. There you go. Mother Earth bounce back. Solid. You could say Mother Earth there, can't you?
That's what she is, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh, and she wasn't that great as a 2-year-old. She's improved from 2 to 3. She has trained on, but she's always vulnerable to an improver. But she's a real solid, and she'll run all year in all these races.
Do you think they'll be chasing the rain with alcohol free now?
No.
No.
She's got all that form last year on quick. I think she's just a decent filly.
She's just very, very good. And Jeff Smith breeding filly,
yeah,
lovely.
That point you made when the show started, when you get heavy ground, you don't really get freak results, and that's because the best horses generally go on any kind of ground.
Such a good surface, Ascot, isn't it?
They come through.
And
8 from 20 for the Sussex Stakes, lads.
Oh, she'd be an interesting addition to that, wouldn't she?
That's going to be a cracking race if we do get her and Poetic Flair, St Mark's Basilica, if there's a little bit of rain.
I mean, Jeff Smith is an owner who... listen, she'd be a wonderful addition to that. Jeff Smith is Persian Punt, all the great horses that Jeff's had down the years. Be a very sporting invitation there. Will he go chasing the fillies route with her? Okay, that's that. Points have been made all over the place. We're absolutely buzzing here on RP Live. Delighted to be back. It gets trickier now, even trickier, believe it or not. Let's get some help from our top tipster, Paul Keeley. Well, okay. Thanks for joining us this week, Kills. I've got to say, not only have we been able to have a little breather on Racing Post Live, but we're very popular now all of a sudden. Someone's been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, I've had a couple of winners, it's been nice. I mean, that's my personal highlight, I suppose, would be Perotto weaving his way through for the Britannia. It's nice to get one of them big handicap winners. I mean, that's why I love the big handicaps anyway, so...
Yeah.
So that was good, and obviously Oshin Murphy's done me a couple of favours because he won the Cov as well, didn't he? So thanks very much to the champ.
There was a horse called Radberg in that Britannia. We were watching it here in the studio. We were like, "Here comes Radberg! It's Perotto Kills!" Well, so we've given it the big one. So come on, we need some help today. The first thing to say is, by now, we've been talking about it throughout the show. Torrential stuff out there. There's bound to be some non-runners. So if a couple of the Kills said don't run, don't be offended. But we need some help in the Sandringham, man. The fillies handicap and. Yeah, it's 6-7 to 1 the field.
It was 12 to 1 the field yesterday. Wow. So I mean, it's that tells you how hard it is. And it is probably the hardest race of the week. And I've had one go at it. I'm adding another now, just because of the rain. Because I was tossing it up between Create Belief and Can Be Do, and Create Belief's the one that's already won 2 handicaps on very soft ground this year. One of them on heavy last time and was quite a commanding, eye-catching win as well. So I think she's got to go really well for Johnny Murtagh. And Can Be Do, just one that intrigued me a little bit. I mean, she showed some ability, 1 start or 2 on soft ground, but it was fast to the ground the last 2 starts that she's ran. But she won going away over 7 furlong at Cork on a return in a maiden race, but then she was dropped down to 5.5. Well, it was weird until you see a pedigree. She's by champion sprinter Muhara, but then as we've seen before, Muhara gets plenty of horses who stay really well. Alba Flora runs in Hardwick, a soft ground 1.5 mile winner. So she just did not face going back in trip. She was under the pump from a long way out. So I think going up in trip is the right way. I'll take a chance she handles the ground because plenty of Muirras do.
Yeah.
And she just could be quite interestingly handicapped if she gets a trip.
So Muirras tend to outrun the pedigree, what you would expect of the sprinters. So that's one fancy one and one at a price. Right, we're now back on the round course for the Duke of Edinburgh. This is the older mile and horse, 1.5 horse handicap. Where are we playing here?
Well, I've backed 2. It's funny because I actually backed one, and I've used the cash out facility on Raymond Tusk because I don't think he wants the ground as deep as that. But the other one I think definitely does, and that's Quickthorn, who I think could end up quite a warm favourite. He's just got soft ground all over him. If you watched the way he strode clear at Haydock last time and lifting them legs up, thumping the ground, and. This had long-term plan written all over it, didn't it? I mean, you don't go and win a handicap by 8.5 lengths without good reason, and the reason was he was rated 84, and he ain't getting anywhere near Royal Ascot off a mark of 84. So they pushed him right out to the line. Trainer Hughie Morrison won the race with Arab Dawn a few years ago. Had Kipps who was second in it the other day last year. You know what I mean? It's a race he targets.
Yeah.
He says the handicap mark is what it is. We'll be going on to better things. It's everything's there for a really big show.
He could be an Ebor horse, this chap, couldn't he?
He could easily be. I think a bit of ease in the ground. Looking at that action, and was really pronounced when he lengthens at the end. Does very much suggest soft ground too.
Oh, it's really, really soft ground. But I've found over the years, we've had a couple of royal weeks, haven't we? Taylor 2 halves. I'd still find that the form works out, if you look for them. And I think Quickthorn, it's hard to disagree. Right, 6.10. This new 5 furlong 3-year-old sprint handicap. Art Power blew them away. Massive gamble last year. Is there anything like that in the back?
I don't think there's anything like Art Power. I mean, the one I liked was Warrior Brave. I mean, I just thought he was the obvious fave because he's £7 well in, having run second in the scurry to Atalis Bay last Saturday. Ground, don't know. Never run it. By Twilight Sun, who's got that really good, was it Twilight Spinner?
Yes, that's right. He's a big boy as well, Warrior Brave.
Yeah, he's a big lad. He's got first-time blinkers because I think he was looking around a little bit the other day. And, it's almost like, we might have won this if he had blinkers. And if they think he could beat Atalis Bay, then he's even better than being £7 well in. So he's got to be a massive, massive player if he handles the ground. Dream Composer is the other one. I mean, Tom Seager was all over it yesterday. I
should love the ground.
I came to him a bit late. We'll definitely like the ground. Yeah,
he's the one that I thought would probably go well. 4 picks then from Kills. What's the nap? Quickthorn.
Quickthorn will win.
There you go, Quickthorn on a day where it's going to be slow underfoot. Quickthorn. Strangely named. Okay, so Kills giving us some help there. It's been a great week for Kills. We're delighted to have him in. He'll be back on Saturday as well. Okay, so he's, as Kills was saying there, we've got the Sandringham coming up next. Another fillies race on the straight track. It's over a mile. 12-1 the field they were yesterday. Trickiest race of the week, said Kills. We're going to need some help, aren't we, from Barry Orr? Have you muted yourself, Barry? Oh, there we go. You did. This is what I did at the start of the week, Barry. It's a long week.
You don't want to hear what I was saying there, anyway. It's when you said you get help from me.
It was a blooper, was it?
Samoot and Create Belief are joint favs at the top of the market at 8.0, which is 7-1. Far Hope 13, 14.5. Divine Light in there at 16.5. 19 Friendly. There's a win market, there's an each way market, there's your standard 4 place terms. We've 5, 6 and 7 places here on the Betfair Exchange. I'm going to back one in it. Ashari, James Doyle rides it. It's a Godolphin horse, only had 3 runs, won a maiden up in Newmarket in the July course on soft ground, won it really, really well, marked herself out as a nice filly that day. First run this season was behind Mystery Angel, was beaten 9 lengths, went off 6-4, favoured against Mystery Angel, the horse that ran so well in the Oaks. And then last day, also in May, on the 15th of May in Newbury, she finished 21 lengths behind Ashada, who ran so well yesterday, just touched off. She was 9-1 that day. That was over mile 2 furlongs. I think it just tested her stamina. She's a sister to Wahida. who just about got the mile. So I'm going to back her win, and I'm going to back her in the place market as well. I think she'll go on the ground. I think she'll run well. She's currently 30. So we'll have 25 quid on at 30, please. Happy to be a prize taker. Blue at the back here, please, G-Rod. And then we'll look at the 7th place market. So all the way down to 7 places on the Betfair Exchange. And because it's 30 in the win market, we're getting around 9 to 4, 5 to 2 in the 7 places. So we'll have 25 quid on there, G-Rod. Happy to be a prize taker again. Blue to back, take 25 quid. A Shari to win and place for me here.
Thank you, Barry Orr, for the boys in blue. And it's James Doyle on, isn't it? He's hoping for a change of luck then. The Doyler from stall 15. And is an interesting filly. On a debut run. You could see why they tried to stretch her out to be an Oaks filly. The Dam one, the Ribblesdale, she went on to be very good in America, Hibayer, but I remember her well. As you can see why they did that. And we've just seen the top 3-year-old fillies, James, haven't we, in the Coronation. This is historically a race for those that try early on in their career. And when it doesn't work out, they've still got an opportunity here at Royal Ascot.
You've got 2 options. You've either got a very lowly rated filly that you persevere like on Ascot last year. Charlie Fellows had that mark in the low 80s and thought, look, we'll save her for this. Or you've got those group class fillies that don't quite make it. They do tend to have a lot of weight, like Friendly. She ran a cracker ready to be 6th in the Irish 1000, but went from 81 to 102. So that mark got blown, ran a stormer. Can she replicate it off that mark? I thought this was probably the trickiest race of the meeting. Crate Belief, though, is quite strong in the market. She won on a very similar surface to the Curragh when she won a 12-runner fillies handicap by a length. The handicapper, or the British handicapper for sure, has put her up £10 for that. That's the only worry, whether the handicap has gone too harsh. But Johnny Murtaugh's had a lot of runners here, cracking 3rd in the Commonwealth Cup, ran a stormer. This one shouldn't be too far away from the middle draw in 16. Yeah,
she's been really well backed, hasn't she? And Johnny Murtaugh 3rd in the Commonwealth. And yeah, 2 fancied horses coming up as we tailed off the show then here for Johnny Murtaugh and the very promising Ben Cohen. Samut, I guess, G, is prominent in the market mainly because of the stout factor, but it's fair to say Jim Crowley rather overdid the weighting tactics last time at Wolverhampton, I think. But whether she'll go on the ground, I'm not sure. Who did you think would go on the ground?
Well, it's a bit of a guessing game involved because they're all very likely race fillies, and I mean you can overthink it sometimes, can't you? We thought Dragon Symbol maybe wouldn't go on the ground, and he won and then was had it taken away. There's a few that I've backed. I mean, I've actually backed 4 in the race.
Right.
But Messidor is the one that I fancied the most. I think that he will definitely handle the testing ground for Joseph O'Brien and Dylan McDonegal, claimed £3. Now this one ran a cracker last time at the Curragh on testing ground over 7 furlongs, so shouldn't have any issues with this. And I thought made quite a good fist of it, really. Travelled quite nicely. Couldn't get to the first 2, but yeah, I thought she was the sort of horse who might be well suited by this. Vadamos, the French sire, should be a soft ground influence. But I've also had a few quid on She Do, which ran in this race at Wolverhampton last time. That is almost kind of maybe going to provide the key.
Variance horse.
Yeah, Glasgow Girl won the race, which is quite prominent in the market here. And as you've already said, Samut, who was even money favourite, was given a lot to do and finished 5th. Well, in 2nd was She Do. And She Do is around about 30 odd to 1. And the other 2 are right at the head of the market.
Ridden by Ray Dawson, who I know you're a fan of.
Yeah, Ray Dawson, excellent, isn't he, for a £3 claim. Superb. And yeah, again, I thought that she made eye-catching progress towards the finish that day, She Do. I know it's possible to say that Samut was given a lot to do, but I think that She Do had plenty to do as well. And I thought Glasgow Girl really got the run of things the way that she won. So I would certainly be keen on She Do. And just a couple of others that I've backed. And My Generation was one that I've backed at a huge price each way. And Castena as well.
That's a non-My Generation.
My Generation.
Yeah, that has gone. That's a Patrick.
Castena just caught my eye at Kempton.
Yeah.
A couple of runs ago. I thought last time was behind Primo Bacchio at York.
Yeah. When she was a 20-to-1 shot, this would be a drop down in class. So back class for G, a couple of interesting words there. It is that sort of darts race, isn't it? I think I might have found one. I'll get to that. The market thinks so as well, by the way, now. But Frizzy Red comes back on and says, Pomelo for me, for the surefire connections of Rafe Beckett and, of course, Judd Monte. She looked in the net. She looked very good, winning on her debut at Newbury last year off a mark of 86, is it? She's got could be winnable. James Millman, a word for Pomelo.
Yeah, 89. You need to get some new glasses,
I
Dave.
definitely do.
I can see that with your contacts in. Yeah, Dubai, you'd imagine Rafe Beckett saw that mark of 89 and thought this race could be a lovely target. She's 2 from 3. Behind Isabella Giles, the one that didn't train on at Goodwood back in August.
He's getting the game here, James, isn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't put you off, but it's one of those races where I think Graeme made a great point about She Do. That's strong form at Wolverhampton. 7 stone 13 with Ray Dawson's £3 claim, a lovely lightweight. I could see her definitely running in those 6 places.
I'll tell you what, if I ever have a holiday, which will happen at some point, don't worry about it, you could put yourself in for this seat because you're getting the game. You had a swipe at him, and then, just as he was looking up, and hang on a minute, we were getting on really well, you went, he made a great point. That's how you play this game. Well done, Mr. Millman. That's the solicitor out there, isn't it? Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, I'll throw another one in. Far Hope. Marco Gianni, off the mark in the Hunt Cup. This really impressed me at Brighton. I backed a horse in that race that she won at Brighton. Don't worry about Brighton. Brighton's seen some really good horses this year, and Far Hope, I think, is one of them. Simon Crisford said, I wouldn't want it too soft. However, Night of Thunder is a sire that when his progeny get onto slot ground, his figures go right up. I'm not so worried about it as Simon is. Stall 6 was the slight worry for me when I saw the decks 48 hours ago, but the market's really come for her now.
Yeah, he's another very good £3 claim, isn't he, Marco Gianni? And good record for the stable. I think he's only ridden 3 times. A winner,
really good character. Have you come across him much, John?
He had a road winner for us, sold to Plato at Chepstow. Just what he did in the Hunt Cup, from the front, and kept on kicking.
Yeah.
The only worry for with Far Hope, they sent her to Brighton. If they thought she was that good, they would have
so keen at Brighton, and she still blew them away. And the second this week beat a horse with decent form at Chelmsford. I think it was on Wednesday night. Fast Medicine. That's the horse I backed. Fast Medicine for Peach Upper Arms. It's got some pretty good form. And off a mark of 88, I'm pretty certain she's definitely nearly 100 filly in the making. I think this. And it'd be good to see Simon and Ed get a bit of luck this week. Of course, Simon Crisford has got Ostilio, a Royal Ascot winner in the back. She was about 20 to 1 when I put her up, Barry. I now see she's into 10s around that Far Hope.
Far Hope 14.
Yeah.
13 to 1, Dave. Yeah, your favourite, Samut now, clear favourite, 7.4. Create Belief, 8.4. Divine Light, 17. Some money for that, 15. Theodelina, Messadors, 21. Glasgow Gal, she seems very weak in the market, out to 22.
For Hugo Palmer, who could do with a change of fortune. Of course, he had second in was it Norfolk?
Yeah, Dig 2, and the Windsor Castle, I think it was.
This girl, Tia Delina, for Team Hannon, who, of course, had Snow Lantern placed in the Coronation. Interesting?
Tia Delina? Yeah, I mean...
Seems to have been money for it, I think.
He's still waiting for a first winner, isn't he, this week? Hannon?
Yes.
Not had much luck. Definitely handles the ground. Yeah, went through it on heavy last time at Haydock, and yeah, I mean it's that sort of race, Dave, isn't it? I mean, it really is. Was it Kills? Did Kills say that it is the most competitive race of the week?
12 to 1 the field when the betting opened up. I just didn't know what to do. They had no idea.
It is just a sort of race that, well, it wouldn't surprise me if anything won it.
What goes off 12 to 1 the field? What sort of race is it? I mean, like
Grand National?
Well,
not even that.
Not even that anymore. Not even the National. You'd think about something like the Air Gold Cup or something.
You got me thinking now. I'll see if I can. Be
a plot or two.
I'm going to see if I can find that out for you, Dave.
Potential kind of plot.
Racy, sexy horses that the market seems to like. Let's get another social interaction up. What we got coming up? Hugh Masson, Prado looks interesting. Under Spencer. Yeah, I saw Jamie Spencer interview just after they announced earlier that racing would go ahead. He didn't. I didn't look that keen actually, Jamie, in comparison to them. But this is Charlie Hills. Charlie Hills. Of course, Batash Brave race in the King's Stand, wasn't it? Just too hot a pace scenario for him. He needs a change of luck as well. He can take home when I heard that they were having a good time in Charlie Hill's box. Apparently, that was absolutely rocking on the Tuesday, we heard. So they'll be hoping for a tonic, shall we say, with Prado. Jamie Spencer, so good on the straight track as we've been singing all week.
And she's got that grip class form, dropping back into a handicap. Goes in the ground. bit weak in the market. He thought she'd be a little bit strong because Jamie Spencer's got a cracking record in the race, and the jockeys that have Jamie has, and Hayley Turner, she's got an amazing record in the race, often lined up for a lightweight, and she's got a professional widow. I think that's been backed at about 18s, 19s on the exchanges for a filly that was a big price last night. 29, I think that might be a nice draw heading towards that stand-side rail.
Richard Spencer, Hayley Turner. Is Hayley Turner on a hat-trick in this race? She is, isn't she? It's amazing that Charlie Fellows hasn't got
nothing lined up on it, I think, this
I
year.
spoke to Charlie Fellows last year and I said, can we just have the filly for the Sandringham Prix? I think it was like towards the back end of the summer, and he said, I'll let you know when it comes. He'll be gutted he hasn't got one that's fallen.
2 33-1 winners in a row.
This professional widow was, I think, 50-1 when I was writing the preview.
And these lot, the Cunninghams,
Wednesday.
of course, who was the Guineas winner?
Yeah,
Cockney Rebel. Thank you, James. Yeah. And they do like to have a go. Let's put it that way. And Hayley Turner, who along with Spencer, Tom Segal said in his Q&A, 2 top jockeys on the straight track, whether the stats back it up or not. He loves Hayley Turner.
Yeah, the stats do back it up. I did run out the stats straight over a mile at Ascot, Royal Ascot. It's 18% for Spencer strike rate, 14% for Dettori, and 14% for Hayley Turner. Yeah. And that's for jockeys that had more than 10 rides in mile handicaps at the course at Royal Ascot. So they are the top 3 jockeys. And by coincidence, they have actually won the last 6 run-ins between them. Dettori's won it twice, Spencer's won it twice, and Turner has won it twice.
Well, okay. Isn't that interesting then? So jockeys race, it tends to be then. Got to be patient, haven't you, basically? Where do we think the pace is coming from in this? We haven't done that recently. Well, let's get a social up on the screen first, where the guys see out who might lead. Tom Barris comes back on. Urban Violets. I think the spotlights are agreeing with you, Tom, aren't they? Each way for me. Mick Shannon train, bottom weight, who loves this mud. Not without a chance. Yeah, when she won at Sandown, a remarkable performance. She got lit up on the round course on really bad ground, shuffled back in the pack, and then sighed through them like a knife through butter and won as she liked. And then turned her out to do a penalty next time, and it just wasn't the same sort of scenario. I wouldn't hold that against her. It's just whether she's up to this class. But yeah, interestingly, she is better than that last run. So, Tom, you might be on a run. Like I say, spotlight verdicts. We did the verdict. Let's have a little look down. Ben Hutton, our Northern stalwart, has given her the big shout there as well. It's just a bit of a minefield, this race, and G's had 4 goes on it. I mean, when you see a horse like Belief, Cheveley Park, William Haggis, Kieran Fallon, high stall, 22-1, it shows you the sort of the calibre of what we're dealing with. Who's confident here? You've still got your selection time to get them in. Where are we? We are roughly around about 5 o'clock, aren't we? So around about 15 minutes it will probably take to get them off. 2 more races for you here on Racing Post Live. Then we're doing it all again. The week has whittled by, but doesn't Tuesday seem like a distant memory with the weather we're having at the minute? We're expecting to be dry overnight, guys, aren't we?
There's rain forecast around still. It's not totally
let's not pin our hopes on one forecast. We've been saying this week, haven't we, every day?
I think it's going to be hard work tomorrow, or whatever happens.
Bruce was on yesterday, Graeme, and James, and I said to him, I've been saying it all, guys, they seem to have gone backwards where everything else in the world seems to have been enhancing itself and moving forward with science and all that sort of stuff. And he said, why don't they just come out and say, we don't really know what's going to happen. Take a brolly, but you might want to take a pair of shorts. And I thought that was fair.
Well, yeah, that was a point that Kevin Pauline made in his column the other day when I was reading it in the Racing Post. Was that basically weathermen, essentially, if they get it wrong, then you can hold your hands up and say, well, I can't predict the way of the wind, and Kevin Pauline went on to say that in Euro 2020, it's often just the team that gets the win behind them that then goes on to win it. It's not always the best team. And there is an element of truth to that. Do you remember when Denmark won it in 1992 and Portugal last time?
One of the best out there, isn't he, Kevin?
Oh, yeah.
And I know that Bruce is an avid reader, so that's probably what gave him the inspiration for that. So who's going to have the win behind them here? There we go, back to the Sandringham. Who are we seeing there in the parade ring going past? Cam Badou. Is that Cam Debou? Cam Debou. This is for one of your ambassadors then. Ben Curtis is on. What can you tell us about Cam Badou? Or Cam Debou, get it right, Dave Orton. Behind Measure of Magic, Barry, this last time out. We saw that form, well advertised.
Yeah, I think Joseph says he thinks she'll run a big race. She's well handicapped, and he thought she'd go on the ground. He says about her Whether she'll stay this far is a question mark, but I feel she's well handicapped and can run a big race if she gets the trip. So a little bit of concern about the trip. Her last run was over 5.5 furlongs behind Measure of Magic when she was fourth. That was a listed race for fillies, though. Well, probably not a bad run. We saw Measure of Magic run well earlier on in the Commonwealth, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably not a bad run, but the trip is the concern there.
And yesterday in the Britannia, Liffey River.
Ben Curtis is a night book, is an eye-catching booking there as well, it must be said.
Yes, absolutely. Would they have some sort of history together from being in Ireland? Ben was at John Ox's, wasn't he?
Yeah, remember they shared the jockey's title, the apprentice jockey's title. Ben, Joseph O'Brien, and a third jockey apprentice shared the title that year as well, and he rode Gavin Cromwell's winner the other day, Gary O'Carroll. The three of them shared the apprentice title one year.
There we go. Okay, so Joseph saying, Ben, I'll tell you what, we're pals. We shared the prize. Do you reckon they shared a trophy or something like that? They can share the winnings, of course, if can debut. Get it right. So, sometimes you see things and you just can't, no matter what happens. I did get the Commonwealth Cup.
You've not, there's been no error with that. Not at all.
It's the osmosis that we're getting together.
I know,
we just need a winner at this point, don't we? I have to say, the punting for me has been proper there or thereabouts, but not getting over the line. Wednesday was my big day so far. G, what sort of week are you having? Let's draw a breath. How's it been?
It's been similar to you, Dave. A lot of places, a lot of crossbarring, but only the one winner. That was Chipotle or Chipotle or whatever.
Chipotle.
However you pronounce it.
Well, if you go on the phonetic on the search engine.
The great thing about Royal Ascot and Cheltenham and all the big meetings like this, though, is that you can crossbar and crossbar and crossbar, keep having seconds and thirds. But when usually at these big meetings, when I find a winner, it is usually 20, 25 to 1, 33 to 1, and it only takes one to completely transform
Is
the
that
whole
because you're
week.
chasing, though, Graeme? You need to land on a 33 to 1 chance to get it back.
It's been since Flooring Porter, Barry. You didn't go with Gav Cromwell then in the Queen Mary?
Gavin Cromwell and the Queen Mary, quick
You're nearly
Susie.
number one in the Cromwell fan club.
I do love a bit of Gavin Cromwell's runners. Yeah, Quick Susie, I wasn't certain that he would be able to produce a 2-year-old to be quite as fast as she was, but don't put anything past him.
No, absolutely not. Okay, a reminder of the tips then. Barry, tell the viewers again what the trade is in this impossible-looking Sandringham.
I've backed Hashari, who's drawn 15. And is number 15 for anybody who likes that sort of symmetry.
That sort of race, isn't it?
Straws there. Looking at straws there, I know. But no, I think she's on a good mark. She's on a mark at 90. I think that's workable for her. There's improvement in her. So Ashari in the win market and the 7 places on the Betfair Exchange.
That's funny because that is something that I always have to explain when I'm watching racing with my missus, is she doesn't understand why a horse that's maybe number 1 on the card comes out of stall 15 or 20 or 30, because in the US and Canada, of course, number 1 usually just comes out of stall 1.
It's her gate position, yeah.
This is Mrs. Rodway Gosden, of course.
Of course.
She doesn't understand about racing. That's remarkable.
No, she has a very sort of North American grounding in racing. So the idea of, for example, Messidor coming from stall 32 yet being number 13 just blows her mind.
Okay, the Australians would be the same as well, wouldn't they? So you got 4 in this, headlined by?
Messidor for Joseph O'Brien. I think that the ground is right for him. They've had that big umbrella up the near side rail, Dave. Remember, we've spoken about this before. I've heard this theory going around. It's not one of mine.
It's not a Rodway theory.
It's not a Rodway theory.
Pass this on.
This is one that somebody else has given me, is that basically like that big grandstand, that huge grandstand, acts as a big umbrella to almost to shield the near side rail from the rain. So when it gets really wet there, you want to be on the stand.
George Bowie, it might have been his.
Maybe it was Nick Bradley and George Bowie.
Yeah, they were listening to you.
I hope that they're right, because Messidor's drawn right on that stand side rail in stall 32.
The last race yesterday, the winner, Highfield Princess, is it for the Queens?
Came right up the stand side rail.
Bang on it, wasn't it? Danielle was probably the moral winner.
She's a good filly, that Highfield Princess.
She's off 56, I think, her first win.
She won loads of races at Chelmsford and then won nicely at Haydock. And
we've seen all weather form well advertised this week.
Well, straight track in particular.
Yeah, I think indeed, absolutely. And I think if you're with Samuk, you're hoping that's borne out, isn't it? You're given a little bit too much to do. The leaders just didn't come back last time, but it does seem a bit silly, G. I agree that she do his 25s and was ahead of Samut last time. Okay, it's different connections, and they didn't get the rub of the green, Samut, but she's entitled to come on for the money.
Yeah, it's not bad connections either, is
Rog
it?
could do with a change of
Certainly
fortune.
Roger Varian. I mean, he had a great year last year, didn't he, of course? Maybe not quite been the week that he would have hoped for this week so far, Dave.
Certainly
But
not.
we've seen it before, certainly at Cheltenham. Do you remember that year when Willie Mullins went to half-time and he only just got his winner in the bumper, and then suddenly he won virtually every race in the last 2 days?
What was the horse that was beaten in the Ribblesdale yesterday? She looked probably the best of them so far. Was it Ashara? Was it?
Ishara, yeah.
Gary, yeah.
Yeah, she was really unlucky with the draw, wasn't she? I think it just did her.
Rob Havlin, good to see him get a nice big win on the board.
Ab Havlin, yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Gosden's now won 4 of the last 5.
Now, that was one for one of my theories. As you know, I think I've gone through this theory before with you, Dave, haven't I?
There's so many, G, that you're going to have to refresh my memory.
When it comes to big meetings like Royal Ascot and things like that, and you've got big operations like John Gosden or Aidan and things like that, then it's just nice sometimes for the trainers to throw the guys like Robert Havlin and Shamey and the team players, give them a good chance of a winner every now and
Juicy
again.
bone.
Yeah, keep let's be honest. If you're Rob Havlin and you're putting in the hard yards every day and you're going in doing the hard, and then you see him Frankie Dettori win every single big race while you sit back, it's not. It wouldn't please me as an employee, and I think it's good management, personally, just to keep these guys interested by giving them good rides. And I think that you saw that with Robert Havlin having his winner yesterday for Gosden.
Yeah, that was certainly a surprise to me, the Ribblesdale win. I think he's talking absolute madness, James. Or?
Yeah. That whole division, isn't it, in the Fillies division over a mile and a half has been pretty hard to decipher, apart from Snowfall. The rest of them all a little bit much of a muchness. But
So again, Snowfall, what are we expecting to come from Snowfall next time? Where's she going to go?
It looked too good to be true to me.
Yorkshire Oaks and Love goes to the King
Do you
George?
think that the better horses, Love or Snowfall? They were both very impressive.
with the allowance, that could certainly bring it into play. I don't think they'll take each other on.
King George is almost like a gimme for her, isn't it?
You'd say so.
With the age and sex allowance, to Gruder obviously being the great case, but we always
Make
to hand
that
down
exact
to him, of
route.
course. It was just an absolute certainty that year that he was getting so much weight, wasn't it?
I'd have her over Dare, the Derby and the Oaks winner. I think
Would you?
She's much better.
The flat season, it has ignited. It's been having a little bit stick so far, the flat season, hasn't it? About, not been like, hasn't really ignited, but Barry gave us a lovely narrative, and now slightly in awe of it is. There's a great programme, and this meeting for me absolutely has ignited it. Cannot wait for the Sussex Stakes. We will be back. Our next festival will be Glorious Goodwood towards the back end of July. Every Saturday, though, in the meantime, coming back to you. Cannot wait. Always sizzling action, dictated to by the racing, real-time reaction and analysis here on Racing Post Live. If you're watching on YouTube, do like and subscribe. That's what we love. The subscriptions are really bundling up there. Had some wonderful feedback this week. Keep that coming in, your social interactions. We've got 2 more races to go. They're slowly making their way down. I think we can say we're going to be a little bit late here, guys, for Sandringham, aren't we?
Looks that way, doesn't it?
About 5 minutes, I'd say, until they're all loaded. We've got only 21 left. We have got a lot of non-runners, 8 non-runners, I think, altogether.
There's been a little bit stick about the race times being late as well this week, haven't they? But I'll tell you what, they got lucky with it today, didn't they? It was fully justified. Did you think the inspection went on too long, or is welfare the absolute paramount? Take as long as you want.
I think the problem was the rain was still falling. It wasn't like you were assessing something that wasn't going to get any worse, I suppose. So
We were thinking, weren't we, going into the first race? I know Barry's on this as well.
They might not. And actually, you've not really watched it and think, oh, it's awful. We've not had horses absolutely spread out. They've generally actually been pretty bunched finishes.
Kills seemed to think there was a rule where you had to run 3 races. You had to be confident you could run 3 races before you can't just say let's run 1 and see how we get on.
More for the crowds. If you run a certain number of races, you have to pay ticket refunds. So if you can get 3 races in, I think the refund drops dramatically. So
it was close to the off though, wasn't it, G?
Yeah, it was, but they've obviously made the right decision, haven't they? Because so far, everything.
Is anyone complaining about the spectacle that is today?
No,
basically,
it's been great, hasn't
Absolutely
it?
not.
And there's been some super races. The Campanelle and Dragon Symbol.
Undoubted highlight of the day so
was
far.
Undoubtedly the race of the day and one of the races of the week. It was super, wasn't it? And I think we saw 2 star sprinters. Can't wait for the rematch.
Love to see them both turn up in the July Cup. Dragon Symbol for me, I think, is just it's really, really taken by him. And hopefully Archie Watson will get that that Group 1 in the July Cup there. Do you think he'll appeal?
I think they will appeal.
From what we could see on the track, I mean, the cameramen were certainly, we've got a great narrative here. Thanks to them for that, by the way.
Yeah, Archie and Rafe Beckett were in a little bit of...
When Rafe comes up to you after you've lost something and he's doing this to you, and he's like, listen, I got it. You can do the same. I know a great brief. His name's Rory. His name's Millman.
No, Rory McNeice will be the one that will be commissioned into working.
Will they get it? Still want to hear from you about that. Right decision, wrong decision. The controversial stewards inquiry. James Millman, he knew right from the start, didn't he? It was borne out. Seemingly he did in exchange land as well, because it's very short. She went Cambernail. Where's Ward? And again,
I think it's
12th
good
winner
for a winner, and just to keep him coming back. It does provide a narrative, doesn't it, having these American...
He has had blank years and it's not put him off, you know.
No. It's just his own, it's because the cost.
It's a family holiday for Wes, you know. All the family love it, you know. I've seen his boys, you know, and they and all the staff, they absolutely love it. After racing, the whole shaboodle, they adore it. They love staying in London. They get put up, you know.
Royal Ascot was treating them well, and that's because obviously the prize money isn't really what brings them over. Bearing in mind they can win a maiden out in the States, and it wouldn't be that far off winning a Queen Mary. Mark
Johnson's perhaps the quote of the week so far for me after Subjectivist yesterday, when he said there are more valuable races, perhaps even more, prestigious races for sires, you know, and all that sort of thing. But this is the one I wanted to win. And he also said, I feel sad for Strad.
Yep, I think first congratulations was to John Gosling, congratulations to Mark Johnson straight after the Gold Cup yesterday. And that was a cracking spectacle as well. It was an exciting race.
It's like big Johnny G straight to do that, isn't it? Absolutely. He's had a good week as well, hasn't he? Him and Thady.
Yeah, it's been a good week for them, hasn't it? And I suppose they needed it because they maybe not had a great start. But
looking for a star 2-year-old from them. They've got something in the Chesham tomorrow, haven't they?
Yeah.
Her Majesty.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be quite nice. I think it's improved plenty from the debut.
Yeah, that looks like a hot race.
Interesting Chesham, because the Bolden horse, which that might end the voodoo.
It might in the voodoo, the hoodoo or the voodoo.
Is that what you're going for, the Balding horse tomorrow? Can
yeah,
tease that?
Masakela, that might.
Give a big shout.
Blowing the trumpet.
I think that Aidan O'Brien trained favourite Point Lonsdale might drift anyway.
It's become some race to Chesham, hasn't it? Godolphin and Ballydor going up against each other. Right now it's the Sandringham at 5 o'clock. We're here finally. Good luck then. Minefield, who's going to lead? Pretty level break, which is the first thing to say. Far Hope goes far side. Come on, Marco. Can you make all? As she settles, she's going to finish fast. Something going in the middle. This is She Do. Graeme Rodway likes this. Create Belief a little bit keen on the near side with Divine Light. Looking down, what else have we got? I'll tell you what, one thing to note here, guys. Just 4 is it going on the far side, and they're definitely in front. James Millman near side.
Yeah, they are in a bigger group, headed by the Godolphin White Cap. It's going quite nicely, Divine Light. Marco's already trying to squeeze along.
Yes.
Far Hope to try and keep in touch with the other side.
Is that Friendly on the other side, G, as well, is it?
Yeah, it looks that way. The near side look like they're in front, but we saw this earlier in the week with the American horse blazing
Roofing in the Windsor Castle.
Yeah, roofing in the Windsor Castle. It completely
Gamble
changed.
Professional Widow going well with 4 furlongs out. Barry Orr, any spikes?
5-1 Create Belief. That's the shortest in running at the moment. Messi Adore for McGonigal is into 6 as well.
Look at
6.2.
Look at Spencer Prada out the back, the best rider on the straight track.
Not moved.
Absolutely bridling it. You've got to feel for Far Hope. The only one that went far side. They're going to be absolutely stuffed here. No good whatsoever. What's this near side? Is it one of yours, G?
Yeah, it is. Messidor.
Come on, G.
Is it coming?
This can't be Messiador, is it?
Is it coming fast enough?
Great Brief is kicking on.
Create Belief.
Create Belief for Johnny Murtagh. Graeme Rodway's horse chasing it down.
Oh, this is
What's
won
this? Here
by a
comes
mile.
Samoot coming out the pack. Once again, being given plenty
This
to
is
do.
miles ahead.
It's all near side. It's near side rail. Johnny Murtagh, 3rd in the Commonwealth Cup. This one he gets in the bag. Could be a strong finish, we said, for Johnny Murtagh. This has blown them apart. Once again, the treacle-like conditions are having something to say. Samoot, she's well up there with the market. 2 market leaders basically come clear of Messiador. Good shout, G.
Yeah, ran very, very well. Another crossbar, Dave. But land the place money, of course. I think another one of mine finished 4th. She Do was bang there as well. But yeah, the big umbrella up the stern side rail. And won by half the track, hasn't it?
And she's won despite being keen. We'll pick the bones out of that form after we get the story of the market from Barry. I suppose she was always popular, Barry.
Yeah, she always was. Samu traded at a low at 2.36 for 46 quid. The third place, Messiador. Now, she's shot clear the winner, obviously, but Messiador traded at a low of 3.4. But Create Belief, who had a Betfair SP of 6.7, traded at a high of 14. But I think that was more when the non-runners were still in the race. That wasn't so much in running. But nice win for the Racehorse Club, isn't it? Colours were carried by the Learjet earlier on this week.
And second in the National, of course, weren't they, with Balco de Flo? Yeah, lots been said about that.
Correct.
Lots been said about that, but they got some high-profile runners, most notably thanks to Sheikh Farhad, of course, and Qatar Racing, and Johnny Murtaugh always been close to those guys. It was pretty slow-motion stuff, that, wasn't it?
That was the first race where it
I finished fifth.
I think G
It
said...
wasn't the horse I backed, was it?
I'm not sure, actually, Barry. We'll try and get a look at
Horse
that.
in blue colours.
We think it was Barry, I'm hearing from the
Was
gallery.
it or was it friendly?
It was either that or Castana, wasn't it? I think maybe. Or was that...
I don't think it was friendly.
I was
Friendly
just
was on
looking at
other
the
side
winner
of
and
the
she was
track.
miles ahead, so I'm not 100% sure there. Who went with Create Belief then? Did you go there? Ben Cohen, big moment for him, Barry.
Yeah, great jockey. Obviously, we spoke about him earlier on in the week. He's a very capable jockey. There's a really good band of young jockeys coming through in Ireland. The likes of Ben Cohen probably heads him. He's after getting that job with Johnny Murtaugh. And, you know, Johnny Murtaugh was a great jockey himself, not only domestically, but all over the world. And obviously, he sees a lot of good qualities in Ben Cohen that he's putting him up. And rightly, he's done nothing wrong there, has he?
Group 1 Johnny, of course, who was trained at Champs-Élysées, of course, it was beaten in the Duke of Cambridge, was his breakthrough as a Group 1 trainer as well. But Group 1 Johnny was brilliant, wasn't he? Do you remember that link up with Sir Michael Stout that he had when Kieran was injured? And, of course, Aga
William
Khan.
Haggis used to ride a
William
fair bit in the
Haggis,
UK, so
absolutely. Yeah,
fantastic rider. And the last 2 years, last year was really the breakthrough
Yeah, he was
season
fifth.
for Johnny Murtaugh.
was it fifth?
Sherry was fifth, yeah. We got
Good
our
shout.
place money.
Lovely, happy days. Okay, really, really tricky. I mean, mine, Far Hope, was one of the gambles of the race, but went far side, didn't he, Marco Gianni? And
It worked
Treacle.
in the Hunt Cup, but unfortunately, that wasn't really the place to be.
might have been a blot there as well in the Hunt Cup, do you think?
It absolutely bolted up. But
Real world.
You see this quite a lot now in handicaps at Royal Ascot, I find, the last couple of years in particular, that some of these straight course handicaps are won by huge distances. There are horses that are either just miles ahead of their mark or the race has just panned out absolutely perfectly for them. And no
What do we
one
think
else.
about this one?
I suspect
think it's
this
much
one's
above its
thrown in.
mark. It went up £10 for that win over in Ireland on heavy ground, so you knew she was going to handle the conditions, which I think is a huge plus, because we said earlier on in the day, the 2 year olds in the Albany, they weren't that tired. They all kind of raced in a bunch. In the Commonwealth, Dragon Symbol and Campagnolo, they pulled clear, but it was still a relatively close finish behind. Here, they're absolutely tired and behind. They're stretched out like watching a novice chase rather than the leading race at Royal Ascot.
Big winner that for Atward, the Tsar, who I thought was his progeny were looking like they were better on decent ground. Just depends on the mare a lot of the time.
McPhee mare.
Okay, yeah.
So that's probably where the soft ground's
enough,
coming
James.
from.
Okay, so listen, you'll probably be delighted to hear that is the trickiest race of the week out the way. But fancied runners came to the fore. They blew them apart, didn't they? Any disappointments in there for you guys? Who stuck to the market? Keep it simple. I bet there's loads of people out there today, despite the rain, having a really, really good time of it. Let us know here on RP Live. One more race to go. It's the King Edward Stakes. The Duke of Edinburgh, sorry. We've had the King Edward the 5th Stakes, haven't we? Duke of Edinburgh Stakes, Class 2 it is then. Very well fancied horse in this, Barry, or Paul Keeley likes him. It's his nap on the day. It's Quickthorn.
Right, okay. Quickthorn. Just let me get it up here, Dave. Currently on the Betfair Exchange, Quickthorn 6, 5-1. Sam Cook 6.8, 8 at the EA. Moran, another Johnny Murtaugh horse, 9.0, 9.6, Wine O'Clock, and Tritonic, a one-time favourite for the Triumph Earl is 10.5, 15 bar. Tell you what I'm doing here. I'm taking on Sam Cook, and I'm taking him on in running. So please, if we can select to lay Sam Cook, please, G-Rod. And what we're going to do, we're going to select to lay him. He's currently what? He's 6.8. I don't want to lay him pre-race. I want to lay him in running because last time in York, he traded at 2.12, which is just nearly 11 to 10. And Wolves, the time before that, 2.4. 3.5 in Doncaster the time before that. 8's on in Ascot before that. And 6-4 on the July course before that. He always trades at a multiple of his Betfair SP, below a multiple of his Betfair SP. and gets beat. So I'm willing to take him on. I know he has his ground and everything, and a lot of people seem to fancy him today. I think he's ridiculously short in the win market. But what we're going to do here, we're going to select to lay him, and we're going to look to take 100 quid out of him at even money. I think he might trade as short as evens here. So we're going to look to lay an even 100 quid. So we're taking 100 quid of the backer stake at 2.0. And if you just remember to keep bet there, that will stay in play when the horses, when the race goes off. That way we can have a bet in running. If we hadn't have kept bet, the bet would come down as unmatched beforehand. And but because we've clicked the keep bet option, it kicks off in play for us as well. So we're looking to lay him at even money and running for 100 quid.
Oh, will he touch it? That's the big thing then. You say a lot of people seem to fancy him. Let's get this out of the way. Didn't work for me so well earlier on. Sam Cook was the one I came down on. I thought a £13 rise for Quickthorn might just scupper him, I have to say. But Sam Cook in the Illarab race, I think we can say that, can't we? He looked to me like he was a bit of a reluctant leader first time out of York. He really pulled for his head. And I thought he did quite well in the circumstances. And I'm hoping that the lightning factor comes into play here. Because you remember the last race on RP Live yesterday was won by Surefire, Hector Crouch and Rafe Beckett. The same connections of Sam Cook. So I'm hoping that he touches even money for Barry and then stays there and goes 101 for me. So that's exactly what I want, Sam Cook, along the way. But I'll tell you what, the day I'm having, don't pin your hat on it. Okay, I've got a bit of the Rodway about me. G, Quickthorn. This is, I have to be honest, G. You know, one of the reasons why everyone loves you, me included, is because you don't often put up short price. You go for your opinion. You have been throwing some massive prices at the board, you know, and this is in contrast. This could be the one.
This could be the one. The last race we had the third and the fourth at big prices, Dave. So we continue our theme of hitting the crossbar. Maybe this time we're going to go to better. Quickthorn is favourite, but I just think he is the right favourite. He just looked an absolute star when he won at Haydock last time out on soft ground. Good to soft ground, but it's always testing at Haydock. Real soft ground action, proper round action. Looks like he loved testing ground. Now, he got whacked up £13, right? But this just looks like a group horse in the making. He won 8.5 lengths, completely dominated the race. Good time. Everything about that performance suggested that he was a smart performer. Hughie Morrison won this race, 2015, with Arab Dawn. He is very good in these sorts of races. Oshin Murphy to ride, Dave. Everything's going right now for Oshin, apart from Dragon Symbol, of course, when he was just touched off. And unlucky, I think, in the stewards' inquiry. James obviously disagreed. I thought he should have kept it. Let's hope this can be the one that ends it. Quickthorn.
Powerful trainer over the years, Hughie Morrison. We can all agree on that. He's had some right sorts through his hands, hasn't he? Smaller yard now, perhaps, than... I don't want to say he's had his heyday, but this is a race, as you quite rightly say, that Hughie has got some business with. He even had the fifth in it last year, called Le Don de Vie, who turned into a pattern class form and now down under, strutting his stuff. He only throws very progressive horses at this race, James.
Yeah, Arab Dawn, obviously, his winner 2015. Marmello, a similar type, progressing through the ranks.
You're thinking E-balls, you're thinking maybe not Melbourne Cup this year.
Handicappers. Melbourne Cup is normally, isn't it, the cup of tea.
What do you make of that, just quickly? We've got plenty of time, haven't we, until the next.
It's extremely excessive.
These are the restrictions the new quarantine restrictions that the Victorian state has placed upon foreign raiders, not just European horses. No. We heard Aidan O'Brien talking earlier in the week about actually what that meant. And if you heard it, I don't want to paraphrase it because it's quite technical, but seemingly you wouldn't take your best horse down there, I mean, at all, would you?
No, because they've got to do so many scans to make sure that they're all A1 and okay, which I know that sounds perfectly sensible, and it is the right thing to do because, unfortunately, the Melbourne Cup has had a few issues.
Anthony Van Dyke, sadly.
With horses having fatal injuries. But the scans are so extreme. They've got to have an isotope, a radioactive isotope injected into the horse.
Unbelievable.
Go through them. They'll be off training for like a week. The results don't come back for a couple of weeks. You've got to do all this before you even think about going out there. The cost is immense. I know we're dealing with some very expensive racehorse owners, but it's just not worth.
Like Kamari from the Queen's Vase, because it's Godolphin, they might.
Yeah, they're probably,
isn't it? They might think about it.
I think what will happen, a few more will actually be bought over here and then transfer to an Aussie trainer.
That's the way to do it.
to go through.
That's the way to skin a cat, isn't it? But
it won't be coming back either.
There's been a big outcry down under as well about the fact it's not their race anymore. They did win it a couple of years ago. But
That is the problem as well, because the breeding now in Australia, it is all speed now. You very rarely see any staying stallions out there. So the problem is the genetic pool out there is so weak regarding the staying division that our second-rate ones as such. The Group
you've
3,
seen
Group 2
Zaki
horses.
go down under.
Zaki failed a drug test the other day, which when
Peter Moody comes
came
out
out
and
and
says
said,
our trainers are better
so
than
much
Sir
better.
Michael Stout, and Annabelle Neesham, the trainer, turns out to be British, by the way.
I did think that was ironic that he did fail a drug test yesterday, but there's so many issues that it was hard enough anyway to take a horse out to Australia. It was a long process. Now it's just
Charlie Fellows with Prince of Arran, like Red Cadeau, who's really unlucky not to win last year. You live it, aren't you?
yeah. He's another year older. I think they probably had exactly the right time, but yeah, it's a shame. And you've also got the fact they don't like the British or the Irish, the Europeans coming over.
For the
and winning.
Aussies, though, isn't it? They don't get these favourite.
Well,
foreign
yeah.
horses
Do you
coming down.
think that's going to affect going forward after COVID? Eventually, hopefully, when we get out of this, is it going to affect the race in future years?
They're so stubborn, aren't they? They're so stubborn, our Aussie friends. I mean, I spent some time down there cutting my teeth, in the early noughties, and it's always been a bit of a battle. I thought it sort of chilled out a little bit, maybe a bit too much, but yeah, they do want it to stay in their own backyard. There's no doubt in that. But I do feel for some of them down there. There's still loads of Europeans in Australia, for example, but they love to see, like we like to see theirs come up here, About time we saw some more.
Yeah.
So when it's all over, absolutely. Chris Waller will be bringing them up. Don't you worry about that. That's going to happen. And, of course, he's got some of the best sprints in the world, Nature Strip and all that sort of thing. Anyway, we digress slightly, but, will Kamari go to the Melbourne Cup?
That's the only one I think that's got the money.
They'll be desperate
and
for him
the
to
time
go, I reckon,
3-year-old as well, cross-counter
It's
route.
cross-counter, isn't it?
But yeah, from a normal trainer's point of view, even Aidan O'Brien, let's say it's unlikely. And I think even the Lloyd Williams horses, obviously Joseph's trained quite a few for him that generally were bought to go back out there. Was it Rick Inlin that won the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah.
I think even they're saying we think it's going to be too excessive.
Lloyd Williams obviously missed the Melbourne Cup, isn't he? As
Exactly.
Barry said yesterday. Okay, back to the final race here, the 5:35 on Racing Post Live. There is still the 6:10. Of course, Keels likes Warrior Brave in that, as you've heard. He likes Quickthorn along with Graeme Rodway in that. Barry in running late, hoping that Sam Cook goes low. I'm hoping he goes low and stays there under the bar. Mr. Millman.
G-Rod's going to get a winner. It's going to finally happen.
Quickthorn.
I think Quickthorn's got it because, like he raced, the only slight concern Master of the Stars let the form out a little bit on the subsequent start, the runner-up, but he won by 8.5 lengths. O'Sheen was very keen to get back.
One-way
on board
traffic,
him.
wasn't it?
Yes, he's £13, but he deserved a £13. Wide draw, no horse drawn lower than 10 has won this race in the last 10 years. Lots in the favour, and Sam Cook is a little bit dodgy in the run. So, yeah, I think Quickthorn's our progressive one to end the voodoo.
Wide draw is good here, isn't it? On this.
The higher we go up in distance, we've been saying this throughout the
Yeah.
week, the better it is.
And of course, they're going the Bari route today, so
it's
underneath
even
the
better.
tree, so today it's even
Snow
better.
Lantern, you could argue, was beaten by the low draw, couldn't you? In the
Yeah,
coronation?
and because she got no cover either.
That's it.
So
That's
the
it.
double combo.
Oh, if you're Richard Annan, you're absolutely gutted about that, aren't you? I mean,
My only worry with Quickthorn is that I've tipped it.
the voodoo hoodoo, could it end here? Barry's not so sure. He's thinking, hang on a minute, I might get another lay-in.
I'm certain this is going to run well. It's just everything that I tip at the moment just finds one or two.
Well, look, you're with Kills, so you're in very, very good company, right? So, and Kills' point about the £13 was he needed to get into this race. He's obviously been quite a backward horse. We know he goes well fresh, but his second run last season after a break, he went very close on the all-weather again to behind a horse called Omnivega, a decent horse of Dave Simcock. Let's talk about some others. And actually, let's give you the quote from Huey, as you've got in your members section. We were thrilled with his last run. I bet you were. It's great to see him showing what we always hoped. So he's back, basically. He's where they want him to be. We aspire to better things. So the £13 rise, it is what it is. We're hoping there would be some more rain for him. We'll take as much as they're going to throw. The softer, the better. Couldn't make it up, could you?
I bet he didn't expect it to only be off when he made that quote to the Racing Post reporter.
Absolutely sure he didn't think that. Yeah.
Let's talk about some others. Miran, a quick double for Ben Cohen and Johnny Murtagh. Dave Jennings, our Irish Supremo, really likes this horse. Thinks he's going to go close.
Well, Johnny, was it Barry was saying that Johnny thought that maybe he might have a good couple of last good couple of days, the last 2 days, and obviously that has been the first one.
He's a
the last
third in
winner.
the Commonwealth, just taking out the Sandringham, and this chap looks like it's got the right sort of trajectory. And of course, Miran Barry has also got Australian owners topically.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He's a funny sort of horse. He let them down a couple of times last year. Now I remember backing him in handicaps when he was. I thought he'd go really, really well, but they gave the ground as an excuse one day in the Curragh when he was beaten behind Lafayette. Now he wasn't beaten that far actually, as it turns out. He was only beaten just under 3 lengths that day. But they thought the soft, the heavy ground mightn't have suited him. And then he ran a cracker last day out again back at the Curragh in May when we last saw him behind Baby Zeus. He was given £11 to Baby Zeus. That's one of Willie Mullins's that really you could boil in the almost could be anything on the flat category. So that probably wasn't a bad run. The horses are in great form as well, aren't they? As we've seen this week and for the last couple of months over here. So not without a chance, but he's a horse that they do tend to back almost every run.
Okay, so Miran, we're expecting him to transfer down under at some point for the OTC brigade. But the trip, interesting. If he goes on the ground, he could well have a say. He's Jordan stall 10, so he just hits that double figure stall. So does Our Day. And talk about other horses that have gone up £13 in the handicap. Simon and Ed Crisford. They've got a line on Quickthorn as well, I think, haven't they? For horses in the same colour that was third to him last time out. And this horse is holding its position in the market. Any chance, James?
It was a strong race that he won last time. Rodrigo Diaz, the David Simcoe horse, was possibly one of the best handicap horses in training. When he went on his winning run, he won subsequently at Doncaster quite nicely. And a day he beat him 4.5 lengths.
And you had the fourth in that race.
We did Horridge Flyer. Solid old boy. He's just getting on a little bit nowadays. But yeah, we were hoping a day wouldn't be declared. The ground might be a little bit of a worry for him. I don't think he'd want it this soft because they declared him at the last minute when he ran the last time.
There's a new approach out of Street Cry, so you're probably right.
That would be my only slight worry with the day because I do think he's very well handicapped.
Yeah, and again, another horse, G, that could just be masquerading as handicapped.
Yeah, there's a few of those in here, aren't there? What about Tritonic? He, of course, was one of the favourites for the Triumph Hurdle at Cheltenham.
Still painful memories of that. Can't believe he ran so flat.
And of course, he got absolutely thrashed by the Irish horses, which all the
You
British
weren't on
horses
Tritonic,
did.
were you, Dave?
I was on Tritonic. What are you on about? What's the problem with
Did
that?
Roscoe not let you in that the Irish were so far ahead in the Triumph?
Yeah, he's on the wrong one.
He was on the wrong one.
Barry wasn't. Kixie Oz, that was one of the shouts of the year for Barry, I can tell you. He loves Ascot, though, this bloke. Kixie Oz, good memories, eh, Barry? I think when we do our highlights package at the end of the year.
Away, Dave.
Yeah.
Seems a lifetime away.
It doesn't it just?
Yeah, Monolly in the Gold Cup on the same day.
Yeah.
That was a special day.
Yeah, Manila Indo, of course, absolutely. It's so far
sorry,
away.
Manila
Yeah,
Indo runs in
he's
the
that
Monolly
far away.
colours, yeah.
Oh, do you remember that, Barry? No crowd. We had to rely, didn't we? We were calling James Stevens on the track. All the stables staff and lasses to be the atmosphere there. Man, what have we gone through?
Let's hope that we never go back to those days, Dave. Eh?
Let's not jinx that one, Rodders. Zabeel Champion coming here on a 4-timer, massive price at 11 to 1. A lot of people will be thinking for Ben Curtis, and again Braveheart's sort of it's just his race, isn't it? What sort of record has he got in this? Let's have a look. It's got to be good, isn't it? Let's have a look down.
The 3-year-old one, he's got a better
winners in the
record.
last 10 years. Yeah, Baghdad, of course, massive gamble, won it in 2019.
Yeah, ground should be all right with Poet's Voice as a side, would you say?
I think so. And he can sort of rely on Braveheart's horses, can't
you? You do wonder how well handicapped
he's won on soft, yeah. Man of the Night he beat, didn't he, last year, of course.
How well handicapped is he?
He's won some bad races this year, hasn't he?
I mean,
really interesting horse in here, as you keep going down, called Favourite Moon, who of course accompanied a Dabe and managed to win.
And come back.
In Australia. And has
Quite
come
surprised.
back, well, I think probably because of the connections. They always like to take one down there as a travel companion, obviously. It was Young Rascal stayed down there.
Yeah, he stayed over there.
He stayed over there, but this chap's come back, and soft ground would be good for him. It's just whether he might have other targets a little bit later on. I wonder if they're looking at an E-ball with him. They might well be. Scarlet Dragon win at the meeting last year, first
Holly Doyle.
for Holly Doyle. Raymond Tusk, massive run last time behind Ilarab.
He's running well for Alan King. He's kind of got him back on track, Raymond Tusk.
Round, I thought, was the issue. Kills mentioned that in his piece.
Yeah, I thought it was a good run at York at 40 to 1 behind Arabi. He ran a stormer.
It's one of those races you'd just be a little bit disappointed if some of these more exposed ones weren't undone by one of the ones that is more likely raced.
Okay, well, we'll find out. What do you like out there then? When the socials are piling in. Great to have you with us this afternoon. It's going to come on. Andy Sim comes back and says, Sam Cook normally runs so well. Each way bet. I'm with you, Andy. Good to see us some support. MI says, favourite moon if it is a going day. But you're right. Probably is a bit of an Oxo horse, isn't it? X1. Quite right. Evocati. Addy for me. Good to have you back, Evocati. You've always got some interesting shouts. Had Dave for me. Hopefully the panel have talked about that one. And Make a Stand says, Tritonic will love the ground. See the moon. See the moon. The German sire. One more before we go to that with G. Neil Francis. Good to have you back, Neil. Says, I like Quickthorn, but God, G-Rod has tipped it. Oh, no. Absolutely. This is the one, though. Come on, we've got to have faith. Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, a law of averages, man.
Well, I've been saying that for a while, Dave.
We have. We have.
I'm not preempting anything.
Who's going to lead? Let's move to that one. Not preempt. Well, I don't want to preempt for you either. Let's move on to who's going to lead. Let's have a look down at our pace maps that we've got. Okay, so Bill Champion, obviously, we can see him up there.
Sam Cook would like to make sure he took a lead, I think, this time.
Sam Cook, as we've mentioned, who's going to keep him company? Kagan, maybe the outsider. Ex-French for David O'Mara and Danny Tudhope, who got closing on a winner early. He's got a bit cold. The outsider of the lot for them. Quickthorn won't be far away.
I think Quickthorn will be there or thereabouts. I'll be a bit worried if he's quite a way back in the ruck. I would want him in the first 4 or 5.
Frankie's leading jockey then, isn't he? I can't count them.
The armband.
4 and Oshin on 3.
Is that right?
I think it's probably 4. It's 4 or 5, isn't it? I think he's had.
Has he
and
had
of
4?
course, Oshin. Is Frankie riding in this? He probably wouldn't be, would he? No. Doesn't seem to be. But Oshin certainly is. And Quickthorn, Oshin's Mount Barry, is just harding on track. Is it the same on the exchanges?
Yeah, he's 5.8 now on the Betfair Exchange. He had been 5.9 this morning, so there's no massive move on him. The real move is Wine O'Clock is into 10 from 12.5. That seems to be well supported. Adayi is 7.6, some money for that. Sam Cook going the other direction out to 8.4 now.
Interesting. At a win o'clock for Roger Charlton. Will like the ground. It was flagged up to you. I saw that in the members section only on the website. You get this great thing, don't you, on the day, who's going to profit from the rain, who's not. Was far from disgraced in front of Sam Cook. And at this meeting last year, they rushed him into it a little bit after he made a comeback win at Haydock. He got knocked all over the place behind Hookham. That was, of course, in the King George V Stakes. We saw Subjectivist come out, so Arthurian Fable ran a big race. He was 5th in that. Always really, really solid form. Again, he's had quite a few runs since, which kind of puts me off. How's the handicapper got him, G? More exposed than, say, Quickthorns.
Yeah, more exposed, isn't he? But is battle hardened in these big handicaps, which, of course, Quickthorn wouldn't be. He's less experienced. And sometimes it can pay to have that big field experience on your side. And we know he goes well in big fields. He was obviously 4th behind Illarab last time in a race where a bunch of these are in it. Looking forward to Hookham tomorrow.
Hookham versus Illarab versus Broome versus Ron Priestley versus whoever you want.
Great race, isn't it? The Hardwick tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which
if they all turn up,
one of the races.
Absolutely. Spectacles of the week, without question. It's hard to say it's a race of the week, it's not Group 1, obviously. Should the Hardwick be a Group 1? Take a bit away from the Coronation Cup.
Yeah, it would. And of course, it's a nice stepping stone to King George, isn't it?
Sometimes.
Really?
Some of the older ones potentially can. Not at the 3-year-olds, I think it's a lot harder for them to do it because the experience that they have, or the lack of experience as such. But
there's a lot of shouting about it. And Japan comes back as well.
Yeah, back from the Coronation Cup.
Blimey.
He's a funny horse, isn't he?
Japan and Mogul, both the 4 brothers.
Yeah, the Chuckle Brothers, as someone called them on the show that day, I seem to remember. Okay, which is remarkable, really. Jeremiah in this, Jamie Spencer and Charlie Fitz. I don't think there'll be a bigger horse in the pack than Jeremiah. Watch him in the run. He is a monster, Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jamie Spencer, obviously not the straight track here. We're on the round course.
Course and distance winner, though, this guy.
Yeah. Another one who comes into the sort of more exposed category, isn't he, Dave?
He beat Sam Cook that day, so it's arguable that he should be a bit shorter in the market, I think.
Yeah. What about Dark Pine? He's on a winning roll, isn't he, for David Lofnan, a guy who's been mopping up a few races recently.
Trainer.
He had he had a 1-2 in the last race on the new
Fillies race,
whatever it's called. Heritage Handicap or whatever it is. And of course, he had second with Go Bears Go, didn't he?
Unlucky.
Yeah.
I put him up. I
you?
felt he was the best. He had to make the running on his side, and he didn't quite race against the rail. He kind of...
We call him a burgeoning trainer because Ammo Racing obviously have invested in him. And
Just last year, we saw him in Santosha, won the Princess Margaret, and the quality's gradually upping and upping. And Dark Pine's another success story. Was it 3 from 4 starts so far this campaign?
I know people that have horses with Dave Loughnane, and they're quite impressed with his operation. Andy Holding and a couple of figures guys who are involved in it.
What do you make of Alan King's recent assertion that he's now concentrating at least as much on the flat? Did he say?
It was 60-40. Heard jumping 60%, 40% on the flat.
It's just it's something that I've been arguing for a while. Is that I just think he's a better trainer of flat horses than he is of jumps.
I think that's a bit harsh.
That is
That's a harsh comment.
You can't really say better because that would be contradicting.
He has more success on the flat. I think,
the
in
British
relative terms.
the Irish trainers have more success than the British trainers in
You
the jumping
said that
sphere.
expecting Mud to come back. Did you steeled yourself for what was coming back? Alan's actual words, I seem to remember, it's a regret that we've not concentrated more on the flat.
Well, he started off so well. He had group horses. Sausalito did really well straight away on the flat, and then he kind of perhaps didn't build no 6 or 7 good horses.
Did he have a double at Royal? Was it 3 winners at Royal Ascot last year, wasn't it?
Last year,
So ridiculous, wasn't it? Someone tell us out there. I'm not sure how many he had, but he
Scarlet
had
Dragon.
Scarlet Dragon,
Coeur de
Who
Leon.
Dares wins. And
Was it Coeur de Leon?
Coeur
He
de
won the
Leon.
Ascot
Yeah,
Stakes.
Coeur de Leon. Yeah, so 3. Yeah.
Lola Showgirl, of course, was.
How many winners did he have at the Cheltenham Festival?
How many winners did the British trainers have at the Cheltenham
Here we
Festival?
go. Yeah, exactly. Which were the
Not
British?
very many is the answer, but the answer that's
Alexander,
the
the
same.
last one?
Same for all the British trainers, of course.
Oh yeah, but he's because of his grounding with the Duke. It'll always. Be.
Yeah, of course.
But yes.
There's no disgrace in being a super flat trainer, is there? What's wrong with it?
There's nothing wrong, but I think it's still harsh to
He
say.
did have 3. Who Dares wins,
Coeur de Leon.
Coeur de Leon, and Scarlet Dragon.
Yeah, that's what we just said.
Did you? Okay, sorry. I was
Wake up, Dave.
zoned out.
I do need to wake up. This has been a long week. We've got one more day to go. One more day to go. One more race here on RP Live. It's been great to have you with us all. We keep saying that, but truly it has. We're really happy with the audience figures, all that sort of thing. We know we've got some new figures. We know we've been stretching out across the world as well. Let us know where you're watching from. Better weather day tomorrow, but the ground, will it get a bit tacky, do you think, tomorrow?
Oh, it looked it bad in that last race. The Sandringham, they were quite tired in behind, weren't they?
That was the one, wasn't it? The Sandringham, where the pudding, it looked likely, didn't it? OK, Barry, a final market update then as we await 3 minutes off the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes. Always a cracker, this.
Yeah, 5.5 quick turn, so 9-2, 8.2 Sam Cook, which is 7-1. Adeyi is 7.4 now, continues to come in for support. 9.4 Moran from 10. 10 Wine O'Clock from 12. Tritonic out to 10. Sabile Champion is 11 and it's 22 bar.
OK, great stuff. Thank you, Barry. So fiercely competitive stuff. That's what we want. One more to come, of course, to 6:10. We won't be covering that for you, but we're giving you picking all out the bones. A really tricky 3-year-old 5 furlong handicap. No Art Power, said Kills, this year, but Warrior Brave will do for him. Adrian Nichols has got an interesting horse.
Mo Salita.
Is that what he said?
3 sellers it ran in, and it could have been picked up. No
Massively.
one touched.
Sheen is on.
Yes, Laura Conlon, new owners. Yeah, I think Dream Composer could run well. Laura Pearson, she might get another winner on the board, but looking forward to that ending of the day.
Highlight of the day, definitely the Commonwealth over the Coronation.
I thought it was a smashing race. Just a shame.
Ralph went well though. Now you think back to it, alcohol-free, didn't she?
Yeah,
I think, she I forgot the Falmouth, maybe.
Middle Park winner, winning the Coronation. Good to see it. Not Middle Park, sorry, the Cheveley Park.
Cheveley Park winner.
Good to
Yeah.
see, isn't it? Because a lot of them do stay sprinters, don't they? That. So.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure she would be ideally suited by a mile on soft ground, but worked out perfectly for her, didn't it? She's obviously got loads of ability.
Yeah. Can't wait to see the Racing Post ratings for that, can we, G? That's something, that, of course, that you're really interested in. You get that, of course. Most of it comes on from 6 o'clock. You'll be able to get Tom Segal's tips, of course. Paul Keeley's tips. We've got a feature show tonight in the know. Ross Briley will be coming the final one of them. I know you've been enjoying that all week. Don't forget to do that, of course. 50% off if you want to join this Royal Week on your members section. If you're thinking, well, I might have fancy a bit of that free content we give you here. If you want a more in-depth look at it, Ascot 21 is the referral code. Go and join up. Unbelievable offer. Lots of people pulled Bruce Millington about that, I think, when he was on track on Tuesday. So great stuff. And it's been a great week for Betfair as well, hasn't it, Barry? The exchange has been showcased brilliantly so far. By yourself.
Yeah, it's been great. Great. Liquidity's been good. We've had some fun along the way. And still a day to go, though, so we won't do the obituary just yet.
We were staring down the barrel a bit, Barry. I spoke to Barry on the phone this morning. I was like, we could have 10 races and they're going to have 5-minute gaps still. It was, we got lucky today, right?
Yeah, we certainly did. It's great that they got the meeting on, isn't it? You know, I suppose any other meeting that might have been called off, but they've got through it okay. Horse welfare is all. There doesn't seem to be any issues. And, you know, they're hardy creatures, aren't they, really, at the end of the day? James will be able to tell you more than me, but I think it's a credit to everyone involved that they got racing on today, and it's good prize money, and the jockeys need it, and the trainers. It's great prestige, and it's got so much with the breeding industry and horse racing in general. We need Royal Ascot, and we need to have days like today.
Absolutely, they're going in. I won't let you answer that one because I asked you once about a horse of yours that went on a 4-timer, and you didn't call it a hardy creature. Let's put it that way. You also sort of made out like it should have been a group horse, underperforming. So he doesn't always go down that route. All right, one of the gambles of the day then. Quickthorn. Good luck if you're on it. Final time then here on this wonderful Friday of action. It is the Duke of Edinburgh, and off we go. Unsurprisingly, Dubai Champion has been rousted up the front then. Is it SDS on him? Yeah, of course. No, it's Ben Curtis, of course, isn't it? Quickthorn G, up there nice and early.
Yeah, that's just where I was hoping him to be, Dave. I said to you I would hoping he'd be in the first 4 or 5, and he's just nicely up there. Hopefully not a little bit too keen. He's a little bit free, but it doesn't look too bad.
They all want a bit of the early pace, James, don't we? Bar Scarlet Dragon, who I think is bidding to repeat last year's win on.
Yeah, and the cameraman got a bit lost there. Yeah, Holly's dropping right out the back. Ocean's a little bit keener than I'd like, really. I think he would have loved a bit of cover from his high draw.
Where's Sam Cook, Barry?
Sam Cook, when he didn't get to the front, he's pulling the
Lord.
arms out of Hector.
Oh, I don't want to see this. That's summing up my day, I can tell you. If he finishes in the first 8, I'll be amazed now,
Yeah,
Barry.
Hector's lost control really there.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get our
I
lay
think
match.
he's sulking because he didn't get to the front.
I think you're probably right. He's just a very keen horse. Jeremiah's got a lovely sit under Jamie Spencer. You don't want to get too far back today, Spencer. Dark Pine out the back. Favourite Moon out the back. Raymond Tusk out the back. Alanak out the back. Who's that in midfield in the red? That's Kargan, isn't it, I think? I'll tell you what a call this is from me. Win o'clock in 4th. Arday in 5th. But they're all being led and they go on to the far side. Just dropping the anchor a little bit now, James?
Yeah, they're not going particularly quick. No one's really taken on our front runners, the Bill champion. Ocean still swinging away on Quickthorn, but he looks relatively relaxed compared to...
Yeah, very happy with Quickthorn, Dave. He looks to be going really well. He's got a great position there. What's going to happen?
You're going out to meet your brother Kev tonight for a few drinks, aren't you, for the Scotland game? The bead of
I
sweat.
am.
I'll tell you what, this is the difference. This will be shots if it doesn't win, I can tell you. Absolutely no champagne for you tonight, G. But he's close enough, and Sam Cook has finally dropped his head.
Yeah, it looks like he's now settled, but I think maybe he's breaks his run. What do you think?
If he wins, is he Shergar, isn't he? I think. Dark Pine then out the back. They're turning for home. We're expected to come up the middle. Kargan still catching my eye. Jeremiah still catching my eye. But in pole position, it is Zabil champion. Tritonic on the inside. Can he go one better than at the meeting last year when he bumped into a good cross? Okay, Scarlet Dragon cutting through the back. Says Barry. Sam Cook on the near side. Surely can't get home. Getting Arday feeling the pinch. Where's Quickthorn? Not gone for him yet, G.
No, he's coming now.
Could this be it? I'll tell you what, he's rowing away Oshin Murphy, but he's in pole position. I don't think they're going to get it. Come on,
Oshin!
Surely, Oshin! Come on, Oshin! This is it! Look at the concentration.
Come on!
On his face. This is it!
Come on, Oshin!
Over. Surely, Oshin, come and get him!
Yes!
Who knew Raymond Tusk is nudging him home? Miran getting there. Unbelievable scenes here on Racing Post Live. The hoodoo is no more. Well done, G-Rod. Well done, Paul Keeley. Well done to you out there that kept the face. Hughie Morrison, he's done you a favour, hasn't he? Raymond Tusk in second. Zabil champion, Gallant in third. They struggled to get past him. Miran for Johnny Murtaugh. What a day Johnny's had in fourth. Ade only fifth. Couldn't cope with the ground. Take it away, my main man.
So happy, Dave, so happy. I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. And to do it in the last race on Friday is going to be just like Willie Mullins on that weekend at Cheltenham.
We're going through the card tomorrow.
Back in here tomorrow and we'll kick on, Dave. I can't wait.
Oh, the boys in the gallery are absolutely loving this. I can see them all going for it out the back. They're loving it. Absolutely delighted. Barry Orr, when did they know that G was going to get off the cold list?
Well, he never traded any bigger than 805, and that was pre-race. He traded at 805, so he was up throughout, wasn't he? So there was never, there wasn't any real big in-running news, Dave, other than Zabeel Champion traded at 3.25. Mirren traded at 3.30. Scarlet Dragon traded at 3.0, which is 2-1. But winner was up there throughout. Didn't trade at big odds. Just a couple of the beaten horses traded around the 2-1 mark.
Right up the middle again. We've got a social. Who's come on? Who's thanking the big man? Let's have a look. Neil Francis, there's only one. G-Rod. I'll tell you what, I'm sure your brother Kevin, who works at Sky in the control room, has been on this show. Great lad, Kevin. You know, they say about brothers, don't they? There's an apple falling far from the tree. Different character. He was either going to be terrified. He might be terrified now you've got off. Because he's probably thinking to himself, oh, my God, the bar bill. He's probably, or something like that. But we're all delighted for you. Delighted for you, James Millman, as well, because you rode in with him. I think it was perhaps the Millman shine, we can say.
Osmosis. It's just
Osmosis. You've taken it away from me, man.
Can you come back tomorrow?
You got Matty Patch, so it's a different kind of osmosis.
Oh, wow.
There.
There's going to be scenes in here with Matty Batch, isn't it? All right, then, favourite, really well back. Let's just have a word about this chap. When there's a bit of cut in the ground, how high can he climb?
He's very good, isn't he? He travelled well through the race. Maybe I thought he may have done too much, but he really finished his race well, just like he did at Haydock. He was no stronger than at the finish that day.
He's got loads more to offer, I think, this bloke.
Just might lack a change of gear as we go up the ranks, because just around that home bend, he did become a little bit outpaced, and then he really did grind out.
Up in trip.
Definitely.
Here
I
we
think
go.
Ebor will be on the target. You've
got to be, isn't it? So valuable, isn't it?
Ground.
Wants some rain.
It's going to be lucky.
He's got that knee action, hasn't he? Perfect. They wanted. We'll take what they can throw at us, said Hughie Morrison. There you go. Okay. The final race here on Racing Post Live. We only had to wait for Royal Ascot. And you did say when you came back in, I'm going to freshen myself up. We're coming back on the Friday Royal Ascot. This is it. And in fairness to G, we have a bit of a laugh with it. But you throw 33-1, 40-1 shots or whatever. You went for something solid. You got it, man.
Yeah, it's always nice, isn't it, just to get that solid one in. When you're really strong on one and it goes and wins, it makes the day, Dave.
Unbelievable scenes. Paul Keeley's nap as well. That's twice he's done that, Keels. What a week he's having. You cannot keep the good men down here at the Racing Post Live. Barry, we've got one more day to go, man. Nice and easy tonight, Barry. Don't do anything crazy now like G-Rod.
No, quiet night. Highlight of the day was going to be the Commonwealth Cup, but now it's G-Rod getting that monkey off his back in style. 11-4. Well done, G-Rod. Great result for you. And onwards and upwards to better things. And good luck to England tonight.
Oh, there we go. We even got that from Barry. There you go. Happy days. Barry, we'll see you tomorrow. Betfair's Big Hits will be back for 6 races on Saturday. Cannot wait for the curtains to come down. 2 stints you've done, James. Sterling work. Couple of winners today. Talked us beautifully through that stewards inquiry as well. We'll see you back soon.
Hopefully so. Enjoyable day.
Thank you, James. G-Rod, a last word from you, my man.
Well, I will be back tomorrow, Dave. I can't wait to get going, bring on the racing, bring on the first one. We've got to enjoy tonight first. Hopefully England can do the business against Scotland, but it's going to be a great game, isn't it?
If needs be, we'll bring him back on a stretcher. Tomorrow, Racing Post Live. It's Saturday. We're going through the card.